Hello and welcome to the 2023 season of the Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series. We're here for round number 1 from Winton Motor Raceway to kick off an absolutely massive season. We've got 5 rounds across the country. Of course, so many places we're going to go, including a very special place down south.
Yeah, mate, we've got obviously Winton Raceway here. We're doing 2 different layouts, so we're back here for round 3. We've got round 2 at Calder Park. But yeah, we're going to Tasmania, which is fantastic. It's the first time taking the series down there, and we get to see the Tasmanian scene, which is going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Of course, we've had some changing weather conditions here at round number 1 already this weekend, Tony. Let's have a little chat about the track and the weather conditions and what it's going to play out for some of the drivers.
Yeah, look, the drivers were getting it pretty good in practice and in qualifying, but the weather conditions can really make the surface very, very greasy and can send them right offline. So there was a lot of adjustment in that brief rain period we had. It's going to be challenging to get it right.
Well, let's have a look, talk about some of the competitors. Our reigning champion from the 2022 season, Brody Maher, well, he's had some mechanical issues and we might not see him compete this afternoon.
I cannot believe the battle for them to get to this round. There was an engine drama on the dyno. He came into practice yesterday, had a diff issue, and now a throttle plate as well. So our reigning champion's basically out. He's gone.
Well, that one's going to be a tough one to do, but Saxon Moyes is back, and another one who's had some issues with the car this weekend. They're really pushing the limits of these cars now. He's a young gun. We saw him come out last year. He came to the final 2 rounds of the Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series, and he got 2 podiums.
2 podiums, so two from 2 is not a bad result. He did qualify well today. I think he's nursing just a little bit of a car issue themselves. They've been tweaking with it in the trailer, so there's a bit going on in the pits already.
We can't wait to get underway. We've got over 40 competitors here this weekend. We've got the top 16 for the Zoo Performance Pro-Am category, as well as our top 16 for the Hi-tec Oils Pro category. We're going to be on track very shortly. In the meantime, we caught up with some of the drivers earlier.
Yeah, so my name's Brett Tui. I drive the Zestino tyres Toyota 86. I've obviously done Hi-tec for many, many years, right from the inception. Made a comeback this year, had 2022 off, fortunate enough to have a little baby boy. And I wanted to spend as much time as I could with him last year. Obviously we came out of like a weird time with COVID, and so just wanted to make the most of some family time. Still went and did Time Attack, and luckily enough to win that. And did a few other little series around the traps. But look, Hi-tec is the premier series in the country, so come back for this year, and really looking forward to seeing whether I've still got it against the big boys.
Things have just been so difficult. I think it's still hard to even get parts. Like, we started building this engine probably 3 months ago. Everything was hard to get, so many delays. Big thanks to all my crew. Like, we've been working tireless for 3 months pretty much. And we got this engine together probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Went to go for testing, dropped a valve on the dyno. And we turned it around. We managed to get the engine freshly rebuilt, new valves, all machined, back together on the dyno within less than a week. But that just meant we had like absolutely no testing at all. So we've come straight here. We actually wheel-lined the car at 8 o'clock on the Friday, like here in the pit garage. Got out and track, did 3 laps, and unfortunately we actually broke the new diff. So it's going to be a spanner in the works. Just spent all yesterday trying to get another diff, source things, and then we've gone out this morning. We've actually broken a throttle body shaft. And unfortunately, no one's got a shaft here or anything like that. So it looks like we're out, but don't worry, we'll come back stronger for the next season.
So Matty Grice here. Here to have a crack at my first full season in pro. I think we got 1 round in before COVID. We've had a bit of time off with COVID now, and I missed last season after having open heart surgery, so we took 12 months off of that. So it's it's really good to be back here at Winton. We love this track, home track. And here to throw down with the boys. The car feels amazing. We've done everything, gearbox, the G101A through Zoo Performance, the Winter's Diff, Hi-tec came on board, and we've got a Hi-tec in it now. I've got to step out and thank the wife and the pit crew. The pit crew ran the workshop for me while I just stayed home and worked on the car over the last couple of weeks, and I put 9 weeks of effort in, and the wife put up with me just in the shed for 12 hours a day and going nuts. So we pushed hard to be here, minimal sleep. Luke at LS Tuning and Performance, the bloke went above and beyond to make sure the car was right. We had a few issues, but we got it to where it needs to be here, and it feels amazing. So,
stepping up to the pro, I'm finding that these boys are a whole lot faster than before. We're running these sticky tyres, and the speed and stuff is a lot more intense than the Pro-Am, but I'm enjoying it. I like driving fast.
Hey, I'm Glenn Omerod. I'm driver of the Toyota 86, GT86, and got the 2J underneath the bonnet. We're finished 4th last year, and we're looking to up that this year, and we're really looking forward to it.
Hey guys, I'm Jabbert, driving the Hi-tec Oils S15. Car is absolutely singing this weekend. I'm not really feeling the best, a bit faint, but with the pit crew, the car doing the job, it's actually made it surprisingly simple for me because there's not much going on up here this weekend. All I'm doing is just do the lap. That's all I'm thinking about, and it seems to be coming together pretty well so far.
Aaron Dewar. I've been doing Hi-tec for a few years now. Back at Winton again, it's home track, so yeah, pretty keen to get something happening today.
Here we go. Let's have a look at the track layout here for round number 1 at Winton Motor Raceway. It's great to have everyone joining us on the live stream, wherever they may be watching. We've got a huge crowd banking up. And check this out, Tony. It's a bit of a run-through, of a virtual run-through Winton Motor Raceway, what we're looking for.
What's some great technology that we've got this year to be able to bring this digital lap to you guys to show you what it's all about. So you can see the yellow lines on the inside clips of each corner. That is where the drivers need to be putting the car. There are 2 different types of lap. It's a touch and go zone, and there's a box to fill. So there's a couple of different points. We'll see it again here. The lead will come through out of the right lane, take the chicane. It's Patrick Barley in the Corvette right now. So you'll see the initiation, back tyres right towards that outer zone, and we want to fill that in complete outer zone.
Yeah, it is a judge zone there, and you'll see these inner clipping points there. They're 1 metre off that ripple strip is where they want to see the front bar of the lead car. It allows the car behind to be able to really tuck in and get that proximity nice and close, much like we can see this touch and go zone through this second corner.
Yeah, spot on. The whole point, you've got to give the chase car a chance to get up nice and close, and this track is synonymous for big horsepower and big smoke, so you, as a chase car, you can get really lost in that smoke, so we need that little gap so the chase car can tuck right up.
And these last couple of zones are really a huge fill zone, aren't they, for the drivers, because they need to make sure they can snap that angle on really, really quickly, hold that angle throughout those fill zones to maximise their judging point. Now, there is a little bit of a change in the judging this year as well, where before we were talking about an overall score amongst 3 of our judges. This time, though, we're going to be looking for style, we're going to be looking for angle, and we're going to be looking for line. So each judge will judge a different section of the drift, I suppose, and they'll be looking for those minor deductions. It's not about what the guys are doing right. It's not necessarily we're looking to see, like, pick a number. We're looking for deductions out of each run to try and quantify exactly what is happening out there. So they will actually work backwards, like not quite, maybe he's 1.5 metres off that off the ripple strip, not 1 metre like we want it. So maybe we'll take half a point off and things like that, so we can really deduct those points down and get a very accurate scoring system.
The challenge at the top level of any sort of motorsport or any judge sort of sport, all these guys are great. They're excellent performers, and it comes down to the smallest little errors. So taking a couple of points away from a small error is how we're going through this judging process, and having that each person to really focus on one criteria is key.
Really loving the shots we're seeing of Winton Motor Raceway right now, though. As you can see, right above Patrick Barley, he brings out this C6 Corvette. The drone footage just really shows you the angles of the cars, how much they move around out on track. Of course, that's our back M section we'll do later in the year, but very tricky section there. But we're at the front section here, right in front of the crowd. You know, they put the big smoke show on. We have a fantastic time every time we come to Winton Motor Raceway. We love doing it here, and it's great to see all the Hi-tec oil signage around the track as well. But we spoke about the judging. Of course, we've got a new judging layout happening this, or format this year, I suppose, when it comes to the criteria and how we do the point system. We've also got some new judges. We caught up with them a little bit earlier.
Hey guys, I'm Glenn Atkins. I've stepped up this year. I'm now part of the judging team. A lot of you don't know. I was in more of a technical in the backgrounds with Hi-tec. Now moving forwards, we really wanted to bring more amp to the actual drivers, so we've taken things a little bit different. We've brought in a virtual series, so we've done a virtual layout. We give to the drivers a week before the event. That's our goal at the moment. It's just going to make the drivers a lot more faster, a lot more aggressive in it, because they know the lines they've got. So this year, with all my technical knowledge and everything from the prior years that we've been running, it's just going to amp this season up. So it's going to be a good year. Watch the drivers. It's going to be a lot more action-packed, a lot more faster.
My name's Erin Burns. I've joined the judging team for Hi-tec this year. Very excited to do it. I've normally been on the driver's side of things. I've been drifting for about 10 years. More at a club level in Sydney. Been to a few different places, but it's nice to be on the other side, see some different things.
So a couple of new faces in the team there when it comes to judging. Isn't it great to have Erin on board as well? I mean, we get a different perspective on that from, she's been in Sydney for many, many years doing the drifting herself and behind the wheel. Probably calmed down that judge's box up there a bit too, I'd say.
Yeah, the blokes can get a little bit feisty, so bringing some a feminine touch there, but she's just as feisty, don't you worry. But yeah, she's handling all the line and all the angle criteria today.
And James Dean Martle back from South Australia as well. Let's have a look at the Zoo Performance Pro-Am top qualifiers at the moment, though. And at number 1 it was Jordan Sanderson at VEU. He did really well. Jordan Putzkin in second place. Ben Bretnell in third. Sean McElhatton, we're going to get that one right, don't we, in fourth. Kieran Ratcliffe in fifth. Jory Bretkoff in sixth. Sean McElhatton in seventh. And Kurt Dunn, who has done some issues with the engine there. He's in 8th position, but we don't think he's going to make it out.
Yeah, we heard there was maybe a turbo issue. There was something going on there. So we've scoured all the pits to see if there's any spare part bits and pieces going on. But I think there might have been a turbo issue is what we heard. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of little issues there. We did look at it. I said, look, mate, you're here in the tilt tray. Surely you can take that turbo off the tilt tray and bolt that on. But he said it's just slightly too big.
It's a little bit oversized for a little SR20, but anyway, that's okay. But yeah, we've just been rattling all the pit areas, and mate, people are turning spanners, and there's all sorts of stuff going on down there, and it's the same as what happens every year, right? It's competition level, it's high energy, and it is what it is.
Very different format this year too, because normally on a Saturday we have our qualifying for the Zoo Performance Pro as well as the Hi-tec Allstars Pro category. This year though, we held off qualifying in the Pro category to this morning, so we saw a lot of the Pro cars with some issues yesterday that had overnight to fix them, a lot more time. So we've seen a very strong qualifying session come out from them, and you can hear in the background it sounds like Patrick Barley with a bit of a mechanical drive there, which he's been going great yesterday in practice, and now we see the car having a few little issues there.
Yeah, so practice really dialed, and as you'd expect from Pat, plenty of tyre smoke, really on the line. He really studies the circuit. He's one of the main guys that spends a lot of time on the sim and really does the laps here to make sure that he's got it all covered. But yeah, maybe a few little gremlins or tuning gremlins that they've been working on this afternoon.
Yeah, well, our top 16 now for the Zoo Performance Pro-Am. Let's check it out on the left-hand side of the ladder there. Jordan Sanderson will take on Matty Walters, who's borrowing a car this weekend. Tim Constantine will take on Mark McTurnan. Sean McElhatton will take on Mark Matikic. Kieran Ratcliffe will take on Sam Mudge, and on the right-hand side, Tony.
Yeah, Jordan Putkins in the S13 taking on Andrew Ryan. Kurt Dunn, if you can get the car sorted, Thane Lilly will be going up against him. Ben Brendel against Adam Burgess, and Jory Breakoff against Nicky Bling.
Oh, this one's going to be interesting too, because we got a couple of drivers there who have decided, including Adam Burgess, he's doing Pro-Am and Pro. Now, that's a bit of a change up in the car, isn't it? Because Adam Burgess, we well know, obviously came out in the Big Falcon many years ago. He's had about 18 months off, hasn't been competing, but we know him so well in other scenes of racing where he does a lot of circuit racing in BMW as well. Now he's built himself an E36 BMW to drift in.
And you know what? It's developing different cars is one thing, but then going from a Pro or Pro-Am to a Pro category as well, and the different tuning and car setups that you've got to do. So a few of the guys are doing double duties this weekend, so mate, they've got a lot of work to do.
They do. The crews have been very, very busy behind the scenes. Make sure you join us on the Hi-tec Oils Drift All-Stars page, of course, for the live stream here this afternoon. We'll go all the way through till about 4:35 p.m. And you can see the live drone shots we've got this weekend, just to bring you a new element of drifting here at Winton Motor Raceway. And the track is looking absolutely fantastic. The clouds, we've got a fair bit of cloud cover. Now, Tony, what does that change when it comes to track conditions when we know the bitumen surface starts to cool down? The grip levels are going to be significantly different.
Yeah, so what we've seen so far, obviously a very warm track. So yesterday was 28, 29 degrees in practice. So they were getting a lot of dry running practice in, a lot of tuning set up for that dry running, which was all great. And then as soon as we saw this morning, we had a bit of a sprinkle, and it was just enough to put a bit of a dampen on the circuit. We had cars going off left, right and centre. So it really changes the grip level. There is so much rubber down, but it just changes it to grease, and away they go.
And it's that first corner when they come in, isn't it? Because when you actually come in that first corner, if they overshoot that, it's got a bit of undulation on the backside.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to see just from looking at the circuit. It doesn't really have an off camber, but it has the effect of an off camber. So you'll come hooking into that corner, you're on full lock, you're going at a rapid rate of knots, and if you just go too deep, you're a passenger, and you're just off into the grass, and you'll take out some of our advertising signs.
And if we see that sort of precipitation come down, we see that track get a little bit wet later on, that's what we're really worried about is that we'll see the cars coming off the track. It is super slippery as well. We saw them come up the main straight here. There is not a lot of traction, so hopefully it's just cloud cover at the moment. We're just cooling the track down and we can get through this top 16 here this afternoon. In the meantime, though, one man who's down there is super excited to be back in 2023, Damien Cook.
Yeah, cheers, Matty. I am excited. And we've got Benny Hodges here. Ben, you're actually into some battles this time. We've got rain out of the... nothing going through. There is some rain coming. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty confident actually. The car's working really well, thanks to support from Super Performance and Link ECU. Car's dialed, everything feels good, qualifying felt good. We're going to see what the result it was. But yeah, real happy to be here in Winton. It's been a few years and we're just keen to get on the door. Yeah,
and obviously doing pro this year. Russ has given the car the tick of approval. Everything's happy from that end and we just go and send it, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big step up for us. We're at the top of Pro-Am, now we're at the bottom of Pro, so we've got to find our feet and get back where we want to be at the top, and we're ready to do it this year.
Sounds awesome. Good luck, Benny.
Great to see Benny Hodges here returning to Winton Motor Raceway, where we saw just a couple of years ago when he was in the Pro-Am Series. Unfortunately, actually rolled the car here, so he did a fair bit of damage. They've rebuilt that car. He joined us at the end of last season for a couple of rounds, but stepping up into Pro and having that Zoo performance, I think, on his chest there and ready to go, as well as that Link ECU. A lot of support from so many people in the drift community.
Obviously close to his heart there a little bit, but the car presentation's fantastic. Driving was fantastic. I'm really excited to see Ben. I think he'll deliver.
I think he might deliver this weekend. We'll have to wait and find out because there's so many people. A lot of names we've heard before, I suppose. James Abbott, we saw him there talking earlier. He really hitting those clipping points that the judges were talking about, filling those outer zones as well.
Isn't it funny? He was just sitting there talking about, he's just sitting there driving, but he does it so well.
Let's head down to Damien Cook again.
Yeah, cheers, Matty. We've got Saxon, the Wonder Kid, with us. Mate, how's the car going? Been a few issues with drive shafts, clutches, etc. We got it sorted now?
Pretty much. We're going to just hope for the best, eh? Like, the clutch is a bit iffy still, but keen for the buy run top 24.
Yeah, so what's the strategy with that? Just pump the tyres up and take a little bit of grip out of it? The car has been really gripped up this weekend. Are you feeling confident and still take it all the way?
Yeah, pretty much. It looks like it's starting to rain soon, so that's pretty good for the clutch, but we'll give it a solid crack, I reckon.
This is true. Sounds good. All right, mate. Thanks, guys.
Look, he is a very young and up-and-coming driver, isn't he? Just 19 years of age, joined us at the end of last season. He's only been drifting for a year.
Isn't it amazing? And I know he's got his second car, that he's done a lot of club level and local level things. And he's been a bit of a dominant force in that local level and then stepped up to Hi-tec. And obviously, like we said before, a couple of podiums from a couple of showings. I mean, that's amazing, amazing result.
Yeah, he's really got that mentality, I think, the racer mentality. And we've seen him he's done some circuit racing prior to this as well. And the whole family, you can see when you go down there, the crew, how professional they are. The things they were doing last night, they actually lost a part of the drive shaft. I think there was a coupling there out on track somewhere. So while they're looking for that, they're looking for local shops to actually machine them a new one. So they're not waiting around to go on track and find it. Luckily, I believe they did find that last night, and that's why we see that back on track. But some clutch issues, going to hurt him maybe. Look, he's young, he's going to push through it. We saw what he went through in the final round last year where he actually got a hurt hand. They actually had a diff lock up and the gear shifter actually hit his hand. He drove through that pain. So he is a real racer, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the 2023 season. And on the opposite end of the scale, we've got Brad Toohey back, who's a two-time champion. He was runner-up once as well in the series. Really tough to beat, and we've seen he's been very consistent out on track as well. So we've really got, some of the original stalwarts of our categories in the pro, and then we've got these young and up and firing young guns.
I just love the diversity of drifting, obviously the different cars, the different people and the characters and everything that goes with it. But yeah, to see Brad Toohey back after a year off and just blazing tyres and just having the best fun. And he seems really relaxed. Like when you go to the pits, he's just casual, calm, cool and collected, having a good time.
Well, let's get underway with that top 16 of the Zoo Performance Pro-Am. Leading out Jordan Sanderson, our number one qualifier in the JM Built VE Commodore Ute over Matty Walters, who's had to borrow Warwick Hill's car this weekend, the E46 BMW. And not a bad run there from Jordan Sanders. I mean, Matty Walters is really struggling to adjust to the BMW platform.
Yeah, look, I was chatting to Jordan down there earlier, though, but he is just absolutely dialing the line. He's been getting on angle, doing just this, sitting in that midline, a metre. The front bumper's got to be a metre away from the ripple strip. Might be just a little bit wide through that middle corner, turn 2. And then turn 3 on the loud pedal, back wheels right out near the ripple strip. That was a really solid lead run.
Yeah, it was. Matty Walters, though, what is he going to change in this? He's used to driving his R33 with obviously the LS power on, a little bit of giggle gas on the side with a bit of nitrous just to give it a tickle. He's gone to the 2J power. We know horsepower is probably very similar in that sense. but the difference is going to be that turbo and the different where the torque range is.
Yeah, power delivery, wheel speed, what sort of clutch work you need to do, and then I guess driving a car that you're not used to behind other people that you may have not driven with as well. They've really got to get that practice time in and try and drive with as many people as possible, just so that you know what you can achieve with the car, with the tools that you've been, with your what bullets in the gun, so to speak.
I'm very happy Matty Walters has really stepped it up this weekend, stepping into that car, what he's been able to achieve so far is our next pairing battle on the screen at the moment, just finishing their run.
Yeah, that's it. Tim Kay from Victoria, S14. Really, he's a contender from many years ago, actually. So he's taken a few years off. He's had a family, obviously got a young kid, done a few things, having a chat, and we're just like catching up like old times, It's like, when was the last time you've been here? And, we've driven thousands of laps of this place together, and he seemed very confident to come back to Winton, and yeah, very, very dialed practice runs, very dialed qualifying. He seems comfortable back in the car.
And look, we've been firing up those SR fans, haven't we, this weekend?
Love it.
I couldn't believe how many were here and running all in one place. I like to fire up the SR fans. You're one of them. Look, he's an SR guy, and he's out on track, and look, there's still a few in the running.
Yeah, that's it. Look, it's not V8 domination in drifting just yet. It might be V8 and 2-day domination, but if we can get a few of the factory SR sort of cars back in the field, that's good. I like that.
Here we go now. This time we're going to see Matty lead us out. Matty Walter's going to lead out really fast too in the BMW. Jordan Sanderson, how much does he want to push this? We know he did a really tough lead line there. Matty Walter sticks it on there. It's not too bad. Not a whole heap of angle though.
Yeah, it seems a little bit down on pace just coming through the mid part of the circuit. He's getting all the line right, Matty in the lead. He's getting the line right, which is really important. Down on pace a little, but it gives Jordan the chance to catch right up and get right on his door.
Yeah, he's got no drama there. Of course, the BSC Performance big thumper 7.2 litre V8. It's got all the torque in the world that he needs.
Plenty.
We'll have a look at the replay here. All thanks to Tri-Ace tyres.
Yeah, it seems like Matty just struggled to initiate, or he wasn't as confident or as aggressive to flick the big angle on that first initiation. You see Jordan initiate behind him, get onto angle, and then, yeah, a little bit slow through the mid part of the circuit, but still on line doing what he has to do. But that gave Jordan every opportunity to get nice and close.
Well, we get to see it. They're going to switch him around now, and it's going to be Mr. K is going to be the chase car now. Very different to what we're used to seeing. Is normally the lead car on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side of the screen, really, for those watching at home, and the chase car will be on the left-hand side. But we've moved it around, a bit of a different layout from the judges, where they really wanted to not challenge the drivers. They wanted the lead car to come across, and the chase car could really come and use them as a mobile clipping point.
Yeah, that's it. It's using allowing the second car to hang back to be able to make that dive after that first initial initiation. Coming through the mid part of the corner, Mark McTiernan doing double duty, so he's driving in both Pro-Am and Pro in the lead. I don't know whether he's just a little bit, Tim Kay just stalled off the line there a little bit, just seemed like he was hanging back, and then just the whole lap didn't really catch up.
Yeah, we'll check out now on the Tri-Ace replay. Really got away, Mark McTiernan. We know he's got a whole heap of power in that car too, so that really, the V8 powered S13 drove away. Lots of grip in it. We'll check this, he transitions back. It looked nice. There, he's really just a metre off that rule through exactly what the judges want. Now, you need to do a really late, snappy transition there, don't you? Probably a little bit early.
Yeah, probably just a touch early, but I think the overall gap was really from the start. It was just the drive away from the line. That was the gap that was formed the whole way through. So Tim didn't fall back at all. May have been a misshift, may have been something real simple coming off the line. A little bit unfortunate that he couldn't catch right up.
There you go, Kieran Ratcliffe getting strapped into his car as well and getting keen to get back out on track. I do believe that's the flame drill behind him. Mr. Mudge, Sam Mudge from the Motor Motorsports crew. So this one's going to be a really tough battle too if he can get them out there. The RB20.
Yes, Dabs 20, as they call it. It's a Dabs 20. It's a very, very angry RB20, and Mudgie's certainly not scared of driving it and putting it on tour. Last event he was in had quite a bit of a contact with the Calder Park wall, so they've gone and fixed that car before this round. It was only a couple of weeks ago, and they've got it all straight and ready and ready to rock.
A lot of steering components that are replaced under that car, and you need to thank everyone who supplies those as well, because they managed to get him in a very quick time to make sure he was here for the first round of the Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series at Winton Motor Raceway. It's great to be back here. We just love coming here. It's the atmosphere, the feel you get. I mean, we're only 2.5 hours north of Melbourne, really. In the middle, it's not the middle of nowhere, it's just off the Hume Highway. There's plenty going on around here as well. It's Ned Kelly country, so you can go and check that out. You can make a little bit of a weekend of it, I suppose, when you come up here. But we have a great time every time we come
to Winton and check this out. And the Benalla Auto Club, great for hosting us here.
Yeah, and they've spent some money at this place too. They're clearly investing in motorsport, and certainly Hi-tec are supporting not even just the drifting category, but they're supporting other categories, and they're really putting some money into the local community. Bringing motorsport to this area of Victoria is great, and it's great that we can run multiple layouts too. So we've got the front S's this time, and the next round at round 3 will be over the back section doing the sweeper into the M. So yeah.
So our next 4 cars come out. So of course we've got 2 battles getting ready to lined up, so we can turn them around 2 at a time. Kieran Ratcliffe there just leading us out there, and Sam Mudge coming up behind. We can't wait for that one to get underway. In the meantime, let's catch up with Cookie.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, we've got Tim Costin here. A bit of a historic car here. So we haven't seen you in this comp for a while. Your first win. How'd you go?
Yeah, it was really good. Good to get back out. I haven't been on the track for a bit over a year, and my brother offered his car up and said, "Oh yeah, no worries, I'll take it." So yeah, I'm having fun. It's good.
Yeah, awesome. That's all that matters, mate. Keep it going.
Now, I think, from memory, that might have been the old Holford Motors car that was a green wrapped car that used to compete in this series many years ago with Luke Fink at the steering wheel. So that's kind of hiding away in Victoria there somewhere, that the boys have bought it and kept it going, which is really cool. But that's a rumour. I've got to confirm that rumour. That's a rumour that it's the old
It's a good rumour, though. We like
Holford Motors car, yeah.
There we go, the 33 Kieran Ratcliffe's got 34 front end on it. He's going to come forward, just starting to see if he's going to be in the lead run. Looks like he might be, and Mudgie's going to pull over now. We know how fast Mudgie loves to drive around this track. This is his local track, really, when it comes to drifting. He is not too far away. He lives only about an hour away. He loves big, huge speed entries.
Yes, yeah, and look, there was a bit of banter in the pits in the lead up to this round. It's like, how far can we push the start line back so we get this enormous big run up for a big dramatic entry? But the entry point is plenty to get this line right. Kieran Ratcliffe in the lead, looking very, very dialed. Might have just trimmed the end of that corner just a little bit. Turn 2 looks pretty good from the lead, and Mudgie's had a chance to catch up a little bit, trimming a bit of line and taking a bit of curb with him to catch right up in that last couple of corners.
Kieran Ratcliffe, for me, impressed me with the speed of the car, really. It looks very gripped up. We'll check this out, though, on the Tri-Ace replay now and really dissect the run.
Out of the gate, he's gotten away out of the gate. That's obviously, it puts a lot of pressure on Mudgie to try and catch up immediately. So you're trimming line, you're trying to do everything you can to try and catch up. But Kieran, very, very dialed through the second part. Not quite as wide as what the judges would have loved to get right out on those ripple strips with the back tyres as you're coming up the hill. But overall, pretty solid lead run.
Is that final turn, really, if you transition too early, you don't make it to that fill zone the judges want to see. And that's a reasonably long fill zone. They want you to snap the angle and hold that angle throughout that entire fill zone, and then across the other side of the track to finish off our judging part of the drifting.
We've got Jordan Putkins in the S13 in the lead. Turbo LS under the donk of that black machine, and he was doing, again, another local up this area of Victoria. Very, very happy with the car. When I was chatting to him earlier, I think he said he was going to be jumping into pro class later on as well. So doing double duties in that S13, but feeling good. It's his first time stepping up into pro.
Yeah, Andrew Ryan there behind him, and look, he's travelled down from Sydney as well, done the kilometres to be part of the Super Performance Pro-Am category. As we check out the Tri-Ace replay at the moment, Putkins really throws the car in nicely there, stays about a metre off that ripple strip, which is exactly what we're looking for. Transitions back as well. They're doing nice there, and I really like that Ryan's trying to put that nose, and he can't quite get that proximity, but he is really trying to trim that bit of angle and get in nice and tight. Let's head down to Cookie quickly.
Yeah, Jordan got the big girl around, first win of the day. Well done. How's the car feeling?
The car felt good, but very slippery. We had a little bit of rain just before we went out, and yeah, could definitely feel it in the first. So definitely, if it stays like this, to warm them up, really, really bake them out the back before you come into that first turn.
Sounds good, mate. Keep it rolling.
Thank you.
Don't have to tell our drivers twice.
No, certainly cook those tyres in the back half of the circuit for sure.
Here we go. The Dabs 20 out in front. Sam Mudge there really pushing that S13. He goes wide though on that corner. How late is he going to be on the transition? He loves the big speed.
But a much closer battle this time around. A much, much closer battle. Sam Mudge in the lead, maybe didn't quite get away just as fast as Kieran. Kieran's got a lot more pace, obviously under the bonnet, a little bit more horsepower, and he stuck it right with him.
I think it's that torque at the start, isn't it? Mudgie's, very small bore on that engine there. Once it's up on boost, man, it makes some good power for that size of that engine. But I think Kieran Ratcliffe, just with the torque advantage there to be able to drive off the line, he really tried to stick it to his door. And through this last section there, you can see Mudge really just pulls away on that final transition point, and Kieran Ratcliffe there might have an advantage after this one. We'll wait and see what the judges have to say.
Yeah, that's it. It was just that last corner as well. As you're starting to come up the hill, you've seen the guys in practice and in quali. They're just getting to the point where, they know that they can put the tyres in that zone. They can really fill the entire zone and keep the bake on up the hill.
Andrew Ryan will lead us out this time.
Jordan to chase.
Yeah, the S14. Look at the big yellow S14. Oh, there's a bit of handbrake there. You can see him locking up, and I think he's very close, judging by the angle we can see.
Just trim the line, yeah, just trim that line. The bumper's got to be a metre off that red and white ripple strip to give the chase car enough time to get up close.
I feel like that maybe just Andrew Ryan not carrying the same pace as we did see from Cookins earlier.
Yeah, and I think Andrew as well, it's a fresh build car. It looks absolutely fantastic. Presentation-wise of the car. Has he done enough laps in it? Has he done enough development in it? He's just trimming that inside line at turn 1. He's just trimming the inside line there at turn 2 as well. The switch at turn 3. He is running wide. He is getting closer to outside zone. Wasn't too bad, but it just out of the line a little bit.
Well, let's find out who our winners are. Cookie.
Yeah, Sean, we've seen the car still up on jack stands. Either that or you painted your car green. What's the story?
Sheared the flywheel bolts off this morning when we started the car. Worked on it there for 4 hours, but we're about an hour short, so called him to give me his car. Never driven it before, so we'll give it a go.
Okay, and he's getting instructions. You can full send?
Yeah, full send.
Beautiful, the Irish way. Go for it, mate.
Look, he's got out of the 180. That is unfortunate. We did see him under the car there a little bit earlier, and I thought they were going to get that back out, so that's unfortunate there for him. But look, the Irishmen have stuck together, and speaking of Irishmen,
yes,
we have a bit of a shout out.
We do, we absolutely do. Our mate Mickey Moo, I'm sure he's on the live stream. I'm sure he's tuned in watching us, and he might have a couple of cleansing ales under his skin by now. But thank you, mate. We really appreciate you. You've taken off to Europe to go and battle with the Dewar engine overseas, so that's cool.
Send us ribs when you can, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, cook us those ribs and send us over. Send us a recipe at least.
Here we go, so we've had the battle now between Sam Mudge and Kieran Ratcliffe, so they will leave the track, and we will find out very shortly who the winner of that battle is going to be. Look, between Andrew Ryan and Jordan Putkins, what are we thinking? Probably a bit of an advantage to Putkins at this point?
I think maybe just a little bit better online. You've really got to make sure that you're giving the chase car something really solid to chase. That's the whole point of this battle. The chase car's got to do all the work to impress. But if the line's a little bit off and it's unpredictable, then it's very, very hard.
Yeah, it is very hard. So let's see what the Irishmen are not too far away. Mickey's already got onto us and made sure he knows he's watching us on the live.
Good on him.
It's about 2 a.m. over there in Ireland, so he's doing a good job staying up late on a Saturday night. Not that he's not used to that, I don't think, when he was in Australia.
Yeah, well, that's it. He's a character for our crew, and we love having you on board, mate, so good on you. But loaning a drift car to another competitor and then going out and doing a first battle in a car that you've never driven is brave.
It's commitment, isn't it?
It is brave.
You just don't know how many repairs are possibly going to happen now. If something doesn't go right for you, you can actually take out the owners of the vehicle's opportunity, I suppose, in this championship. But we see it in drifting, the camaraderie really so many times over many, many years where someone drops out and someone just goes, mate, take my car.
The amount of time it's like, here, throw the keys, there you go and have fun, go and do battle, and I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could drive someone else's car in competition, but
this is not a forgiving sport either, because when it goes right, it's great and it puts on a fantastic spectacle for the crowd. We get really pumped up and excited, but when it doesn't go right,
and we've seen that in the past. You hop in a borrowed car and obviously something doesn't go right. This is Thane Lilly. Looks like a buy run.
Now, he had Kurt Dunn, actually, when it came to the ladder. So I think Kurt Dunn is officially out. He's not going to make it. I am hearing word that is going on the two-trail race. So Thane Lilly going to get a free run, I suppose, through the top 16 into the top 8. But why not take this opportunity? Jordan Sanderson already said it before. Yep. We've had a little bit of rain, so the track conditions could be a little bit different to what they experienced in practice earlier.
Yep, and look, Thane being able to go out and at least bust a few more laps in these conditions, the day is changing. The cloud cover is well and truly over. A bit of moisture on the surface. You want all of that time to be able to sit down and just know in yourself, the confidence in yourself, how fast you can throw it into turn 1, how much angle you can hang on to and not fall off the backside of the circuit. All right, the next two competitors lining up for battle. Ben Brentnell in the S13. Big air cleaner hanging out the bonnet, so a big V8 powered S13. Up against Burjo, Adam Burgess. So like we were saying in the intro, Burjo used to drive a BA Falcon that was all set up for drifting.
And that's what he said, very different. You had the weight of the car pushing you around.
Car.
And you've gone to, well, what's a very popular chassis over in Europe as well, the E36 BMW. We've seen what people have been able to achieve with the BMW chassis in drifting. It's a very short wheelbase compared to the Falcon. Different power, I suppose. He's gone to an LS option, which he said, I'm going to upset a few people because I've gone down the traditional road, I suppose, now of drifting, where you put an LS in something.
Yep.
But he's done that in the BMW, very different to the Barra-powered BA Falcon that he had before as well.
But he has been driving really well. So, I mean, you know, he's had a chance to drive it. He's a Sydney sider, so he's had a chance to do a few test days in Sydney and then bring it out to the Hi-tec event. And, yeah, he's doing very well.
It's been 18 months since he's actually thrown a car sideways. In the meantime, obviously, out of his shop Advan Performance, they have a lot of BMW circuit racing, which is what he's used to. So he's had to change his style of driving out of the drift seat for 18 months. And here we go. Ben Brentnell will lead us out on this in the S13, and it's not looking too bad. This drone shot really giving us a good vantage point of how far they are off that ripple strip and how much angle they're carrying through it.
Absolutely fantastic shots from the drone pilot. We love you. We love the fact that we can get these images to everyone. We can see what's going on. But yeah, Ben Brentnell in the lead, metre off the inside clip. That was ideal. Same with the mid part of the circuit. So he put down a really good lead run to be able to give something to chase.
Yeah, we'll check out the Tri-Ace replay here, and you can see just stands on the loud pedal. The car starts to drive away. Burgess, though, stays with him nicely, emulating him through this final corner, but it's these big clipping zones. You can see he pushes it all the way out there. Burgess not quite as wide, sort of stuck in the smoke as well. In the meantime, let's catch up with Cookie very quickly.
Yeah, Sam, bit of confusion on the start line. What's happened and what's being sorted out about it?
Oh, a little bit of confusion out there. I wasn't actually aware we were using the light at the front. I couldn't see the thing where it was sitting. It was sort of off to the side, and then the light went green. Only Kieran could see it, and he was gone. And before I really got the chance to go, like, I didn't even have the car in gear yet. I wasn't quite ready, but they're going to let us rerun our first run, so that's good.
All right, so perhaps the greens go, mate. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay,
go.
Look, just hold the mic up taller because you're a bit short there for Mudgy Cookie, all right? Like, he's a tall boy. I don't know how he slips into an S13, really. That seat's probably about 4 inches further back than anyone else.
Just fold him up in half and pop him in the driver's seat. But, yeah, the start line light. Yeah, if you're not ready to go, I'm like, come on, mate, you've got to get that thing in gear. We're here to battle.
Yeah, looking for that, obviously, just trying to make sure that they get their opportunity. We don't want to really hinder anyone that might... It's a judge sport. It's not like circuit racing where we've got these very finite rules that you really have to adhere to. We've got our own set of rules, and of course, if someone can't see the light, that's very hard for them to make sure they can have that competitive start. And here we go. Adam Burgess is going to lead us down the Advan BMW, and look, a lot more pace than we see from Ben Brentnell. Manages to push the BMW quite a bit in front. He's probably got 2 car lengths on him at some point there. We'll see if Brentnell can really close this up, sacrifice a bit of... Oh no, a straight in there from Burgess. That's really going to hurt him in the scores.
Just watching his lap coming out of the gate, I'm like, this guy's gone flat out. That's probably one of the fastest takeoff from the gate and into turn 1 that I've seen Burjo do so far today. But then some kind of error somewhere between turn 2 and 3. There might have been a bit of rubber pickup off his front tyre. You see a bit of rubber fly off here just coming through turn 2. There's a lot of debris on the circuit. Did he lose a bit of steering? Yeah, he's just had to change it. Oh, that's so frustrating. He's been putting in some absolutely solid laps and then just seemed to lost front steering.
It didn't look like he transitioned too late there at the end. We were talking about that when the drivers briefing earlier after practice yesterday. They said if you transition too early, you'll never make that out of clipping zone and get that full fill zone there. Like, that's the problem's going to be. You need to transition a little bit later.
Yep.
So maybe just on the verge of a little bit too early there, and then preempting the fact you're not going to make it and trying to get the car out wide. And the car grips up, remembering that he's going between 2 different setups. He's going in Pro-Am where you're running a semi-slick on the front and a radial tyre on the back, and then he's going to go into Pro where he runs semi-slicks front and back. So he's going to have to sacrifice something. Does he want to, perform really well in Pro-Am?
Yeah.
And leave those settings? You're not going to have a lot of time. Maybe it's a couple of click adjustments there on the shock. You're going to be okay. But if they've got to change toe in, toe out, things like that, they're going to keep it for the Pro setup.
Yeah, you definitely set the car up for Pro and just expect the car to be a bit greasier or a bit slipperier with the radial tyre on the back. But maybe that's the thing, is he's expecting more drive from the car after practicing with the semi-slicker tyre. Didn't have as much drive and then, had to recorrect. But you're right, so that last corner, you can see it really clearly. It is a full zone, and you can see the ripple strip that we want to get them. They've got to be drifting that whole length of that last ripple strip. So we're expecting to see tyre smoke all the way up that hill. Because it is an uphill part of the circuit, it's easy to be on the full noise.
Sean Mickelhatton will lead us out this time, and he's in a borrowed car, and how good is that of his mate to make sure that he can make it out there in Colin Keogh's S15. Bright green, can't miss that one getting around. So look, big shout out to Colin Keogh if he can lend his mate, throw his mate the keys and go, you know what, go the luck of the Irish. Here we go. Let's lead them out and get underway with this next top 16 battle. And it's going to be Mark Matikic right behind in the LS powered 180.
Just look a little bit from Mark in the chase there, just look a little bit slower on initiation. Didn't quite get the car sideways right at turn 1. And that's such a hard thing. As soon as you're unsteady coming through turn 1, it makes the rest of the circuit so hard to catch up and get yourself into the right flow and rhythm. This is a really flowy right-hand, left-hand, right-hand circuit that if you mess up turn 1 and you're struggling to get going, it's so hard to recover because it is so flowy.
Let's have a look at the Tri-Ace replay now as they go around. A little bit straight in there maybe as he came in. It wasn't really good for Sean. I mean, first time driving this car out on track. He hasn't had a chance to do any practice in it. Doesn't do too bad a run. It is fast as well. Look how gripped up that is. Remembering Sean was our number 4 qualifier in the Zoo Performance Pro-Am, so it'd be really upsetting to see him go this early as we already move on to our next battle, and of course it's going to be Corey with a J.
Jory Breakoff from Victoria up against Nicky Bling in the BMW, looking like a little bit all over the place for Nicky Bling. We'll come back to that, but Jory in the lead. He packed the, what did we say? We packed the lunch table on the back of that S13, so you've got somewhere to take a seat and have a bite to eat. It's an enormous wing.
He's changed the wing in the off-season, and I thought it was just a bit of a gimmick, but when you actually have a look at it, they've got adjustment levels on that, so they've actually made it so they can adjust it for different things. I don't know how it's going to go on the trailer on the way home, how much it's going to push down. Unfortunately for Nicky Bling in the background, that's unfortunate for him. The car had a straight in there, maybe a little bit too gripped up for this chase run there. Jory Breckhoff, though, did a nice run there, and he's packing a reasonable amount of horsepower with that SR20. Got about 350 kilowatts at the wheels, and they're pushing hard. Remembering he's 1-to-1 in 5th gear in that car, so they're really struggling with wheel speed because they're pushing hard, top gear in 5th, and hitting limiter.
Yeah, that's an impressive position to be in. If you're in the driver's seat, you're in the maximum amount of gear you've got, and you're trying to hit all these specific spots on the track, and you've got someone sitting right behind you. It's nerve-wracking. You've got to perform. The margin for error is so small.
Mark looking much more comfortable in the lead. Big speed, but we have that bobble at the moment there. He's in, pull the handbrake, and then the car straightens up. We'll see what Sean Mickelhatton can do behind. Can he really catch up in that proximity? Mark, he's led away, but there's a big moment at the start of this run, and we'll have a look at it on the Tri-Ace replay because that could be the difference, really, when you think the back half of the run was really good.
Yeah, so leading out, he seems very confident getting away from the line, but again, he's grabbed the handbrake on initiation, but then might have just been a bit too early. He's had to drop the handbrake and sort of re-steady the car. It's just, it would rattle you. It would rattle your brain to be able to, you've just taken out turn 1, you've got to re-initiate. But Sean, in a borrowed car, was doing a very solid run.
Yeah, he didn't quite keep up with him at the start, went wide on the first corner, but look, Mark there didn't quite fill those outer clipping zones in the last 2 there we saw, zone 5 and 6, so it's a tough one for the judges, but this is the difference where we talk about now. We've got a judge now just for angle, a judge for line, and a judge for style, so they'll look at the run as a whole, I suppose, in style, and look for those things like that error at the start's really going to hurt your style points.
Yeah, it's turn 1 you've got to get right. You've got to get turn 1 right. If you're making a little error going over the finish line or a little error in not quite finishing the last zone, that's only a very small deduction, but you've really got to get the entry point 100% spot on.
Yeah, so it looks like it's starting to marble up out there on track 2, a lot of them, which will make it slippery for the drivers. We'll see how Nicky Bling goes in the lead though in this E46 Zoo Performance BMW.
He's used to going a lot faster. He's set that car up for a lot of speed and a lot of horsepower and a lot of grip. As you said, it's a very, very serious car. BSC engine, winner's diff under the back of it, the whole lot. It's got a lot of forward momentum and drive, but it looked like he struggled in his chase. But as a lead run, not too bad.
Yeah, at the start there was a big bobble here, and you can see it really upsets Jory, and this is what they'll have to look at. If he's upset the chase car's run, there'll be a big deduction. This first corner he comes in, I'm just telling you, look, it straightens there.
Yep.
Big straighten right on the apex too, in that clipping point. It's not too bad from there. Goes a little bit wide at this point, gets back on the power, but it's upset the chase car. So how do you then disadvantage the chase car when it comes to judging?
Yeah, well, that's spot on. So it's very specific. You've got to hit the line so that the guy behind you is confident. They know that they can put the car in that spot and we're not going to have a major incident. And shutting the door on turn 1, again, as we said, turn 1, we've really got to get that right because it sets up the flow of this circuit.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge disadvantage in the scoring there for Nicky Bling. We'll wait and see what the judges actually think, because they're the ones that make the decision in the end, and we have to find out exactly how they dissect that, and hopefully we catch up with them just a little bit later. But this afternoon we are underway with our Zoop Performance Top 16 in Pro-Am at the moment, our Top 16 for the Hi-tec Oils All-Stars Pro category, not too far away. And look, the big names we've lost, Brodie Marr is out. That is a mechanical issue in that car. I mean, he had major mechanical issue yesterday with a diff issues, and then they fixed that overnight. They managed to get parts out of Melbourne and drive that. So, hours and hours of people getting parts and helping them out. And then today he gets another, 4 laps in, and we see the shaft on the throttle body go, which is unique because it's a unique throttle body to him. No one else in the field has one.
Yep.
They actually looked between him and Kurt Dunn. I'm getting word that they said if ours fits, you can borrow it, but it's different size, different plenum setup. It's all different.
And then the conversation went back the other way when Kurt's turbo went. They asked Brodie, I'm like, hey, can we use your turbo? And the turbo's obviously enormous on the side of that, on that billet block. So, a couple of freak things to go wrong as well. So, having the diff go out in practice, that's one thing. They were in the shed until, I think it was about 11 o'clock last night. But the throttle plate, I've not seen a failure like that before. And we just saw him rolling along the back of the circuit. We just thought, that guy's had such bad luck coming into this round. It's so stressful, just so unfortunate.
The absolute thrash they've had to get that here. I mean, if you check out his YouTube on Brodie Marr, he's puts it all up there. He doesn't hide anything too much on there. And just 3 weeks out, they stick it on the dyno, drops a valve. Now, it's not the matter of fixing it. I mean, they've had to get the parts, which just aren't available in the world at the moment. It's so hard to get those things, and you're not talking about a standard SR20 head. You're talking about he's got a billet motor. It's custom made. They put stainless steel valves in there. I don't know how they got hold of them, but they did. They managed to get it there, get it tuned, and within moments it's straight onto the trailer and it's getting on a barge to come over to the mainland. So look, tough week for them, but let's hope they can bounce back in round number 2. In the meantime, let's head down to Cookie.
Yeah, Scott, 350's not here. We've got the BMW here for round 1. Obviously plagued with dramas last year. Couldn't get it over the line in the off-season to get it out for round 1.
Yeah, no, we're still waiting on some pistons to come from America. So got the trusty 400 horsepower Beamer here. Broke the handbrake yesterday, the fan, the water pump, but we're here today just to have some fun and try to get some points on the board ready for round 2. So
yeah, and get a bit of a rain dance going on.
Hopefully.
Bring another 400 horsepower.
That's it, that's what we want.
All right, mate. Good luck.
Another 400 horsepower. We saw that little bit of rain we had earlier, and it just got that slight bit of grease on top. The oil comes out of the bitumen, that first rain in a long time, and that thing did pick up 400 horsepower, and he was hitting all those points. So,
isn't it? Yeah, it's funny that as soon as the weather can change, the master chef himself was on point. So it's not like he wasn't on point either in the dry. It's just he's really wringing the neck of the car with the tyre on the back of it to keep up and hit all the points. But yeah, we pull a little bit of grip out of the car and bring everyone down to that level, make water the equaliser on circuit, and it'll be very interesting.
Take the horsepower advantage away. Here we go. So we're going to rerun this one. This is our top 16 for the Zoo Performance Pro-Am at the moment. Now, we had the battle between Kieran Ratcliffe and Sam Mudge earlier, but Sam Mudge pulled up, did a little bit of a protest. Well, I don't want to call it a protest, but he said, hey, guys, I can't actually see that light over there. So I didn't get a chance to go. So we were going to rerun these guys for that one run where Sam Mudge didn't get his opportunity in the chase position. We saw Kieran Ratcliffe have a big advantage. Now, he went door to door with him really when Sam Mudge was in the lead. So
yes,
He's going to have to do some really tough decisions at the moment. How far does he want to push it? He's already got a fair bit of damage on that left-hand side of the car, Mudgy. He's repaired all the mechanical stuff in the background, all the steering from an incident a couple of weeks ago. But the panels are still looking a bit worse for where they're next on the list. While we wait for this battle to get underway, let's head down to Damien Cook.
Yeah, we got Brady here. Bit of a shattered day, mate. No race suit. We're all dirty. We're packing up the van to get back on the boat. How are you feeling?
Yeah, a little bit shattered. We put a lot of effort in to try and make it to here. Like, it's just been a crazy past few weeks, but I think today just wasn't our day. Had a bit of a Winton curse last time I was here. I also crashed into the wall and had a little bit of a horror weekend. So, yeah, we're just packing up now so we can hopefully have a few beers and watch the battles.
Yeah, no, I suppose bad luck, mate. It's only round one.
Exactly, yeah. Good luck to all the boys out there. I'll be fucking watching.
Kieran Ratcliffe leading us out in this rerun here. Now Sam Mudge is a lot closer this time around, but he has to go over the ripple strip on that final corner there to try and make that proximity up. And Kieran Ratcliffe, though, tough lead run.
Yeah, that's going to be a challenging one to call. I mean, we'll get out of the speed gate there. Kieran on the right, ready to head down the lane. Flicks across, very, very steady. It looks under control, very steady in the mid part of the circuit, which is what the judges want. And again, it's probably about half a metre off the inside ripple strip, which is not too bad. Pushes nice and wide, really getting into that outer ripple strip zone, and then flick back across the front of the circuit. Looked pretty tidy overall as a lead run, and Sam obviously had a fair bit of work to do.
He did have a lot of work to do, so Kieran Ratcliffe really stamping that down, saying, mate, we didn't need this run.
Yeah, no, I got this.
I dominated in the lead position. I really dominated. So we'll wait and see what the judges now. They'll have to do a bit of deliberation for that one, and we'll wait and get a result. In the meantime, let's head down to Cookie.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Brad, the guys were saying in the opening, it's good to see you back in the series. Had a little bit of a hiatus to your year off. Multiple series champion winner. It's great to have you back in the series. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling really good. Yeah, it was a bit weird to sit out last year. Felt a bit of FOMO sitting on the couch, but spent a bit of time with my young fella. But yeah, love the series. Love what George has done for drifting in Australia. So yeah, there was no question I had to come back this year, and yeah, just got the word. I qualified first now, so yeah, feeling good.
Congratulations, mate. So the eye's in already.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Thank you.
Well done.
That's great news there. The Zestino tyres. GT86.
First place qualifier.
First place qualifier, Brad Tui. I'm not surprised by that because he came out of the gate really strong yesterday in practice, and we were sitting upstairs and we said, no, that's the line. He's hit it straight away. His minor adjustments there. Great to have him back in the series. Well, Brad Tui, he's a wealth of experience, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to age him. Definitely don't want to age him. But yeah, he's certainly been around the Hi-tec Series since its inception, which is great. He only missed that 1 year last year. But it was as if he's never left. That was absolutely brilliant. His qualifying run was fantastic. His second one, I don't want to pick on him, but yeah, had a bit of a scrappy second one. But the banker first qualifying lap was phenomenal. It was absolutely fantastic, and he deserves P1.
Yeah, look, that's fantastic news to hear Brad Tui, our Hi-tec Oil's #1 qualifier for the pro category here this weekend at Winton Motor Raceway, round #1. He'll be looking to put a whole heap of points in the bag. Hopefully he can bring that home as well. Saxon Moyes isn't going to let him get away with it. I know they've got some clutch issues, but surely they are going to push on as well. He's a two-time champion, Brad Tui, and hopefully, can it be his year again? I mean, he spread them out. They're a few years apart. He's coming off an Australasian title last year as well, where he had a big win, and that was a tough competition as well, where he went up against the likes of Patrick Barleen, and so many other strong names as well that are here in this Hi-tec Oil Series.
It's been I get around and I see some other series, some of the more local series, but coming to this event, the phenomenal level that this series brings is just amazing.
Yeah, Benny Brentnall will lead us out at Adam Burgess. This might be a rerun possibly for a similar issue there. Looks like we are going to rerun this one, of course, the big air cleaner. Not moving around too much. He's just modulating that throttle nicely as Burgess goes wide in the background there and doesn't really stick in the line. Maybe an issue.
Almost disappears out of shot for us. We completely lost him out of shot. Ben Brentnall really getting it dialed out of the gate, flat down the back straight into this first initiation, and there he goes. So sets the car up on the handbrake, getting it steady, nice and dialed, meter off the inside clip, so perfect in his first corner. Second line, so he does shut the door a little bit on Burjo, so he's just lost himself a little bit there. That might have messed up Adam Burgess and sent him a little bit wide because he didn't have the room to be able to transition through the mid part of the circuit.
Yeah, really unfortunate there as we see Splash Smith on our screen there, and what a step up it is for him coming into the pro category in 2023, and Damien Cook's about to grab a word with him.
Yeah, we've got Flash Smith. Flash, we've gone up to Pro this year, full season, first year. How are you feeling?
The way the car handles with these semi-slicks on it's so much different than the Pro-Am tyres, and I feel like I have a lot more control and confidence driving the car. It goes where I want it to go, and yeah, it's really, really good.
How'd you go in qualifying? The car's like, you're getting your head around it properly now?
Yeah. I thought I did all right in the qualifying. I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah, I'm somewhere down the back or something, so unfortunately I'm going to go and battle my mate over here, Warwick. Yeah, so we'll go and have a bit of a battle and send it and see what happens.
No worries, mate. Good luck, Flash.
Great to have him stepping up into Pro, because in Pro-Am, the latter half of last year in the 2022 season, he did really well. We even saw him a #1 qualifier up in Queensland. So stepping up into Pro, not too many changes needing to happen on the car either. It was sort of on the edge of being a Pro car, so they've just really changed the setup of the suspension, put the semi-slicks on the back of it, and it's time to get plenty of power in the Derby 25-30 combination as well.
And look, it's a seat time and confidence with the sticky tyre and developing the setup. He was very, very aggressive in his qualifying sessions. He was very, very aggressive, which was good because you've really got to drive the car with that much grip in that aggressive mindset. But he did drop offline a little bit, and he certainly went for it, but just didn't quite hit all the right criteria to qualify up top.
And up against Warwick Hill. Now, last time he was in Queensland, he qualified number 1 in his car, and then he had to borrow Warwick's car to actually compete after some issues. So they're good friends, and this one's going to be very interesting. Adam Burgess takes off in this. Well, it looks like he's meant to be going the lead run, but he is going off. So either some issues for one of the car, maybe they called a 5-minute. We're not quite sure. We'll try and hear from our race director what is actually happening on track at the moment there, but we're going to release a few of our pro cars as well. So it looks like our top 16 run and done for the Zoo Performance top 16. We'll wait and get some results as soon as we can. In the meantime, our pro cars starting to head out on track now. We'll wait and see if we get a battle tree going up. Good to see Matt Grice back here as well. We spoke about that. He came on screen earlier, had a bit of a health scare and had about a year off. Had some open heart surgery as well. So to see him bounce back from that is fantastic.
When they were just talking about that earlier, I mean, open heart surgery, this is major stuff, and we just, full respect to the team. They took a bit of time, they regrouped, obviously spending some time in their business in Albury as well. But they've been up against it in the lead up to this event as well. They've been working on a car. They had a bit of electrical gremlins that the team were all working on. He was nearly ready to pull the pin and just say, look, I'm just going to miss round 1. But the team just rallied behind them. They got the wiring stuff sorted. They had it on the dyno on Friday. Before heading up this way. I mean, it's not so far for them to drive, but they had the car on the dyno. They were putting stickers on it in the shed. They just pulled all-nighters to try and get here to make sure they're here for round 1 at the home track, basically.
Yeah, I think everyone's rallied behind him as well. Like you say, the tune of the people that work for Matty in his workshop as well. He had a couple of weeks where he didn't even go into work. He just worked on the car every day at home in the shed. So they've been fighting hard for that, and it's good to see Gricey make it back out. He looked very comfortable in the car in practice yesterday, and a few minor adjustments, and it seems like they've got that on point at the moment. It's going to be a tough one, I think, this weekend. We really could see him step up. Remembering he's only done 1 round of pro before, and that was when we had COVID times. He came out and did the first round.
That's right.
We had COVID. It didn't happen. And then, of course, he had to have a break there while he had his, health scare.
Mm-hmm.
And he's back now behind the seat in the pros. He did really well in the Pro-Am the year before that, though. So getting up on the podiums many times.
And a lot more development in the car. I think they said sequential gearbox. Wisefab in the rear end as well, winner's diff in the rear end. So it's got a lot of new gear, and with virtually no testing time, it was, roll it off the trailer and let's go drifting. Phenomenal work.
And I think that's it, like what they punish these cars, the stresses they put on the chassis, the gearbox, the diff, everything like that, to be able to come out with a freshly built car and not have issues so far. It's credit to him and his team behind the scenes. But Glenn Omerod not too far from coming out on track again. As I'm just trying to see, is that Ben Hodges there?
Looks like Ben Hodges.
Looking in his side mirror there, look at that's a face for radio.
So he's so calm, he's so chill and relaxed, and the car present, like we said before, car presentation's fantastic. He's ready to battle. He's going to be doing good things. Don't want to call it too soon, but
he's in the zone.
I'm impressed. Yep.
Connect Electrical 86 there of Glenn Omerod is lined up and looks like we'll be the lead car out in this first battle in the Hi-tec Oils Pro category.
And this is Josh Collin in the purple 180SX, stepping up from Pro-Am. Had some mechanical issues yesterday, but yeah, just went straight into it. And yeah, at least this is about his only couple of laps that he's had on.
Oh no, Glenn Olmerod. Something's happened. He is driving off the track as well. So Glenn Olmerod goes straight off. I hope there is nothing too wrong with that car. We know that they got a new engine on the way. This one's a little bit old and tired. Wow.
Yeah, well, again, we were just standing there having a conversation before the opening of the event, and you know, it was pretty cool. He was ready to go, and they said they were nursing a few little bits and pieces, but he gets off the line fine, and then as soon as he goes to initiate, he's taking the exit road. He goes, "That's it, I'm out of here." Looks like Josh's hatchback's popping up mid-corner as well. That's interesting.
You'll lose the shopping if you keep that unlocked. It'll fall out. Now, another one of our cars. Yeah, interesting story, isn't it? He hurt that car, did a drive shaft yesterday.
Yep.
Couldn't get it fixed in time and said, you know what, can I go in pro?
Can I just...
Because they've got qualifying tomorrow, I'll step up.
Yep.
And he has. Like, he's made it into the top 16. That is a big step up for him.
Massive effort. Imagine working on the car, getting virtually no seat time, and then I'm not even sure what tyre he's running under the back of it. But
so they're pushing. Is that oil coming? Or no, is that just marks on the ground from before? No, they're pushing that car, so he knows that's come off power. They've been on the edge of hurting that engine. In the meantime, let's get underway with our next battle. Of course, Scott Shembry in the Hi-tec Oils BMW going to be leading out. Matty Grice in the big VK. Can he put it on the door of Shembry here as we slide it into the first corner? The transition back, Shembry's really hitting those clipping points, isn't he? And putting on as much blazing of the tyres as possible in that 1J powered BMW.
Filling that outer zone on the last corner. Phenomenal first run for our pro class in the top 16. They both get away from the gate very similarly, heading off down the back straight. Shembry maybe a little bit more confidence into the initial initiation. But then peeking through the smoke. That's probably the first time we've seen drivers this close, being right on the loud pedal. Matty Grice is still right there with him, and it looked like he just dropped back on that last one, though.
Yeah, maybe going for line. Let's head down to Damien Cook.
Yeah, we got Glenn with us. Glenn, you look really shattered, mate. What happened? Took off the line and just aborted.
Yeah, didn't qualify the best and went to enter turn one, and as soon as I trucked it in, the gearbox just said goodbye. So, a bit unfortunate. We put a lot of effort into this car, and yeah, we'll be back round two with a new gearbox then.
Yeah, maybe that's the new engine might be going on hold for a bit, mate. Look, it's only round one. We got the cobblers out, get into round two. Keep your energy going.
That is unfortunate news, and after all the talk about him getting a new engine, saying this one's a little bit tired, and we just, we don't want to push it too hard at the moment. It's a gearbox that lets him down.
Well, that's just it. They've got the second engine being built now. They were talking about a sequential gearbox. Did he jinx himself and brought all of that stuff forward? But now it's going to be an engine and a gearbox by the looks of things.
I'm sure they'll work hard really to get that in. You can see the disappointment on his face. That's very unfortunate for Glenn Olmerod, and look, he's going to have to sit it out and see what everyone else can do. The hardest part, I think, about when these sort of things happen at a race meet is, do you just pack it up and get out of here? Like, everyone wants to support all the other drifters. They won't do that, but do you just pack it up and go and sit on the hill and enjoy the afternoon? Or, oh no, we're seeing other issues here. Scott Shembry, or is he just too far forward?
We're using a lot of people power this weekend. We don't want to use too much people power. We want to use horsepower this weekend, guys.
There's going to be a big disparity, I think, in speed here now. Watch Matty Grice. How far can he try and gap Scott Shembry? Because we know he's got a lot more power, and with that new Winter's rear end and Weissap in the rear, it squats and goes. Here we go. Shembry's not letting him go anywhere in the Hi-tec Oils BMW as Matty Grice throws it in. Couldn't quite see how close he was in that corner here. Now you can see a metre off, nice proximity, but he's leaving behind Scott Shembry. The Master Chef is putting on a show behind, but Matt Grice blazes those tyres through the final clipping points.
Yeah, wow. Really, really deep into that last zone, though, so he might have just gone a little bit too far offline, but it's probably only a very small deduction. The whole point is Shembry stayed really quite close with him, all things considered. I actually thought the same thing. I thought, really, the VK's got a lot of side bite, a lot of forward momentum, and he'd be able to drive away. But take nothing away from Scott Shembry. He is a fierce competitor and will thrash the guts out of that BMW.
He is giving it everything that BMW's got, really. Yep. Pushed it to the limit to try and keep up with a much bigger horsepower car as Sam Mudge is out on track, and maybe this is a mechanical run. He was going to compete in the Pro as well, but I don't think we would have left someone know. It just looks like he's getting a mechanical lap, and there may be an issue with the car. They want to check something out.
Yeah, look, Drifting's hard on cars, guys. You know, anyone watching at home that thinks they want to get into this sport, you've got to be prepared. These cars do get punished, and especially in competition. It's one thing to develop a car for just fun driving and just going out there and having a good time, but these competition cars really do get lent on very, very hard, and trying to do double duties across 2 categories or back-to-back rounds in 2 different weeks, that's such a stress on the driveline and all the components.
We'll wait and see. Our next battle is going to come up. Well, obviously, we saw Benny Hodges just drove off the track there as well. It's going to be Benny Meir now taking on Colin Keogh in this next one. Benny Meir will lead us out. The Queensland, well, he's not in Queensland, sorry, New South Walesman, Newcastle man.
Yes.
There's a lot of work up there. He's left the highlights of the V8 supercars up there to come down here and join us at the 2023 Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series. The 311 Motorsports car takes off now.
All right, into turn 1, Benny Meir sets it up and goes full noise, full send into turn 1. It looks like he's corrected the steering just a little bit coming into turn 1, but the line he's recorrected and got back on point for turn 2. Sitting it out nice and wide into that outside zone, and then full noise up the hill as he comes past our tower. Car sounds absolutely fantastic, but it was definitely an error on turn 1. It looked like a bit of a correction. We'll see it back here on the replay. Setting up for turn 1. There it was. So the setup was fine. Getting through the mid part of the corner, there was a big correction. You saw the front wheels wash out a little bit. Colin be able to sit there right behind him, pop out through the smoke. And there was a bit of an error from the chase driver as well. So they're both just that little bit scrappy. Whether the cloud cover is looking very ominous. I don't know whether anything's changed out there. All the fans haven't got umbrellas up just yet. So yeah, it was both just a little bit all over the place, just a little bit scrappy.
Just having a look, it looks like our top 24 being run for the Hi-tec Oils Pro category at the moment. We didn't get that run before lunch like we thought we would before the coverage. So a bit of a bonus for those of you watching us at home or wherever you are watching us around the world. A bit of a bonus, you're going to see the top 24. We didn't quite have 24 cars entered, and we are just trying to break them down to the top 16. Scott Shembry and Matty Grice. We'll wait and see as they get backed up. And in the background we can see Adam Burgess is back there. So not quite sure if that's going to be a pro category battle as well.
Yeah, he was doing double duties, I think. Yes. Yep. Very impressive to see people be able to come out, dust the car off. Okay. So what we've had a call, one more time for Matty Grice and Scott Shembry. So the Hi-tec Oils BMW going to be in the lead. Gricey's Automotive Workshop VK in the chase.
I'm not really surprised by that because there was... Both of them had their good points and both of them made some errors there. Different points of the track, but Scott Shembry throwing everything he can in that, you know, the underdog, I suppose, that car with not as much horsepower on board. Let's see how Gricey goes, though. Can he really push the VK at the moment? We'll wait and see, waiting for him to get underway. Maybe we're just having a look.
Just got a recovery. There's a recovery over the backside of the circuit, so we'll sort that out. Get safety back in check. Obviously, thank you to all our guys, all the crew, digging cars out of the gravel traps and everything else that they do.
Don't we have some fantastic people behind the scenes here that just make it happen? All of our crew on ground as well, our starters, our safety crew, our recovery crew, everyone behind the scenes. We do need to thank them. It's a couple of big days when they've been out in the sun here at Winton Motor Raceway, supporting everyone when it comes to motorsport, and they do not just the high-tech drifting, but many other forms of motorsport here at the track. So we'll wait and see. We're just waiting for these guys. They'll be sitting there. Imagine sitting in the car there at the moment, Tony, and you just thought, we're going to go a rerun. They would have loved every moment of that battle, really, those two drivers.
Yeah, those guys, obviously very fierce competitors, and Gricey back in the seat, getting a feel for it. I can see that he'd be smiling, having a good time. Shembry's just such a character as well. He'd just be like, let's go, let's get into it.
Oh, if he gets another battle, he's happy. If he goes out, but the more battles he gets, the happier he is. He is really pushing the limits of that car. But he likes it. He said it's really stable, the platform, the chassis set up really well. He said, but I do want more horsepower. That's the only thing I miss from the 350 is the horsepower.
Wonder if we can take the engine package out of the 350 and plonk it into that BMW and just see how we go from that.
All right, let's see the rerun about to happen here at Winton Motor Raceway for round number 1 of the Hi-tec Oils Pro category. We're trying to cut them down to the top 16 at the moment. Shembry leads us out in the Hi-tec Oils. BMW over Matt Grice and the Gricey's Workshop VK Commodore.
Big angle, massive angle from Scott Shembry into turn 1. Getting through turn 1 absolutely perfectly on line. Turn 2 spot on as well. It's amazing that Gricey can see absolutely anything from all of that tyre smoke coming out of the BMW. What a solid run. It's like, okay, you've got your ticket now. Here's your rerun. Good luck. Catch this.
Well, Shembry is one half of the Blaze unit, isn't he? And he did blaze those tyres. Let's check out the Try Ace replay at the moment. He pushes it every little bit of horsepower he can, the BMW. The transition back in Gricey has a straight in there in the background. I'm not quite sure if he'd lost where the car was and didn't quite get it right. Very scared to push the car back, didn't want to make contact maybe.
There's a lot of smoke in the midway part of that corner, so whether he sort of come offline a little bit, this track is very well known for being lost in the smoke and then having to pop out and get onto that door can be quite dicey for Gricey.
Nicely, I like it. We got the puns. We got the puns going this early in the stream.
We'll get them rolling. That's okay.
Well, they will go around again, and of course, Gricey will get his opportunity to lay down the lead run and see what Scott Shembry can bring. Can he put it door to door with him? Can he really challenge him in that little underpowered BMW? We'll wait and find out. That's about to happen as they drive around the track. In the meantime, we see Adam Burgess going off. And Ben Brentnall, so they've done their battles as well. We'll wait and see what the judges. Top 24, we had about 20 cars in there today, so we've got to get rid of we've got to get rid of 4 cars. So that's why we've got these battles happening at the moment. We'll wait and see how that all pans out before we move on. Looking at Brad Toohey, our number 1 qualifier, is already going to go through, and we do have some qualifying results up here as well. James Abbott is our 2nd qualifier, not surprised there. Roger Anson is in 3rd.
Driving very well.
Now, we normally see him down in South Australia, competing at the South Australian Series. I've seen him up in the Northern Territory. He's recently moved up there. He's got some work up in the Northern Territory. So he's travelling between the two and taking on the pro categories here in Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series as well in 2023.
That's a lot to take on, I guess, moving so far away, with your work and life commitments and everything else, and then, committing to the pro category, but come out online doing everything spot on. It was a car that I'm based here in Victoria, so I haven't seen the car all that often, just at the local events, but really impressive driver, really cool to watch.
Consistent, I would say. He's super consistent. He just manages to hit those points every time. Not the flashiest driver, I suppose, when it comes to style. You don't see like the mad angle and the really pushing the limits of the car. He does what needs to be done. He ticks the boxes for the judges and just does it lap after lap after lap now. Com Keogh pushing that car in now. That is doing double duties, remember, also in Pro-Am there for Sean Michael-Hatton as well. So they'll be interested. Now you've got 2 crews to work on the car, not 1.
Is that going to help? Is it going to hinder? Was there a gear shift out of whack? Or is there... We'd love to find out a little bit of info about what's happened to the car. We can't blame Sean. He drove the car really well, all things considered. But we'll go down to Cookie now and we'll have a look and hear what is going on.
Yeah, Carl, you've done the gentleman thing, gone double duties, given Sean a drive of the car, but she's come back being towed in. What's the problem?
Yeah, we just broke just a drive shaft. We just have a few issues. We just need to do a stronger drivetrain. We'll try to fix it for Sean now and get him back out. That's all we can do.
No worries, mate.
Sean can bring it home.
So, get the boys on it.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Thank Colin.
Here we go in the rerun now. Gricey leading us out. And look, he puts down that big turbo LS power there and blazes the tyres. He was fast through the middle section of that run. We'll check it out on the Tri-Ace replay here. Look at him move away. Scott Shembry doing everything he can. That is foot to the firewall now. Let him throw it in. He really gets on the door. Shembry doesn't want to let him go anywhere, and Gricey just has to hit the loud pedal. That car grips up and just starts to drive away.
But even just looking through the passenger, even looking through the window just there, he looks pretty comfortable in it. He's just getting it done. Both the drivers took off. Shembry actually in the chase got tucked right in behind on turn 1. Sat there on angle. It was a really good setup into turn 1, and that just allowed for a nice flowy course. It looked great.
You see Shembry maybe sacrificed a little bit of angle in that. Didn't want to go as much angle. He knows the speed of Gricey's car. Gricey looking very comfortable though when he's in the lead run. Here we go though, Flash Smith stepping up into pro this year, and Warwick Hill behind him. How will they go into the first corner?
Flash lights him up, and he's been lighting him up all weekend, and that looks pretty good. It might have just gone a little bit too deep, so that's a part of turn 1 that's just a little bit of a challenge. And Warwick right on his tail. That's about the closest I've seen 2 cars so far this weekend. Right on his tail. So, wow, Flash might have just dropped over the backside of the track at turn 1. If you go that little bit deep, it throws you off, and you come out of balance.
We'll have a close look on the Tri-Ace replay now as they go in. He pushes wide, doesn't he? He's way off that clipping point there, and Warwick Hill has to adjust his line. I mean, he's using that car as a mobile clipping point at that point. You see him tuck it in, though, Warwick Hill there, as they transition back, and he's tucked him on. A little bit of a straight in there from Warwick, but he's thrown off line early in the run. The judges take all that into consideration.
Yeah, that's it. So you lose the flow and the momentum of this circuit if you go too deep into turn 1. and then you end up driving straight across into turn 2 and then having to reinitiate. So that was the time when Warwick had to sort of hang back, and because he was online, he was doing everything right. He was on the power. He switches and then he's right into his door, and he would have had to pull out of the throttle there a little bit as well. So it just makes for a really challenging run if you mess up turn 1.
So Sam Mudge, who stepped it up into both categories here this weekend, thought, you know what, I'll have a go at this pro thing, and if I do it right, maybe I'll continue with pro throughout the series, or whether I'll stay in Pro-Am. But just wanted to get the feelers out there, I suppose, because he's a super competitive driver, and we know that he really can take it up to some of these guys who've been around for many, many years. Ben Hodges alongside him, another one from Pro-Am. He stepped it up definitely this year, all thanks to Zoo Performance and Link ECU, and Hodges will lead us out.
Here we go into turn 1. Benny Hodges on the initiation, getting it nice and settled on some moderate level lock. Like he's got a lot of lock there, but he sat on moderate level lock, got it sorted through turn 1. On the loud pedal though, absolutely dialed. That's what we want to see. By the time he got settled at turn 1, flying through the rest of the circuit, hitting those clipping points through the middle part, and I don't know if Sam Mudge could see a single thing.
He's definitely struggling with vision there at the moment. Doesn't want to let him go anywhere. The screamer pipe out through the bonnet, trying to be a bit intimidating, I think, to the other drivers there as he sticks through right on that back corner there. You see Hodges just has a little bit more pace with the 2J, starts to pull away a little bit, but Sam Mudge sacrificed a little bit of line over the ripple strip there. Doesn't let him get too far away, though. He really emulated him nicely through that middle section of the drift.
Benny Hodges really controlled that run. He really solid controlled that run.
Let's head down to Damien Cook.
Yeah, Adam's in on a 5 minute. He's having problems with the car turning right. It's actually shutting down. They've just pulled the filter out, and she's full of foam. So you can see sort of in the hand here, it's not very happy. So hopefully they can get that sorted and get as much foam as they can and get back out on the track. But
always a problem with that foam in the fuel, especially if you're running E85 and methanol. But here we go. Let's go back to this battle. Warwick Hill leading out over Flash Smith, and Flash Smith trying to maintain the speed of Warwick Hill's BMW. Doesn't do too bad a job either, Flash Smith.
Looks like Warwick Hill's having a good time. Flash Smith's having a good time. They got their hand out the window, giving each other a bit of a thumbs up coming over the straight. But Warwick Hill's entry into turn 1, the snap transition to lock. Have a look at this, ladies and gents. That is a big flick to angle, and he's sitting on a lot of angle coming through turn 1. Switch back through turn 2. Flash just pokes out behind the smoke, sitting there right with him. Then the switch back through and up into the final zones. Looks pretty good from here. It looks pretty good, and yeah, both drivers. I mean, Flash just couldn't quite catch up. Maybe just a little bit lacking in horsepower coming up the hill in those last 2 zones.
Yeah, it wasn't. He stayed with him though through that first section there. Made sure he got the nose in there. Exactly what the judge wanted to see. Warwick Hill sat a metre off the ripple strip there with the front of the car, so Flash could really put the nose in. But when you get on the power coming out of that final corner, we are going to see the big horsepower cars with a little bit of an advantage there, especially if they've managed to wind the grip into it this weekend. But will conditions change? Because the clouds are everywhere. Here we go. Sam Mudge is going to lead us out now over Benny Hodges. He's already had to do the chase run. Can he get a win in this battle and go into the top 16 of the Hi-tec Oilers Pro category here at Winton, round number 1? Nice angle there from Mudge.
Yeah, Sammy Mudge, very aggressive on turn 1. Big flick to angle. It looks like he's got to take it to Benny Hodges, because he knows that Benny Hodges put such a solid lead run down that Sammy's got to do the same thing.
You can see a bit of respect between the drivers, isn't it, when they get the arms? You know they've had a good time. Let's check out the Tri-Ace replay now as it comes up on screen. Mudge throws it in there. You see the big Mad Nat sticker on the back, and he gets a whole heap of angle. Transition backwards. He's right on it there too, and Hodges puts a nose in.
Yeah, he's left the door open. Yeah,
he's definitely given Hodges an opportunity. It's only this transition back there where Hodges has come a little bit unstuck, maybe a little bit close there. As Sam transitions back. That's what we want to see, a nice lead run, the opportunity there for the chase car to really put it on the door.
Yeah, no, respect to both drivers. Benny Hodges obviously in the lead, led out a really strong lead run, giving Sam the opportunity to do his thing. Sam doing the same thing, paying it back. So, you know, they're still working together a little bit. They're battling each other, but they're working together, and they were just 2 very impressive runs.
Great to see some of the crews still sitting around watching the live stream and making sure that they know what's going on, getting prepared, I suppose. If one of their fellow competitors comes in, they need to give them a hand there in the pit to get them back out. We'll wait and see if Adam Burgess can do that. In the meantime, let's catch up with Damien Cook.
Yeah, Mark, double duties today doing Pro-Am and Pro. The Pro car had a bit of a misfire this morning. We got that sorted?
The Pro car, yeah, it's sorted, mate. Went in limp mode. It got a bit hot. So new radiator cap seems to have fixed the problem, and yeah, ready to go.
Yeah, I guess it's all good to go. Got full power back again, cars dialed.
Yeah, full power, cars dialed and ready to send it, yeah.
Beautiful. All right, cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Well, great to hear that. He's got full power back and he's sorted. I think Mark actually brings down 2 cars with him. He actually has a pro level car as well as a Pro-Am level car, and he drives 2. I'm like, that's so awesome to be able to have multiple spares, multiple chassis to work in. But that's commitment to this sport. That's absolutely fantastic.
We see people who use one car and go between the categories that are, you know, trailer 2 cars down, 2 competitive cars as well. They're not registered vehicles. Keep the amount of tyres going, the fuel, everything else that you need to do with that as well. And to be able to compete on that level with the one set of crew, look, hats off to them. We know how busy the boys have been in so many other of the pit garages as well. So we'll, yeah, they're super busy down there making sure that all happens. And hopefully, look, hopefully they keep going on in the Pro-Am and in the Pro category. But if that happens, what are they going to do if they get to the end? They've got to turn that around super quick.
Yep.
Let's head down to Damien Cook, though, very quickly.
Yeah, we've got Jordan with us, a.k.a. Russell Coit. Normally has the bigger Cougar on, local boy. Only do a few events every now and then, but you always turn it on when you do, mate. You built the car yourself with your dad. How's it feeling?
Yeah, no, the car's great out there. Bloody track feels good, nice and quick. So, yeah, no dramas all weekend.
Yep. And you stepped up to Pro as well this round, so how you found that?
Yeah, no, I thought I'd have a go at Pro. Why not? Well, I'm here, and, yeah, did pretty good. Qualified 6, so we'll see how we go in top 16.
Yeah, and second in Pro-Am qualifying.
Yeah, second Pro in top 8 already, Pro-Am, so, yeah, going pretty good.
Good job, mate. Keep it rolling.
Love seeing the big smiles, don't we, of our competitors. They're enjoying themselves here for round number 1 of the 2023 Hi-tec Oils Drift Allstars Series. Let's have a look, though, at the battle tree at the moment. And this, is, of course, is for our pro categories. Of course, Brad Toohey will take on Warwick Hill in the top 16. Jordan Sanderson takes on Aaron Dwyer. Saxon Moy has made it through. Benny Meir will take him on, so he's got the win there. Matt Murphy went through, another one of our Pro-Am guys that have stepped it up. Will take on Benny Odgers there on the left-hand side of the tree.
And on the right-hand side of the tree, we've got James Abbott taking on Josh Collins. Chris Sadler taking on Pat Barley. Roger Ianson gets a bit of a bye, he gets a cruise through. Jordan Putkins taking on Scott Shembry.
So obviously Scott Shembry, the winner then of that battle between him and Matty Grice, but that's a big name to take out at the moment, isn't it? I have a look at some of those names there. James Abbott been in the series for a long time. Brad Toohey been in there a long time, got a couple of championships. Jordan Sanderson, though, big up and coming driver there in that V, as well as Patrick Barley. He's had some issues with the car, but they've had a little bit of time to fix that, obviously having the bye in round number 1. Let's have a look at some of the highlights, though, from previous runs today. You can see there, it was Benny Meir and Colin Keogh behind where they've had that drive shaft let go, which is very unfortunate. Now, we had a rerun between these two, and it was so close between Scott Shembry and Matt Grice here between the BMW and the VK Commodore now. And this is the deductions, like that big straight in there, is that a bigger deduction than we saw from the proximity in the next run as well. So as we go through these highlights, we'll see some of the reasons why the judges have made their calls, especially when we look at this year. You've got a judge for line, a judge for angle, and a judge for style.
Style and overall impact. So, you know, the overall impact of the run might have been quite good, but yeah, the critical lines of you know, some of the angle or some of the actual positioning on track, some of those critical elements are the things that they'll get deducted for.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame for Grice here. We know how pumped he was to be here after all the work the crew's put in. A big shout out to him and his crew. We hope they've had a good time. And look, round 2 is not too far away at Calder Park, the 6th and 7th of May. But here it is. Sam Mudge and Ben Odgers went at it as well. And this was a great battle between these two as well. Look how door-to-door actions they came through the final 2 points. And a straight in there from Ben Odgers just at the last moment. And, you know, so unfortunate. We wanted to see him go door-to-door the whole way, that proximity. The crowd love it. We love it.
One of the best battles we've seen so far. You know, a lot of respect from those two drivers. They've obviously given each other racing space. But yeah, absolutely fantastic start to the day. But we'll go have a chat with Cookie down in the pits.
Yeah, thanks, guys. One thing we all enjoy the smoke, and you know, the sport. You can see we use tyres. Have a look. I mean, these guys slave 2 days straight. You can see behind me, these tyres are around $150 to $200 each, and you're getting around 3 to 4 laps maximum. In battles, most guys will be doing a lead and chase and change tyres. So you can see here, this is an expensive sport, and that's, 2 days of sort of pro cars running around. We're not even at the end of the day yet.
Like we say, so many people behind the scenes there that help out. It's all to do with you've got to change tyres, and it's so hard. You can't just do that at track. Not everyone brings a tyre changing machine with them, and you can only bring so many rims. It's not like you're going to bring 20 or 30 rims with tyres on down here. Everyone runs slightly different compounds. They run different brands. It's great to have Tri-Ace on board with the Hi-tec Allstars Drift Series. We know a lot of competitors using the Tri-Ace tyre. Some people have their own sponsors. They want to change them up, so they're down here, obviously utilising our tyre fitters here for the weekend.
Yeah, they've been spinning tyres on and off all weekend so far. That pile, maybe the image didn't quite capture just how many tyres are in that pile. But Cookie's a tall fella. He's he'd be about 6 foot tall. And those tyre piles are nearly his size. And they go the entire length of the shed. And they're about 3 or 4 rows deep. There'd be nearly 100 and something tyres there already. And we're not even through all of our competition.
No, and we've still got plenty more run through today, and the more we see these reruns, the more we're going to go through those tyres, and that looks like a Adam Burgess car that has made it back out after pulling that foam out of the fuel tank. So unfortunate for him. We know how meticulous he is in preparing his cars. This is a new build for him for a drift car, but we know how many circuit racing cars he does. Clean car when you go over it, and for a moment there I was like, this is too good to be a drift car. Like, I've just, something's not right on this car, but I found a cable tie.
Yeah, the cable tie, yeah. No, well, look, builds a lot of high-end cars in Sydney. A bit of a shout-out to his business back in Sydney, Advan Performance, European car specialist, and I guess that's why he's probably got a lot of people around that he could scab parts off to build this car. Let's have a spare shell or whatever, and let's just assemble this. Let's retire the Falcon. Let's put it to bed, and let's build ourselves a BMW.
Well, I think when you step under the pro, like to change the Falcon, to strip it out, to put it, he does so many BMWs. It would have been a lot easier to do that. I'm sure he's got a few shells in the background of the shed there that he could convert. Smaller chassis too.
And pulling weight out of these cars, you need them to be light and nimble so they move around quicker. But yeah, the big Falcon's a bit of a heavy one. But we'll check out with Damien down in the pits again.
Yeah, cheers guys. The vet is back. If you want to rev it, shev it. Paddy Barley, how are you feeling today? We haven't seen the car out yet.
Yeah, it's been pretty up and down this week. And yesterday, car was absolutely on point. This morning it was starting to drop horsepower bit by bit, and it turns out the Dizzy was walking around a little bit and the fuel pump had started to let go, so she's all wicked up, ready to go now.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
Mark McTinnon in the lead, absolutely blazing his lead run and losing Adam Burgess in behind. It looks like a bit of a correction through the midway point of the part of turn 2 to turn 3 in that transition zone. It looked like Burgess maybe still having some dramas.
Let's check out the Tri-Ace replay though as McTinnon throws it in the S13. Burgess, I hope he's not having dramas with that fuel system again. He's super wide. They're lost in the smoke now. McTinnon's like, he's just pumping those tyres out at the moment, putting on a show there, making heaps of clouds. And that does affect the driving, doesn't it? When you've got that much smoke in front of you, if you don't really sit up on the inside of the car, get it in that chase position where you're out of the smoke line, so easy to be lost.
They call it in the pocket. You really want to get in that sweet pocket where your front wheel is forward or in line with the rear wheel of the other car, so that you've got maximum visibility. You can then pull out or you pull backwards a little bit for the transition. You let the car switch in front of you, and then you can dive back in again. But as soon as you're a couple of car lengths away, you are just in Smoke City, and it's just so hard to be predictable and so hard to... You're just guessing. You really don't know where that car is. And obviously, we want to compete, we want to do all these things, but, you don't want to completely destroy your car, write your car off.
Great to see all the safety harnesses that we're putting on with our Pro category there. You can see even running the Hans device there, which stops the helmet moving around too much in case of an accident there. He's got the arm restraints on as well, Paddy Barley. He really comes from that heritage from his family when it comes to speedway racing and sprint cars. They don't take anything for granted. They make sure they've got the full fire suits on as well. All the right gear there, and a lot of our drivers going down that path as well now. So it's great to see that the quality of the cars coming up, I suppose the safety features coming up, because these cars are getting very fast. You've got to talk about, we've shortened the run up here at Winton. I know a lot of people want to push back, but they're doing 150, 160 kilometres an hour entry speeds before they come into that first corner.
Yeah, well look, here you look at Queensland Raceway, when we go down to Tasmania, Symmons Plains, like some of the entry speeds on these corners are going to be quite, they're moving. They really are moving, and safety's no joke. So, the quality roll cages, the quality outfits, harnesses, the whole lot, it's a really important part of motorsport. We want to be safe, we want to get the adrenaline rush and have a good time, but safety is massive, massive part of our sport.
Let's have a look at Adam Burgess though as he leads out in this battle now. He gets his opportunity over Mark McTurnan. And Mark opened a big gap up on Burgess. What can he do in this time? Can he really lay it down? He does a nice lead run in that first corner there, sets it up. Oh, probably a tiny bit shallow, just so slightly shallow there. Not a huge amount of angle though as he goes to that fill zone. The final part, it's not enough angle for me, and he's not filling that zone, which is going to be a bit of a deduction there.
It's hard if we can't really tell if he's still battling, mechanical things, whether he's just in his head a little bit. But it looked like a real struggle for Mark McTurnan to be close to him if Adam's having those mechanical or confidence issues to be able to put the car where he needs to put it. But yeah, we'll check it out on the Trias replay one more time. Burjo throws it in on the handbrake, locks it up. Looks okay through turn 1 so far. On the loud pedal, yeah, he's coming through turn 2 a little bit tight. He's probably within a foot or within 30 centimetres or so from the ripple strip. Into the outer zone, it's not too bad. But yeah, it just looks like Mark really struggling to catch up or struggling to just be confident where to put the car, particularly if Burjo's got a few little issues or a bit of hesitation with that fuel supply.
It's all about trust in the driver alongside you, isn't it? A lot of there now. We're going to get a couple of thumping V8s up against each other. Jason Sanderson in the JM built VE Commodore Ute is going to go up against Aaron Dwyer. Dabs. Now, if you want to hear noise, I reckon these would have to be the two noisiest V8s out there on track. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how this is going to play out and whether they'll be able to see it all. It's just going to be extreme tyre smoke.
So I don't know if Jordan's actually driven with Aaron before. Aaron's car is an absolute monster. Take nothing away from Jordan, but like watching Aaron Dwyer come up the front straight and just clouds of tyre smoke before or earlier today. Jordan's really got to keep that VE as close as possible to the side door of Aaron Dwyer.
And there's not much VE left in it really. When you look at it, it's got some pedals. We spoke with him earlier. He goes, "Oh no, it's just got a huge V8. It helps with the power." Last year I was in Pro-Am and I just had the 6.2 LS3, and now he's got the BSC Performance 7.2 litre LS on board. He goes, it really helps you get into fourth gear and go through it. But no, they've done a lot to the suspension in the back. It's got a full dry sump set up. Take nothing away. It's not just a VE with a whole heap of power thrown into it. There's a lot of suspension changes in the background. You can see.
But they're talking about it. So chatting to them after qualifying earlier, they're going to pull some more weight out of that ute as well. So they've done all the development with the engine and the driveline. It's a very solid package. But all they need to do now is try and lighten that car up. And they've got, we've got fiberglass panels. We've got all this stuff coming. They're going to pull at least 100 kilos out of the weight of that ute and hopefully get it to rotate and transition a little bit quicker, a bit snappier.
Well, Aaron Dwyer, we don't need to say too much more. Let's say a lot about Dwyer because he builds a lot of the engines out here you see the guys use, and they get stressed out a lot, and he manages to get through them as well, and he's keen to go again for the 2023 season, but in the meantime, let's catch up with Cookie.
Yeah, cheers, guys. You can feel it firing up down here. All the big boys around on the track now. Nigella ready to play?
Nigella's absolutely cooking today. We've got no problems with the car. I told you before, I'm feeling a bit flat, but I'm just going to go out that same lap that I did for qualifying and then just put on a decent show in the chase and see what happens.
You'll be right, mate.
Just cool, calm and collected down there. One of our pioneers of the season, or the series, he's been with Hi-tec right from the inception of it all. James Abbott, the other half of the Blaze unit, Scott Shembry's teammate. And very, very keen to see that S15. Such a beautiful car, but on track right now. Jordan Sanderson in the lead, Aaron Dwyer chasing him down, and Aaron Dwyer is right there behind him, but he's just over-rotated in the chase. He's flicked the car so hard to catch up, and it's sitting over the ripple strip. Solid lead run by Jordan, but Aaron, big mistake in the mid part of the corner there.
When do we ever see that from Aaron Dwyer? He doesn't do it all in practice. You see him drive a few backward entries there, but let's check out the tri-ace replay here. And Sanderson throws it in, nice bit of angle there as he and Dwyer puts the pressure on too, goes door to door, and as they transition back, it just comes around on him, and once you grab that ripple strip, it's really putting the shocks through their test.
Look, I'm going to say that sitting behind that ute, it's a solid ute. It sits there. It's really quite a slow car to transition. So maybe Dabs just thought, hey, I'll flick in nice and early to try and catch up, and he didn't realise how much tailgate was still there to move across the track, and he's had to either pull out of it so he didn't collect the rear tail lights or the tailgate. So, yeah, uncharacteristic mistake by Aaron.
I think that's the best way to describe it there from Dewar. But look, now we're going to turn around. That's really going to push Dabs because you know he's going to put the foot to the floor. But let's go on with our next battle. Saxon Moyes, who was right up in the qualifying, the young gun taking on Benny Meir, and look at the gap he's opened up. The clutch issues, well, just pull it out, put it in top gear and hold it flat and let the 2J sing. Here we go. We push through this next section. Saxon Moyes doing a nice job through those pushing points, and he's filling it out of zone with plenty of tyre smoke there. Probably just straightens a little bit early at the end there.
Look, Benny Meir's not a slow driver, so Saxon obviously come out full guns blazing to get away from that line. Whether Benny Meir's had a bit of a misshift, didn't quite get away as fast, but yeah, Saxon came out red hot. Looks fantastic through the mid part of the circuit. Both switches have been quick, aggressive, pushing out nice and wide, sitting right there on the ripple strip, and then back up this, just leaves Benny Meir for dead.
He's been quick in the last 2 rounds of last year as well, Saxon Moyes. I mean, a year in drifting, only done 2 competitive rounds with us. Star of the future, really, and he's just very relaxed, I think, under the pressure of the mechanical issues. I would expect him to be a bit more nervous, but he threw it on the line to get back underway with this battle. Dewar in the lead now, and he's not going to leave anything on the table. You know what? He's got nothing to lose. Push it super hard and leave him in the tyre smoke. Dewar puts down that right foot, and hear that V8 scream now as he pushes it past 8,000 RPM over the line. He manages to gap Jordan Sanderson a little bit in the end, but after what we saw from Dewar in the previous run, is it enough?
Wow, that was... He knew he needed to come out full guns blazing as well and really dominate the lead run because, you know, it's such a huge error in the chase position that he just had to come out and go flat out. I think Jordan will be pretty calm about, you know, all I need to do is just sit behind him, not make any major errors. I think he'll be all right. I think he'll be getting through all right.
Well, remembering that you've got a spotter there as well who would have said, hey, Aaron made a pretty big, you know, issue before. He made a mistake. So just don't push it too hard. Just do what you need to do. But you really look at the angle difference there between Dewar and Jordan Sanderson. There's huge angle for the speed that Dewar is carrying. Take nothing away from him. One mistake could see him, though, out of this top 16.
Yeah, well, look, the judges were saying, you know, it's not about having 90-degree, massive, enormous angle if you're not smooth and you're not getting through the circuit as you need to. So it's enough angle to be as exciting as you can be, but being online and being fast and all of those elements together, the big angle doesn't quite, it's not quite a thing for this type of layout. Certainly over the back for round 3, the big angle entry is one of the most impressive parts of it, but this one it needs to be a bit more steady.
Time for Benny Meir to lead out in this next battle now. What is Saxon Moyes going to do? Can he maintain that proximity as they transition back? But he drops off a little bit, has to sacrifice a whole heap of angle to stay there, and I think he's really struggling with that clutch now. Starts to drive away down the end of Saxon Moyes, really just with a straight drive there. He's gripped right up, and are we seeing more mechanical issues there for Saxon Moyes? Could it be his Achilles heel this weekend?
Yeah, it looks like he's really nursing it now. It's just... yeah, if he's got a stuck clutch, it won't change gears. I mean, we just don't know how bad it got, and he was really dominant in that in the lead position. So maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and it's really he's lost drive, and it's just not predictable enough. Benny Meir just needed to be tidy, which he was, but that's a real shame for Saxon.
It is, considering Benny Meir's chase run. He didn't do anything wrong. He just wasn't up on the door of Saxon Moyes. Saxon Moyes, you know, bullet out of a gun. He was gone there, and you think maybe he's just had to stick that in the top gear and absolutely drive that car, and it worked for him for Saxon Moyes in the lead position. But in the chase position, if you've got to sacrifice that speed, you need to use the clutch. Oh, I hope that car is not too injured, but I think he might be out of the top 16.
Yeah, in chase position, you're just using so much clutch. You might be using handbrake to steady your position as well. And, you know, when it's a clutch issue, that's it. You know, you can drive away, but, yeah, in the chase, you really need it.
So having a look now, we do have the scores coming through for the Jabs battle, and it looks like Jordan Sanderson has got the win, and we'll go through in our top 8. Our next battle on Matt Murphy and Ben Odgers now taking it out in the top 16 here for the Hi-tec Allstars Pro category. And look at him go out on the riddle strip there, pushing it all the way. Matty Murphy from the ACT drops a wheel though in the final bit. We see a lick of dust come up. That could be a deduction, one wheel off.
Mate, that was really wide coming into that last zone, but let's just check out the Trias replay. Initiates into turn 1, looks pretty steady. big lock, so he's gone really deep, and you can see the white line on the track. He's gone nearly to the far outside of the track, which is well too deep into turn one. That's made Benny Hodges, he's got to readjust what he's doing, but he's done a great job to follow, and then again pushes really, really wide into that last zone, throws him offline. He drops a wheel in the dirt over there, but, I think Matty Murphy I'm in pro now, I've got to go out and send it, and he did, but he's got to rein it back just a little bit. You've got to hit those points.
You hit that ripple strip too in that final corner there. He becomes a little bit slippery out there. You saw how much angle he had to put a whole heap of lock on the car as well to try and get it. So to only drop one wheel on the outside was very well done from Matt Murphy, but I think the advantage is going to go to Ben Hodges, who qualified a little bit further down. Matty Murphy actually put a pretty decent qualifying run together, but it's not all over because Ben Hodges has to lead. He has to do it really well, stick to the line. What can Matt Murphy? Can he apply the pressure, really push that R33 up there? And it's good to see him make the step up in pro as well, with a bit of support from Zoo Performance, Exceedy Clutches, all of his sponsors there from Matt Murphy. PS Racing as well. They've screwed together a really tough engine combination for him, and that seems to be working when it comes to the power because he's not down on speed. No, plenty of grunt, plenty of horsepower. I think it's 25-30 combination. It was a very serious bit of kit, and he's. We know the guy can drive. It's just about now the pressure. That's probably the next element. It's the pressure of pro class and lining up against some of these big names that he's been watching from when he was in the Pro-Am category. So waiting for a result to come there. A bit later on, like I said, Jordan Sanderson and Aaron Dwyer, we do have a result, and Jordan Sanderson did get the win there in the Ute, but we did see that big mistake there from Aaron Dwyer, unfortunately for him, and it was a shame to see him go this early in the top 16 because we love what he brings to the series.
Oh, look, I love watching him drive. I think maybe the weather's going to be the equaliser this afternoon, and I think I'm watching some people coming out the window here. They are ducking for cover, so I think we've finally got that. The weather is certainly turning on us.
Well, Nigella's got the windscreen wipers on, so does Benny Meir. So we're seeing them come on the cars now, which means we've got the precipitation happening. I don't want to say the R word. No. I don't want to induce it a bit more, but the good news is it doesn't stop us drifting. It just makes it a whole heap more complicated.
It's just going to change absolutely everything. So we've gone from a hot track. We had a slight sprinkle earlier, and a few of the guys got out there and had a go, and it really just instantly changed what they have to do. They're going to be looking at tyre pressures and all sorts of things. So anyone that's in the pit now is going to be scrambling to change their car setup to try and get a bit more grip in the wet weather situation.
Josh Collins, what else can go wrong for him this weekend? He had a drive shaft go yesterday and said, you know what, I'll just step up to pro. He's made it into the top 16. Now they're jump starting him on the start line. But this could be the equaliser. SR20 with not a whole heap of power in this one. Josh Collins has to chase down James Abbott, who's got 900 horsepower in the 2JS15 Nigella, but it slides out there, and Josh Collins has got the 360 down pat. Somehow we see James Abbott pull the car up, but you can hear it. It's just modulating that throttle and going absolutely nowhere. You see how much he's got to input on the steering wheel as well as not doing what he wants it to do everywhere. It is a wet, greasy track now here at Winton Motor Raceway.
Instantly, all of your reference points, everything that you've just been doing all morning is all changed, and it was so great for Josh to keep that purple 180. It's a really clean and tidy car. Keep it out of the tyre wall because you are a passenger at that point. You are just completely out of control, running off into the marbles, and then Jabbett's got to slay the beast or maintain the beast on this wet weather conditions. It's gone from 900 horsepower to 1500 or whatever. It'd be completely out of control, but he knows that car really well.
Josh Collins did really well there too, not to make contact. I think he came in with a little bit too much aggression that time and thought, I need to do this. He knows who he's up against. He would have watched him many, many times. And what a moment for him there to think, I'm taking on James Abbott. Let's do this. But it's raining.
And it rained. As they, they've driven around the back half of the circuit. They get to the start line. I'm about to do a pro battle with James Abbott next to me. And then the heavens opened. Amazing.
And now our starter's looking for a bit of cover under that jacket. And I hope they can keep their head dry. Matt Murphy now in the lead position. He went a little bit wide on a couple of corners, but we've gone rain now. Totally different track conditions for him and Ben Hodges, and we might have seen a trickle of rain that we didn't notice before that could have caused Matt Murphy to go a little bit wide.
Yeah, could have.
But that's a slight bit of moisture on the track. It's wet now.
It's really wet now. We're just looking straight out the window, and the whole surface of the track is wet. The roofs around us are all wet. This is a really different environment now going into the top half of this day, and Benny Hodges is going to lead him out. I know that Benny Hodges will be a bit cautious. He'll be steady going into this turn, and both of the drivers have really just got to maintain what they've got to do. And this is impressive so far. I mean, look at that. I mean, he's just still Benny Hodges in the lead, still hitting exactly the clipping points, hitting the markers that he needs to. We're going about a quarter of the speed.
No, we're not in slow motion if you're watching us. We're definitely not in slow motion. It is a very wet track now at Winton Motor Raceway for round one. Very different. Ben Hodges does a nice line. I think Matt Murphy fell off line. For me, the advantage is going to go to Ben Hodges in this one.
Yeah, that's it. We'll check out the Trios replay into turn one. It's so nerve-wracking. I've driven here at this track in the rain before, and it's so easy to fall over the backside of the circuit there into where those tyre barriers are. Both drivers done a great job to pull it up and stay nice and steady and composed. Coming through the mid part of the turn 2 to turn 3, all pretty tidy. And then just, it's just coming up the last corner. But we'll head down to Cookie down in the pits. Hopefully he's nice and dry.
Yes, mate, we're under the cover here. Saxon's just brought the car in. It's nice and warm. Looks a bit wet out there, mate. You were praying for the rain. It absolutely roosted off the start line. Like, you had about 8 bus links into the turn one. What happened in the chase?
No clutch. Sadly, yeah, it's nothing. No drive. Yeah. What can you do?
Shattered, mate. Like, you really did step up and drive really well this weekend. You could see definitely the car was in a class of its own. Hopefully you can get these sort of little dramas sorted.
Exactly. We were keen for round 2. Get these sort of sorted and we're on.
On your Saxon.
All right, Josh Collins will lead us out this time, and James Abbott's just going to have to stay on track. I think that's the important part here. He doesn't need to do anything silly after we saw Josh Collins pretty much go off track. So look at Nigel in the background. With that wheel speed, it is going absolutely nowhere, and Josh Collins is just playing around with the throttle, just keeping it nice and slow. The wheel speed needs to go down to try and get that traction. Whereas James Abbott, maybe you touch it with the anti-lag as well on that 2J. Yep. It's instant boost, instant torque.
So coming into this weekend, Josh Collins thought, well, I've entered Pro-Am. I'm going to be up against the Pro-Am drivers. Maybe the car level is at that level as well. But as soon as you add the rain to the situation, this is going to suit his car perfectly now. There's going to be way less load on all the components. It's going to be more in that sweet spot of control. And now it looks like that he's actually got it sorted. Getting through the course is quite easy. He just didn't anticipate that entry.
Well, talk tyres as well. He wouldn't have come in with semi-slicks. So unless he bought some at the track there and thought, oh, well, I'm in Pro now, I'm going to put semis, he might still be running on a radial tyre, which in the wet conditions is probably an advantage for him.
Yeah, there's more water grooves on the actual tyre tread, so hopefully he can disperse a bit more water. It's so weird. We rock up to the track and we just don't know what we're going to get. But it's been very, very interesting so far.
Unfortunately for Saxon Moyes, who is out with a clutch issue now, did make it through. So I can confirm Benny Meir does get the win in that battle between him and Saxon Moyes, and will go into the top 8 of the Hi-tec Oils Pro category here at Winton Motor Raceway for round number 1 of the Hi-tec Oils Pro Allstars Series. We're back for 2023. We're here at Winton Motor Raceway. We go down to Calder Park, which we haven't gone for a few years now. It's probably been 3 or 4 years since we've been at Calder Park to compete, and we're going to be on track. We're not going to be on the Thunderdome either, so that's going to be very different competition for Hi-tec. Can't wait to see what the line the judges pick for that one is. Then we come back to Winton Motor Raceway for round number 3, so it's a very Victorian base for the first half of the year. We head up though, I love this, it's winter time here, and we get to go to Queensland, so we get to defrost for a weekend.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Have a bit of fun up in Queensland for round number 4, and then we go all the way down to Tassie to finish things off. What a finale it's going to be down there. A new track where we've never had the series. Of course, our reigning champion from Tasmania.
Lives down the road.
Lives down the road. He's going to have the home track advantage. So him out in round number 1, everyone else needs to put a big swag of points together, because he is going to have a huge advantage in that final round.
Yeah, what a great way to take the series all over the country. And, we've seen it before. We missed the Bend this year. So, we had the Bend last year. Awesome, great facility. It's a shame we couldn't quite make it work this year. But I guess having all these different layouts and getting down to Tasmania finally is just fantastic.
It's going to be great there, and a bit of a holiday, I suppose, for all of us. We get to go on an adventure, It's not like just driving 5 hours to the racetrack and doing a race weekend. Like, we're going to go down there and have a new adventure, and we're going to take all the fans down there as well, down to Tasmania, and show you as much of Tasmania as we possibly can. I cannot wait for that one. It's going to be super exciting. And a big shout out, speaking of Tasmania, to Matty Harvey, unfortunately not here this year, or this round.
This round, yeah.
Yeah, he's unfortunately had a little bit of an accident at work there, and we might not see him for a couple of rounds. But big shout out to Matt Harvey and obviously the Harvey family at home, and hope you're doing well and on the mend, Matty.
Yep,
we are missing you here. We want that clinical driving, and we're like, you know what? there's a name missing in the mix when we came to qualifying, and it's Matt Harvey. So all the best, Matt. Hope you're on the mend, and look, hopefully we'll see you soon. Hopefully we'll see you before the Tasmania round. We don't want to wait that long to catch up with you. And next couple of cars on track, though, we're going to have a look here. Patrick Barley's lined up. We're just having a look. James Abbott and Josh Collins. No surprise there. James Abbott did get the win there. I'd say Josh Collins going off the track probably, was a big disadvantage there. So James Abbott will go into the top 8. Next up, it's Chris Sadler and Patrick Barley. Now, Chris Sadler, pretty sure that is an ex-Brute Ute or something along those lines. One of the racing utes. Now Chris Sadler, obviously up at the Norwell Motorsports Complex up there near the Gold Coast, does driver training, V8 experience. I'm pretty sure he does a bit of movie world stunt driving as well. Up against Patrick Barley, he's been drifting for about 9 years now. Started when he was about 15, so he's only in his early 20s, but he's got a big heap of horsepower in that C6 Corvette, 434 cubes, 900 odd horsepower, and they've got absolutely no traction between the two of them.
What a different environment for both of these drivers from the last time they were on the track. What an absolutely different environment.
Well, Chris Sadler, you think they water him down when you go to movie world to the stunt driving, so he's probably got the advantage in this one.
He's at home, yes. No, very good point. Yeah, the Hollywood Stunt Show is actually quite good, the Movie World Stunt Show, he'll be in his element. We'll check out the Trias replay. Let's get another look at the wetness, the chaos.
Well, you can really see it. Look at coming off the tyres now, the water spray there. So it is right out on track. It's not going to dry out anytime soon. And Sadler there, he's very shallow there. And give it to Patrick Barley. They've got that car gripped up in the wet. He's had to have a straight there at a moment, but has Chris given him enough room there to really do that transition? At this point, it doesn't matter. It is so wet. These drivers can put the car wherever they want to. All it is a little bit of different steering input. They can make the car slide wider. So who's going to really snap the transition early? I mean, it's going to be like slow motion for them, really. They're going to be like fat lapping this. One arm on the door, one arm on the steering wheel.
Slow motion, but panic, because you just don't know the grip level. And, you think you're still transitioning slowly and you think you've got it, and then you can get to full lock and the car will just slide away.
Two names returning to the Hi-tec Allstars Series is Brad Toohey and, of course, Warwick Hill. And Brad Toohey, what a start for him. #1 qualifier in the Zestino tyres. GT86 or the A+ towing as well on the side, giving him a big hand out of the ACT, and Warwick Hill behind, who's had to lend his car to Matty Walters this weekend as well to compete.
Filling the zones,
filling the zones, but I feel like it's a slow motion fill of the zones. Like they're going to be struggling. I actually know Brad Toohey went to another competition at the start of last year where they had a huge amount of rain, so he'll have some data on the car. We'll turn around though. This is looks like a replay there of Chris Sadler there.
Judges wanted to have a look at something.
Maybe they just want to have a look at something on the start there. Matt, how much does Patrick Barley want to push the Corvette in this one? He's going to be coming out in the lead. He's on the left-hand side of the screen. We'll have a look at the Trias replay, though, of Brad Toohey and Warwick Hill, and Brad Toohey in the lead. Stuck it down there, still handbrakes it in. He's got an all right line there. He doesn't go too wide, like you say. You sort of wash off. It's a different track surface, isn't it, where they've had the new section of track come in that's not as grippy. Here we go, Patrick Barley now going to be in the lead in the Corvette. He's not worried about putting a little bit of speed on. Let's hope he can control it there. It's on full lock now as he tries to pull the car out, but he goes fairly wide there. Chris Sadler gets pulled into that as well. Nice line through here, though. He's keeping that meter off, and you can see the spokes on the rims. That is how gentle he is on the accelerator there for Patrick Barley.
But knowing what we know about Patrick's car and looking at that lap, that was spot on for a wet weather lap in such a high horsepower car at that level. Absolutely spot on lead lap. He's got a bit more gusto getting off the line, a bit more pace into turn one, but he can get it on lock. He can hang on to it, uses a bit of foot brake to steady the car. Massive lock. Sits there. Look, it's probably a little bit wide. We won't crucify too hard.
He doesn't go over the white line, though.
No. So it's probably a little bit off, but deep.
It's not a perfect line.
Not a perfect line, no. And you'd have to expect that with the conditions, but as a lead run in these conditions, fantastic. Not too bad.
We'll wait and see if we can get a result one out of Chris Sadler and Patrick Barley. It'll be on our screens very, very shortly, of course. This is our top 16 in the Hi-tec Oils Pro Class category. In the meantime, while we wait for this battle, we'll head to Cookie.
Yeah, we got Dads here, mate. Overroad, what happened?
Oh, yeah. We went out there, warmed our tyres up, and then they sat us on the start line for about 10-15 minutes, and the front tyres went a bit cold, so I come in pretty hot behind Geordie because that ute's pretty quick. And we both had a little bit of understeer, and he sort of come out of it, and I got a bit stuck in there and got bogged in the smoke, I suppose.
Sorry, dear, mate. See you next time.
No worries.
Well, we've turned around Warwick Hill and Brad too, and Warwick Hill up on our screens you just saw before. Massive amounts of understeer, went in too hot into turn number 1, got past that white line where we've seen everything come unstuck, and unfortunately he's found that tyre bundle.
Yeah, Matty, we've been chatting about that. I've said, you know, this track is very unforgiving when you go too deep into turn 1. You know, he's trying. He knows he's up against Brad too. He goes, I'll have a red hot crack. He's thrown it in nice and hard, but there's so much rubber and marble and debris out there. And then you add the water element to it as well. And he's just completely lost front steering, and it sent him off the track and touched into those tyre walls. Hopefully, you know, the road speed wasn't huge, so it won't be too much damage to the car, but it's enough to, you know, redirect the panels in their directions.
Look, and I think that means that Brad too, he's probably got an advantage there in the Zestino tyres, A+ towing GT86. That's, look, the number 1 qualifier, and probably a strong position there to go through to the top 8 there when it comes to the Hi-tec Oils Pro category here. We're just waiting for a few results to come up on our screen to find out exactly who is going to go through, because we've still got Scott Shembry to come back out. He's made it through into the top 16, and I do believe he's going to be taking on Jordan Putsonitz.
Oh, yeah, yep, okay.
So,
look, Warwick Hill's just come past us, you know, not a lot of damage to the car. So at least the road speed and everything there's, you know, at least the car survived. He can drive out of that one, it wasn't too bad. But Jordan Putkins, we'll hopefully get him back out there. But, Cookie, you got your floaties on, mate?
Yeah, I have, buddy. Got Jordan here. Mate, bit of a scalp in there, the big D. Did an over-row behind you. How you find the track? You'll see you making some change to the car. What sort of change do you make for the wet?
We're just letting the tyres down mainly. In the rear, we're going a little bit narrower. We're dropping the fronts a little bit of PSI as well, and then hope for the best. Yeah. But haven't had much experience in the wet out there anyway. So hopefully the go-karts in the rain are going to help me.
Yeah. No, look, good luck, mate. Obviously, it seems very, very sketchy out there. So, just get your eye into it and keep it rolling.
Cheers, Cookie.
Yeah, Jordan Sanderson talks about the go-karts. He comes from a lot of go-karting experience there, where he's been very good behind the wheel and knows a lot about the setup of those things. So will that transition over into the drift? Well, we'll wait and find out when it comes to wet weather driving.
Well, I think I've been go-karting once in the rain, and as soon as you lose that front grip, it's probably similar to this. As soon as you lose that front steering input, you're a complete passenger in your own car. But Jordan's a dominant driver.
So just a little moment here at round number 1 at Winton Motor Raceway for the Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series. We line up a couple of our tyre bundles there at the moment. Just got knocked out by Warwick Hill at that moment. And I think that's going to be the disadvantage. And Brad too, he should get the win in that battle between him and Warwick Hill. That car's had a big weekend. It's had Matty Walters drive as well. It's been off track. It's had a couple of off track excursions throughout the weekend. So it came here looking nice. It's definitely looking like it's been used this weekend.
Yes, for sure. Any car doing double duties at a motorsport event, you're going to be putting the team under a lot of pressure to try and get it turned around and in one piece. But it looked okay when it rolled past us then.
I'm loving the footage down there. All the crews are now starting to clean the windscreen wiper blades. Like, when is the last time we've used a windscreen wiper blade on this drift car?
What about anti-fog on the inside of the windscreens? Are they going to be fogging up? It's not exactly cool. It's raining, but it's not exactly cool. So we're going to get fog on the windscreen. I remember the old V8s, so they had the little squeegee, and they were like cleaning the inside of the windscreen with a squeegee when the wet weather happens at Bathurst and things like that.
We might have to take a squeegee down to our starter so we can lend it to them between rounds so they can get out there. No, it's
shaming them off a little.
So we've still got one battle to come now in our top 16 of the Hi-tec Pro category. That's not too far away, and that looks like it's going to be Jordan Putsonitz taking on Scott Shembry, and these conditions are going to suit Shembry because he talks about the underdog being only the 400 horsepower, only 400 horsepower in the BMW. It is really very similar to a Pro-Am car taking on a Pro car in that category. Like, they're all sort of starting to be around the 600 horsepower mark, I suppose, for our Pro cars.
Jordan,
water, though, will change it.
We say it all the time. Water is the equaliser in drifting. It brings everyone down to the same level because it's all about how much grip you can put into the car. Because after a certain point, your road and your wheel speed is completely irrelevant, and you're skating off. But Jordan Putkins is Turbo LS S13. Looked really dialed in the dry. I don't know if he's had a chance to do a wet lap yet.
It's not a baby turbo either. No. At this point, do you wind the boost down? Do you just
how do we make it not
take
work?
the bleed line off? We don't need the boost.
Yeah, just loop it back off and gate pressure or whatever we need to do. Like just pull it right back.
And that's going to be a problem for him. If that does come up on boost, that instant amount of torque that's going to start running through the drive line there, that could slow him down. That could cause him to over-rotate, things like that. Whereas I think Scott Shembry, it's got a small turbo on that 1J. Yeah. It's very responsive. It's underpowered. He can just dial it back a fraction, I think, and try and push that car through. So maybe the day has come to Scott Shembry. And when Cookie caught up with him early, he was saying it like, the 350's not ready, the big car's not ready. We've had to bring the BMW. We're just trying to put some points together at the moment. That's all we're trying to do is get some points in round number 1, get the big car back, and hopefully we can fight for the championship. In the meantime, let's have a look at a few of the highlights from the Drift All-Stars Series today. And this was Jordan Sanderson taking out Aaron Dewar in the battles there. And have a look at this. Sanderson led us out with the big horsepower VE Ute, and then the over-rotation there from Aaron Dewar in the background. Just maybe pushing a little bit too hard, and he mentioned they're sitting on the start line for quite some time after scrubbing the tyres. It's very important, isn't it, that scrubbing where they try and get the tyres warmed up and get the maximum amount of traction out of them. Yeah, well, that's it. You take off from the start line and you're throwing the car in. If you're hot lapping the track, you can do quite a few laps and you get the temperature into the rubber. If you're just sitting there for too long, obviously, you lose your front end confidence and you just, turn it around, unfortunately. He was a little bit lost for words himself. He's like, look, don't know. It's come away from me. Yeah, well, we saw some dry runs there from a little bit earlier, and then the rain came down there. Benny Hodges managed to knock out Sam Mudd there, and then he had to take on Matt Murphy, who stepped up from Pro-Am as well. And Matt Murphy, I think he might have just got the start of the rain there. He went a little bit wide in his lead run in that chase run. Ben Hodges did a nice job there and cemented that opportunity that he had. And look at this. Scott Shembry's had to put a lid on the sunroof that's not there. Yeah. He's had to stop the rain coming in the car. That's going to be his biggest problem out of this one. And Putkins, he's so timid, but he's doing the right thing, isn't he? Not pushing it too hard. Yeah, that's it. It's about managing your own ability, managing your own enthusiasm coming into turn 1. You know that you've been driving fast all day, and then you come into this wet weather track, and you just got to be steady. You got to be cool about it. I'm liking the run there from Jordan as well. He hit all the clipping points there, did really well. Opened up a gap on Scott Shembry. I wasn't expecting him to be able to get that much traction in that car. We did think it was going to be a bit of a closer battle between these two cars, being, having the water being the equaliser. Jordan flicks to angle, Scott's flicking to angle as well. It looks like Scott, he's got to trim the line a little bit to sort of catch up, but there's something there that the Beamer just started to slow down with its overall road speed, and Jordan still had a bit of drive. So whether they've gone really low with the tyre pressures, he's still got quite a bit of forward momentum, quite a bit of side bite in that S13, and he's able to still drive away in this condition. So that wasn't a bad run. Well, the question is, what have they done to that setup? They've had the opportunity now, right? So the rain has come down for about 15 minutes here. They've been sitting out there lined up in the grid, ready to go. Do you get out the spanners? Do you change the toe out? Do you really try and dial a heap of grip into the front of the car at the moment? Yeah, look, it's anything. You just, whatever we can do. It's usually tyre pressure is the quickest and easiest one to go and sort out. Whether they can get under the back of the car quick enough to be able to do any adjustments. But tyre pressures are the main thing that it gets stuck into for sure. And then you're going to look at tyre selection, because although we normally run the big semi-slicks because we want the speed, do you go back to a radial tyre at this point? Do you stick them on? Do you grab a skinnier radial tyre to try and cut through that water out there? I mean, we've all got all the horsepower in the world out there, but you've got to be able to get it to the ground. So with the wet conditions, things change dramatically out there for our drifters, and that's what's happened. And imagine some of our guys that come out in the start there in the first sort of battles, they had a dry battle. Now they've come out in a wet battle. The difference is, day and night. It is. And look, it's only just raining now, so we're really, really hoping that we can disperse some of the water from the surface and we can get back to some dry running, because that would just be that's where the battles need to be. Here we go. We're going to have Scott Shembry in the lead this time, leading out Jordan Putkins in the S13. See what the Master Chef can do himself. Flicks it in to turn 1. Can he stay on lock and stay in control of the car? Looks like Jordan's just struggled to get it sideways a little bit. Nice and steady so far through the midway part of the corner, hitting the line markers, doing what he has to do, so touch and go through the middle part of the circuit. It must feel just slow motion in the car, out really wide, hanging it out on that last zone, fills the entire zone coming up the hill, but Jordan's right there with him.
he actually has the momentum and he could drive up that hill.
I can see the amount of handbrake Jordan's using behind Scott Shembry just to try and, steer that car, trim the car around. And does that show you how much more grip you think that Jordan's got in the car, that he can push it a little bit more in the wet? And he could be really someone to watch out for, I think, if he makes it through this battle.
Yeah. The lead, turn one is really going to let Jordan down a little bit there in his chase. He just didn't quite initiate with the same level of confidence as Scott Shembry. But as soon as he got through that part, he was really confident through the second part, turn two, turn three, getting close. Scott was in the outside zone. He was able to catch right up and get very close. Doing okay, but yeah, maybe that turn one's going to really let him down. But is the lack of angle on and initiation on turn one going to be judged harshly compared to the gap distance through his lead?
Look at all the marbles we can see making their way on track as well from the rubber before, from the tyres before, and I mean that's going to start to marble up even more. So you've got wet conditions, you've got marbling happening on the outside. You do not want to get off the line here at the moment. It's just conditions are super harsh for the drivers there. Now Scott Shembry, has he done enough? We're just waiting for some of the results to come through. I'm having a look at the battle between Chris Sadler in the VE Ute and Patrick Barley in the C6 Corvette. Patrick Barley has taken the win in that one. And looks like Jordan Putkins is going to go through over Scott Shembry in this one. He has got the win.
Wow, that's a knockout.
The only other one to have a look at is Roger Ianson, who was meant to be up, who had a bye run into the top 16, and it looks like he's going to get a bye run now because Adam Burgess and Mark McTurnan. I don't actually have a result for that one to see who will take on Roger Ianson, whether they're waiting for someone, see if they can get out. Adam Burgess, obviously, those issues with the fuel tank.
Must still be nursing him a bit.
We did see them battle, though, out there. So we just don't have that result come up yet. So we'll wait and find out whether Roger Ianson's going to make it out on track. That'll be another good one. And he's had a fair bit of time now sitting on the sidelines. You've got to remember, didn't make top 24. So we qualified this afternoon. We've had our lunch break. We've got underway with the top 16 for the Pro-Am. Now we've done top 24 for the Pro. We're down to the top 16 and battling it out for the top 8. So he's had 2 or 3 hours to sit down.
And no wet running.
No wet running at all.
Zero wet running for that man. So I guess everyone that's on track now, it's valuable data that they're gathering and how they feel in their car and what they need to do. So good or bad, being able to get some practice laps in these wet conditions, he's up against it.
He's going to be very up against it. It looks like we're going to move on to our Pro-Am category. Of course, Jordan Sanderson in the Ute now is going in both categories, and this one's going to be a good one. Up against the man himself, Timmy Kay.
Tim Coyston from Victoria. We predict the old Holford Motors S14, so we know that's got a lot of drifting heritage in that machine. We know he can drive. Timmy Kay's done a lot of laps here, and we know he's going to be confident in the wet. We used to do Matsuri driving here in the wet, and we'd pray for the rain because we wouldn't use any tyres. So I'm sure he's going to be quite at home here at Winton Raceway.
Jordan Sanderson, though, super competitive. He's not going to give this one up. We already saw that they were going to change to some skinnier tyres, let the tyre pressures right down. So they're changing things out. Of course, 7.2 litres of big V8 LS power, though, is going to be hard to control.
And he's done the laps. He's already had some laps. So today, he's doing double duties. He's done some laps. He's got the seat time, and that's going to give him, certainly it's going to give him the advantage today so far. Yeah, Tim's going to get a rude shock now. He's come out here after a dry run, and he's just going to have to put this one together. Like you say, the experience, obviously, previously from doing lots of wet skid pan stuff, and, Matsuri sort of driving will help him here in these conditions today. It's the commitment, though, into turn one. Who's got that commitment? Because you open up that big gap. The other thing we've got is, normally we scrub the tyres, and it's very important to scrub tyres to get the temperature into them, make them nice and grippy. Now you've got a wet track. How do you get temperature into a tyre? Very, very hard. You've still got to just do the seesawing action around the back part of the circuit. You do everything you can to try and generate any sort of temperature. But as we're sitting here, they're just waiting there on the start line. The tyres would be so cold. Is it going to give them that level of grip? They really just need the water dispersion more than anything. Here we go, Jordan Sanderson. How much commitment are we getting into turn? Oh, it's so slow, isn't it, compared to what we're used to? What we've seen all weekend and even the start of the stream. And have a look as they transition back. Jordan's just going to put it there. He's probably only about half a metre off that inside line, but in these conditions, that's still a pretty good line. And look, Tim Coyston's right there with him. So it's, that's a really solid chase run from someone who's done no wet weather driving so far today, sitting behind a guy that's done a heap of laps. that was a really solid chase.
And let's be honest, it's a bit of control, isn't it? Like, we like to get out there and put the right foot down. It's raining, we can have a heap of fun. So to be able to control yourself just to give it enough. Here, we check out the Tri-Ace replay.
He initiates a little bit slower in the chase, which is okay. You want to see the ute set up and then get yourself into the position where you are confidently in a chase position. Jordan's, I mean, he's doing everything he can, and he's hitting all the markers and filling that outside zone there, collecting the cone as he goes past. I think that was from a previous run, got stuck out on circuit. So, yeah, certainly can't knock Jordan's lead run. Very conservative, but in these conditions, that's exactly what you need to do.
Kieran Ratcliffe now out on track now. He has got a solo run into the finals. He only needs to drive around track if he wants to. Unfortunately, Sean Mickelhatton is out. He's already borrowed Conquio's car. Right. They've got drive shaft issues in that one as well. 10 minutes later, it wouldn't have been a problem here on a wet circuit. So it's been an unfortunate weekend for some of our drivers. So Kieran Ratcliffe going to have a solo run there now. Tony, your thoughts on this one? Like, if you've got the opportunity to go out and do some wet weather testing?
Yep, I would. Absolutely. I would absolutely go out there and just explore the limits of what you can do and get a feel for the circuit, because I don't know if the rain's exactly... I mean, the rain itself, it looks like out our window, it looks like it stopped, but the track surface is still so wet. And even if it does stop, we want it to disperse. You want as much data as you can.
Let's have a look at the Zoo Performance Pro-Am Battle Tree now. And you can see your top 8, Jordan Sanderson and Timmy Kay is battling it out to find out who's going to go through. Of course, we've already seen Jordan Sanderson lead. Sean Mickelhatton, unfortunately, could not make it out. So Kieran Ratcliffe will get the automatic, go up into the top 4 automatically. Jordan Putkins will take on Fane Lilly, and we'll wait and see whether they make it out on track. And then Ben Brenton will take on Jory Breckhoff now. Jory, he's had to go through all the gears. He's been on limiter all weekend. Yep. Now it's wet. All right, in the meantime, let's head down to Damien Cook.
Yeah, hang on, guys. Just been running around the pits trying to get a bit of an idea of what everyone's doing to sort of convert to the wet weather setups. But if you want to find the man to get the goss, anyone doesn't know this is Alan Barley, is Patrick's dad, who built that Frankenstein Corvette that you've seen down there. Has a massive sprint car background, really good mechanical understanding. Thought we'd grab him for a couple of seconds to get a bit of an insight. What are some tips and tricks that the guys can be doing to get an actual grip in the wet? And we can see Paddy's car was very hooked up.
You want secrets?
You give us what you want to give us, mate.
So this cargo part. Things like width of tyre pressure, like the wider the tyre, the more they aquaplane, the looser the car is. We never run big wide tyres anyway because the thing's so hooked up. But so tyre width, tyre pressure, the difference between the rear width of the car and the front of the car. So the wider the front is in relation to the back, the harder it is for the back to pass it if once it's sideways. Scrub radius on the front, which transfers weight to the rear wheels in when you're on a full lock situation. Obviously, in the rain, you spend more time on lock than you do in the dry. We run double adjustable shocks everywhere, so we can pop the front, we can hold the back down, which keeps the weight transfer in place. So, that's really the basis.
Yeah. Look, guys, you can obviously see a wealth of knowledge. We could be here all day listening to Alan. We're going to get back out to the battles. Thanks, Alan.
Oh, don't ask him any more questions. We're going to be here for hours.
I was trying to write down as many notes as I could, but it's not often you get that much detail,
There's
right?
a few crew in the background going, where's the live stream?
Yeah, so we're going to record that.
We'll just get back over that live stream a couple of times and make sure we get that right.
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan Sanderson's crew, though, I'm sure they're listening. I mean, they're out here in Pro-Am at the moment, but they've still got a pro to battle it out with. So, if you can run around, maybe grab the spare tyre out of a couple of cars in the car park. Being a Commodore means you're probably pretty lucky there. There's probably a couple of 205 15s out the back.
Yeah. But that's interesting, it's I want to think it's a little bit counterintuitive, but it makes total sense. If you've got a massive tyre, you've got a greater chance of aquaplaning across the surface. So a skinnier tyre, you'd think is going to be less grip because it's just physically smaller, but that cuts through the water better, and the tyre tread and all these things, all these little tricks that these old school racers have got, and it's just fantastic.
Now let's check it out now. It's going to be Timmy Kay in the lead over Jordan Sanderson, and Jordan Sanderson's going to push him, isn't he, in the chase position? Goes, no, come on, mate, you got to go a bit faster than that. And look at that, pressure applied, 360 done, and will he rejoin the drift? That is the question. Yeah,
look, that was a bit of gamesmanship down the back straight there. I think Timmy Kay just got off the line, he was just getting away, but Jordan was there, he was like pushing right up beside him. And then you saw Timmy Kay put the foot down again to get going. and it was just too much pace coming into turn one. He hit the lock stop so easily, and it just over-rotates the car. Very similar to Josh.
We'll see it here on the Tri-Ace replay now, and Jordan Sanderson slows down for a second, and Tim comes flying past. Oh, that is unfortunate, and I'm not sure where he ended up there. Hopefully he's not on the mud.
No, I reckon he would have just been able to take the exit road down to the pit lane again and, avoided any tyre barriers. No tyre barriers, there was no major things to hit down that part of the circuit, so that was good that he could exit safely. But Jordan looks at home in this car. It looks like a really solid package, and they've done a great job, and getting those experience laps in has been key for him.
And when you think about that, it's not going to make a difference in Pro now.
Nope.
The advantage of the semi-slick is gone, so he's getting more laps in than a lot of other drivers who he's going to be battling out when we look at the battle tree there. So, Jordan Sanderson, good credit to him. The team have to back it up. They've got to do more laps. It's more mechanical fatigue on the car. You've got through that hard part where we've had a dry track. Now we've got a wet track out there, and still a lot of cloud cover. So the sun's not coming out and drying this up. We are seeing a few dry patches out of our window where it's just where the car line has been. I shouldn't really call them dry. They're just, we're not seeing the puddling and things like that. It's starting to disperse the water a little bit. But all it's going to take is another quick shower, and we're back under those really wet conditions. Bretnall now will lead us out over Jory Bretkoff. We'll see what Bretkoff can bring to the party. It's Corey with the J.
And a massive over-rotation. So it is the similar errors you're going to see coming into turn one. They want to go in with such speed and confidence, but the grip of the car is just not there. And yeah, you can see it's just so greasy. And that switch and transition of the car, if you flick it too hard, the pendulum effect of the weight of the vehicle will just rotate you around. You've got to be really gentle. Small inputs and just manage what you need to do to get through the circuit.
In the background now, that spin out on the first turn, he had to stop. You got to just get a little bit of data, I suppose, get a bit of a feel for the track.
Yep.
So just doing that S section through the final part, you're not going real fast anyway. We'll check out the Tri-Ace replay here. Ben Bretnall there comes in. I think he used a dab of handbrake for a second there, and once that rotation is on, nowhere for Jory to go except pull the car up and try your best not to make contact.
Yeah, and he's done that safely as well. So you've got a pretty good hunch how slippery it is. The first time you grab the handbrake and it just locks up so easily, and then you're stuck on full lock very, very quickly. And he's just done, he's watched the car rotate in front of him. He's able to get away with it without making any contact. And then, at this point, it's just, let's get a bit of data. Let's see what it feels like, how much percentage throttle I can give it, how much drive can I get up the hill for my next battle.
Thane Lilly is lined up in the chase position, ready to take him on. This one's going to be a great battle between him and Jordan Putkins.
Now, I don't think Thane Lilly's done any driving in the wet today at all. He's done probably pretty minimal laps. He's gone through qualifying. He's done everything this morning that he's had to do, but not a lot of driving so far. But getting into turn one, let's see if he can be calm, cool and collected and hang on to it. A little bit of slow initiation. Jordan initiates really strongly, sits it on angle, and is hanging on to it. He's a metre off that front, off turn two. He's switching back through, coming nice and wide, pushing right up onto the ripple strip. Thane's right there with him as well. Not a bad lead run from Jordan Putkins.
Well, he's had the opportunity in Pro as well, hasn't he? So he has data. We saw how gripped up it was in the Pro battle. No, it's a no-brainer for me. He's got the speed here. Thane Lilly hasn't been out in the rain here this weekend. Putkins, lays it down, gets the car set up nicely into turn number one, stays just off that apex there by about a metre off the ripple strip, nicely through there, gives Thane Lilly every opportunity to put the nose in. Thane's probably playing a little bit safe at this point, to straighten up there at that point, just as they come into that third corner. Look, big advantage there, I think, to Putkins.
Yeah, he'll be feeling very confident, and to feel confident in these wet conditions is a really nice place to be, and especially, he's this is I'm going to call it his local track. He told me not to say that on camera. Sorry, mate. I'm going to do you in for that one. But he has done a lot of driving laps here as well, local Victorian to the Winton track.
Let's have a look now as Jory Bretkoff will lead us out this time over Ben Bretnall. And Jory, can he just not over-rotate this first corner nicely? Just takes it easy there. Just light throttle movements are straight in there. As I think we've just got a change of gear. There's no more having to worry about fifth gear on the limiter. We are just modulating the throttle as best we can.
Yeah, there's still plenty of drive out of the car though. It looks still reasonably handy handling these conditions all right. So Jory just coming through turn 1 was settled, set it up, come through to turn 2. Yeah, maybe just a gear shift. We're on the Tri-Ace replay now. Let's get through this. So handbrake initiations, all you really need to do in these conditions to steady it out. Looks really solid, really tidy. Flick back through, and then, yeah, just that hesitation on the flick. It wasn't so much of a flick. It was probably a gear shift and just a bit of a dob of the handbrake. Up onto the outside zone, fills the entire zone, and then the switch back up the hill as well, filling the last zone. Really tidy lead run. But yeah,
it's that rear wheel speed, isn't it? You can see where Jory's just managed to maintain the speed. You don't see the rims moving around, like picking up a lot of wheel speed then dropping off. He's just trying to maintain that steady wheel speed there and just turn the car and drive it through the corners slowly as we get a couple more cars out on track. We might not be too far away from our pro top 8 making it out. We'll just wait and see if we get a result out of this one. So we do have Kieran Ratcliffe going straight through. Unfortunately, Sean McElhatton did not make it through. Jordan Sanderson got the win over Timmy Kay. And we'll wait for the next couple of results. Dane Lilly now going to lead us out over Jordan Lutkins.
Here we go into turn 1. Nice and steady. Jordan he's so confident in the chase there, flicking to angle and being able to hang on to the car. Thane Lilly in the lead's just doing his thing, being able to get these first lead run wet weather laps in the bank. But it looks like the car's just a little bit disconnected from front to back. He's correcting, he's making all these little inputs. Jordan's in the back there just playing with the car, just sitting there, just following him down. But he knows that he's got that nice advantage.
I think it's lead versus lead in this one for me, and I think that's where I am going to see Putkin's going to have the advantage there over Thane Lilly. The lead run, not quite as much angle. I mean, I know they're in the wet. They're trying to just get the cars around the track. But he hasn't had those previous laps to really get his eye in, where we have seen that from Jordan, who has been in the pro category when it was raining.
Yeah, that's it. Look, you can just see...
The straight in there where he's changed gears by the looks of it. He's gone wide coming out of there. I mean, there's no drama really filling those outer zones now in the wet. You've just got to push the car out there. A little bit of steering input and you'll make it happen.
Yeah, just point it in that direction because it'll just glide across the surface of the track and get you there. And then, it's just about feeding the throttle just enough. So I think it may even play into these NA or V8 cars because they've got that low-down torque. They don't necessarily have to stand on it too hard to achieve boost, to get the drive and pressure. I think the NA cars might be just a little bit more linear, a little bit easier to drive.
You'd think that, but so far they've been the ones that have been spinning around. So
maybe too much power.
Maybe that's it. The problem is you've got too much power. If you can get a car and take the boost out of it and really keep it down low, you got a low compression engine maybe, take a bit of horsepower out of it. Look, it's going to come down, I think, to how your throttle is set up. If you've really got a nice rounded throttle on the linkage there of the throttle body, you can control it. Whereas if you've got the old school, I suppose, like the Carby, where it's pulling on the side, it doesn't have that nice feel to it.
It's not linear.
Yeah, it's not linear.
Yep.
All right, this looks like it's going to be some of the final battle here in our... Well, that looks like it might be the final battle we've had there for our Pro-Ams. This is going to kick off our Pro categories here. So Jordan Putkins is going to go through over Thane Lilly, and Jory Bretkoff is going to get the win over Ben Brentnall as we move back into what looks like our Pro categories going back out there at the moment. Might not be.
This looks like Matt McTiernan and Adam Burgess on track right now. Nice and steady through turn 1. Matt McTiernan just playing with the throttle. You can hear it just barely on the throttle, just leaning on the car a little bit. Both the drivers just under control. They've had a bit of wet weather running already, so they're comfortable enough. But nowhere near the amount of RPMs, nowhere near the amount of aggression as we've seen both of these guys earlier today.
So this is actually gone back to our Hi-tec Allstars Pro category. It was our top 20, top 16 there. Now, we wondered who was going to go up against Roger Ianson. It was going to be one of these two. We didn't know who had won the battle. Well, now we're getting it. Here we go. Adam Burgess, Mark McTiernan. The Tri-Ace replay out there. McTiernan doing a nice job, winding on a bit of angle there. Burgess drops off just a little bit there, and they're working they're working hard behind the wheel, aren't they, at this point, just to get it through those S's. Once they're through there, it's nice and flowy down the main straight because you set yourself up. Small amounts of steering input. You can put the car where you need to put it. The rain has really thrown a catamaunch of pigeons when it comes to the drifting here this afternoon. I mean, it's had everything, hasn't it? Round number 1 so far. We've seen our reigning champion have mechanical issues Saturday and Sunday, so he's had to work on that car tirelessly and has had to retire from the competition only moments before we went out for qualifying.
Devastating. Absolutely
Absolutely
devastating.
Saxon Moyes, another young gun who's come through. We expected big things from him this round, and we did get him in qualifying. He was number 4 from memory.
Yes.
We saw him come out there and put on a remarkable lead run with a hurt clutch, but just couldn't do the chase run, so he gets knocked out in the top 16. So another big name out of there, as well. Glenn Omerod as well, mechanical issues there, blew a gearbox up. He was 4th in the championship last year, so some big names there, not accumulating a whole heap of points. So, come the back end of the season, this could,
make things interesting.
It could make things very, very interesting, because we could see them with a couple of strong wins in the middle, and then if someone sort of gets their mojo on, I suppose, they get very comfortable in their car, they change some setup, they could then dominate in the last couple of rounds, which could see that close right up. So, look, round number 1's given us everything we wanted to start off the 2023 season of the Hi-tec Allstars Drift Series. And here we go.
Adam Burgess in the lead. Mark McTiernan in the chase. Looks like he just struggled to initiate there in the chase. Mark McTiernan just had to work the wheel. You're watching the front wheels move back and forward, just not a controlled, steady initiation, whereas Burjo looks like he's got it under control at the moment, just sitting nice and wide, feeding the throttle in and heading up the hill.
The car looks very settled there from Adam Burgess, doesn't it? It's not really, you can't see it moving around, the weight of the car shifting or anything like that. It's just nice and flowy, not huge amounts of angle, but it flows through the corners, very steady. We'll check out the Trias replay here. It's your top 16 pro battle, the last one that we've been waiting to run. I think there's some mechanical issues. Bit of a bobble there from Mark McTiernan at the start. It just didn't quite get it initiated into the corner, did he? Adam Burgess, nice metre off that apex there. He's doing a good job in the lead run here. Not huge amounts of angle, I love the throttle there. You can see him getting off it just to try and get those wheels to traction up, grab some grip and try and push through there and get a little bit of speed and try and gain some sort of advantage in this battle. That's a close one for the judges in the rain, because they now have to, I suppose, alter their thoughts and deductions and things like that, because they've got to take the rain into account. Obviously, if a car sticks the line, the other one doesn't, big advantage to them.
Yep. I think the point of just the criteria of this circuit in the dry or the wet is still very similar. It needs to be flowy, it needs to be smooth and flowy, and it's either faster or slower. But we'll go and check out Damien in the pits.
Yeah, cheers, mate. We've got Brad Toohey, number 1 qualifier with us. We're starting to get up to the pointy end now. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. Obviously, massive condition change from qualifying, but look, it's the same for everyone. You just got to go out there and do the best you can. I'm up against Jordan Sanderson now. He's doing Pro-Am and Pro. I think that gives him a bit of an advantage because he's got a lot more track time, but look, I'm still here to give it a red-hot crack.
Well, you certainly know what you're doing. Your 15 years experience might help you out there, mate. Go out and have fun.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. Cheers.
He's done plenty of extreme sports before, Brad Toohey, so we won't worry about sending it out there in this, and maybe that mature-aged head will be just a bit calmer in the rain.
It's a nice way of saying it. That's a nice way of saying it. But he looks cool, calm and collected in the car. Love that.
What a change from him from a couple of years ago. He's always been super competitive. We love him. He's never been an aggressive guy. I suppose aggressive on track, but such a nice guy in the pits. But I think having his baby boy, he's so chilled out. If you follow him on social media, he just loves being a dad. And he's come back to the series and he's got a different sort of aura about him, doesn't he? He just looks like he's just content. He's content to get out there. He's looking comfortable in the car, and he could be a real challenger in 2023.
And look, watching him in driver's briefing, it's interesting watching. I love going to driver's briefing and standing back and watching the drivers of, how they ask questions, and you can see the ones that are really intense, and you can see the ones that are like, yeah, I've got this, but he's a really a solid character. But yeah.
Let's have a look at some of the highlights from previous on today, earlier today, really, where we've had so much unfold here. Some big names out already when it comes to the Hi-tec Drift Series. The rain had already come down by this point, and Jordan Sanderson was leading out Timmy Kay, and this was a tough battle there, and Jordan Sanderson just kept a bit of speed into that big VE. I don't know where he's finding the grip in this car at the moment, because it's not I shouldn't say it's not majorly modified. There's quite a few modifications to it, but it's not a sole purpose built drift car just yet.
It's coming. It is definitely coming. The team have been working on it, but just applied quite a bit of pressure to Timmy on the way into his chase run, and then Tim unfortunately made it the error. Similar error, Ben Brentnell just coming in just too hot, hoping that the grip is there. When you flick to big angle, you really want to be able to catch it and hang on to it, but it's just such a greasy surface, and Ben sort of felt that one as well.
not once but twice you see him go there, and Jory Breckhoff will get the win there. Mark McTurnan and Adam Burgess, well, they were timid, weren't they, get through this. Now, they've had a few laps with their racing in both Pro and Pro-Am, and this was a Pro battle that we've been waiting to see in the top 16. So still waiting for a result on that one to come through and find out who's going to take on Roger Anson. But here we go, the Hi-tec Oils Drift Allstars Pro category back out on track, and it's Benny Meir who's lined up against Benny Hodges, who's joined us here for this season. And hasn't Benny Hodges done a good job to be back in the series but under the Pro? Of course, stepped up to the 2J engine power plant there. Of course, Link ECU all over the side of it. He's done everything, mate. Dry sum, everything, new ECU. It's all good for Benny Hodges. He rebuilt this car after last time at Winton, having a bit of a moment where it ended up on its lid. As they come through the S's now, Benny Meir has to just go over the ripple strip a little bit. He's trying everything. Yeah. Another one of the natural aspirated V8 cars. It's just not really finding the traction out there.
I think it just might just be such an all or nothing environment in the V8 cars. Yeah, maybe the turbo lag is going to actually feed into an easier or more predictable play within the lag zone instead of the boost zone, perhaps, with some of these turbo cars. But Benny Hodges looked like he was under control. He's got a solid entry in, sitting a metre off the line. He looked really cool earlier today, and he still is.
Let's check out the Tri-Ace replay as they go round, and he just opens up a bit of a gap. He's looking so nice on the transition there. It's a steady car. It's not rocking around, getting up on the suspension. It's flat, it's level. Benny Meir doing what he can, just cutting those corners a little bit to try and regain that proximity. It might also be the way they've got their suspension set up, because we've talking to a couple of the drivers out there. There's different theories on what they do. Some of them try and soften the rear up to try and grab traction. Others try and push the tyres down into the track as well to try and get that happening as well. So maybe, just maybe, that's the difference there. What they've got with their toe in, toe out rear as well, that's going to make a huge difference. And have they had the time to make those adjustments as Mark McTurnan will lead it in this time? Just having a look to see he gets through there nicely, and
really steady through turn 2. Both drivers steady. It looks like Mark's gone a little bit deep as he's approaching turn 3. And they're talking about switching later at that point so that it naturally sends you out wide to that left-hand side outer zone. So if you switch later, the natural flow of the circuit is it'll put you in that zone, and then you can fill it completely, and then you just switch back the other way, and you're in both zones nice and easy. So just getting the transition point right.
I do believe this is going to be a rerun from our previous battle we had with these guys. So not only have we had to wait for them to get on track, now it looks like we're going to have a rerun as well. And it's going to be hard to pull them apart, because look, again, they're emulating each other as they go around, aren't they? Mark McTurnan doing a nice job out in front. Adam Burgess, give him a little bit of room, and I suppose in the rain you probably want to give him a little bit of cautious room to anybody out there.
Absolutely. It looked like Mark was struggling just a little bit in his chase in the previous, in the first battle. This was the rerun of that, so hopefully he can just calm his nerves a little bit in the chase position and complete that second part of the rerun and actually put a bit of pressure on Burjo as he's going into turn 1.
Here we go. Benny Meir's going to lead us out in the 311 Motorsport now. Benny Hodges will come up behind, see what he can do. What's the proximity going to be like in turn number 1? Benny, well, he's going to try and get in there. Ben Meir throws the car, and he over-rotates and takes the front bar off there. Contact made with Ben Hodges. That is so unfortunate from the bends.
It was looking good. It was starting to look good. I thought, okay, they've got the setup. They're going to sit there. It's going to be okay. And then you just drop over that widest part of the circuit into the greasy marble area, and it just, at least he didn't lose front steering. He didn't understeer off the backside of the circuit. He just lost rear traction, but it caused the car to rotate around. And Benny Hodges was right there with him. You can see on the Tri-Ace replay, Benny Hodges is getting up. And he's obviously looking pretty confident. He's like, yeah, right, okay, Ben Meir's set up. I'm feeling pretty good. He's sitting in a pretty good spot. Wow, there it is, the over-rotation. He's grabbed the handbrake to try and turn the car around to avoid Ben Meir's rotation around into his door.
Yeah, hard one there for Benny Meir. It's probably going to put him on the trailer here this weekend, unfortunately. I don't think he's going to get the advantage to go into the top 4 this weekend as part of the Hi-tec Oils Pro category. Benny Hodges with a big advantage there. Whatever the setup is in Hodges' car, it just seems to be working for him at the moment.
Yeah.
He's carrying a little bit of pace, and that's the big difference, I suppose, in the rain. You can tell the cars that still have some grip in them. There's just a little peak of sunlight out there as well. Just a little peak out there, so we'll see what happens. Let's head down to Damien Cook, though.
We got Roger here. Amazing young driver. How are you feeling today? You're obviously getting up to the pointy end now.
Yeah, feeling good. Qualified really well, so been going really good in the dry, so we'll see how the wet goes.
Have you done a run in the wet yet?
Nah, not yet. The guys I'm battling, they're getting quite a few runs, so yeah, it would be good to be out there, but we'll get out there soon enough.
No worries, mate. Good luck.
Yeah, reruns this time out aren't going to be a disadvantage, are they?
No.
They're going to be a big advantage because he's got to battle whoever wins out of these two. Now, Mark McTurner made another bobble going into that corner, then another one there through the S's, whereas we see Adam Burgess very, very smooth. I think he stayed off Mark McTurner a little in his chase, but he was smooth. The line was good, so maybe an advantage. Remembering this is a rerun for the top 16 for these two, and they've now got to battle Roger Anson, who's been sitting there for couple of hours now,
long time.
Has not gone out in the rain yet.
No. So we'll check out the Trias replay. You look at the entry, Adam Burgess sets the car up well, gets it onto angle. Mark McTurnan, again, he's doing what we would normally do in a dry situation. You want to be as close as possible, but it's causing him to have to recorrect. It's causing him to have to do a lot more with his car. And it's just not giving him the time. It's not giving him the time to react. He's just too close.
The advantage we've got, though, is in any other situation where we've got a dry track and we're doing rerun after rerun and you got Roger waiting, those guys would have to go back. They'd be trying to cool the car down. They'd be changing tyres, doing setup changes. So they've got about a 5-minute turnaround. We don't have that. The tyres aren't wearing out in the rain. We can do probably about 20 or 30 laps before we even have to take that into consideration. So hopefully that means they've put enough fuel on board. That's the only thing they're going to run out of out there at the moment.
But yeah, you heard him when he was talking to Cookie. Roger hasn't seen anyone. He hasn't done any wet laps yet, and these guys have been out there cutting plenty. He's going to have to be steady. He's going to have to really be cautious about the first few laps out.
Roger was our number 3 qualifier too. Yeah. He did really well, and great to see him back in the Hi-tec Allstars Series. We saw him in South Australia last year. He did the round over there because that's where he was based. Yep. I do believe he's moved up to the Northern Territory now with the family, so got a bit of work up there. So he's living in the Northern Territory. He's got his stuff based in South Australia. He's over in Victoria competing in the Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series. So, a big effort from him and obviously his family to make that happen. I know how meticulous they are with that car. We see them do a full nut and bolt check on that whenever they pull that into the pits at a night time. So they go over that car. They're very meticulous. It's a cleanly presented S15 as well with the 2J power on board. Great to see him joining us, and hopefully we'll see him at many more rounds this season.
Yeah, and it absolutely has been an impressive driver. Very, very entertaining to watch. Let's just see what he can do in the wet.
We've got the characters on screen now, the boys. What are they doing? They're already fighting over who's going to be better when they get their car done. Good to see
talking with the hands,
Good
right?
to see Aggie back. And look, we just need to get his car out here. That's all we need. Boys are stirring each other up. It's going to be a big night back at the accommodation later.
The wet weather is not dampening the spirits in the pits, let me tell you. They might not be right up on the barriers. They might be hiding a little bit, but they're having a good time.
Here we go. A couple of 900 horsepower monsters coming back out on track too, and they did really well last time. Definitely whatever the suspension is dialed in. Of course, we've got James Abbott there in Nigella just cruising around, 2J Power, and then Paddy Barley. We just spoke to his dad before, and he gave us a quick rundown of what you want to do initially, I suppose, in these wet weather conditions, and lots of people going back and checking that on the live stream to find out exactly what that is. But, another big V8 horsepower car. They've had a few issues with the fuel pumps today. Managed to sort that out. So, a lot of big names there. Patrick Barley is another one who came into the series a couple of years ago in his S13.5 and had a couple of, results there. Got on the podium at the end of the first time he came out. And last season, he came out in the C6 Corvette, put on a show, had moments, I suppose, where he was up there, moments where he really bowed out very early, but he's got the talent.
Yes.
It's just been a new car, getting the set out down now. He lives in Melbourne now, not in the Darwin Northern Territory, so he's not travelling as far. He's not having that tiring pace, I suppose, where he flies in, they drive a couple of hours out to where the car's stored, work on it flat out. He goes up there on weekends, can just tinker along, get the car sorted.
And he gets more time to drive in Melbourne, and that's the thing. That's part of the relocation strategy. Is you're on the eastern seaboard. There's a lot more tracks available. There's more regular events available, and he's been out in that car only a few weeks ago. So in the lead up to this event, he's had a bit of seat time, getting used to it. But let's talk about Jabbett. He was just so calm, cool and collected. He was just put my lap down, get it done. Let's see if he can do it this time. But they look really close going into turn one, and Patrick Barley has had to avoid an incident. I think they were really, really close. Maybe they just didn't anticipate just how quickly Jabbett was going to get away. Patrick Barley's got all the grip in the world from the setup change, and then from the drone footage, it looked like he was going right into the side of it.
How did he miss a wall there for James Abbott? He's got a wheel off. Now there's a little bit of contact there, I think, too, because Paddy didn't spin out. He just did a backwards entry and then managed to rejoin the drift. So it's all happening now in the wet conditions here in the top 4 at the Hi-tec Allstars Pro category.
Whoa, and just on initiation, has he made contact? I think he has. A front bumper on Patrick Barley's car is now indented, so he might have just made a bit of contact on the back of Jabs. Oh, wow. Coming into turn 1, it just, you can't rocket into turn 1 and stay steady. It's just, you've got to be steady, start the drift, the initiation point, you've got to get that right, and then you can do what you need, like then you can apply a bit of pressure. Wow. That was a big push.
That was a big push, and we'll see how they turn that round. The next couple coming up. Brad Toohey, our number 1 qualifier on screen. Jordan Sanderson alongside, and Brad said it all when we dropped down there with him and Cookie before, was that Jordan Sanderson is actually done a lot of laps now because he's in the Pro-Am as well.
Yep, heaps of laps today, but both conditions, and he looks so solid. I'm very, very impressed with Jordan's driving today, but also Brad Toohey. Like this almost could have been a final type pairing with both of these drivers in the way they've been performing today, and we've got them in the top 8.
That's exactly right, yeah, top 8 there, and we'll wait and see. Jordan Sanderson will be the experience of Brad Toohey, can get him through to the final. He's in the lead though, Brad Toohey. They come from the right-hand side of the track. Now he crosses over, sets that initiation up. He won't want to push it too hard, but the 86 is looking good.
Big angle coming through the end of turn 1 and a nice switch into turn 2. He has trimmed the line a little bit, closing the door on Jordan just a little bit there, and he runs wide off onto the track. But Brad Toohey really dialed, and he was so close to that wall.
That's 2 of them now. They're coming out, and if they grab any inch of that ripple strip, there is no traction on the rear. The car slides out, and they're doing whatever they can just not to make contact with those barriers.
They are tempting fate if they're getting that close to those barriers. Those ripple strips do unsettle the car. When you've got forward momentum, it's one thing, but yeah, in the greasy, wet conditions, you're just going to bounce over them, and it's going to send you straight into that tyre barrier.
He did close that gap down the end of the understeer from Jordan Sanderson, the background, the big V8. Just didn't want to turn that time, and wow, that's so close. 2 cars now there, and Brad Toohey, nice job in the lead. How much penalisation will he get? How many penalty points will he get for not leaving that gap there, I suppose, through the middle S section, not being a metre off? That's the question. We've got to turn around, though, and how much will they penalise Jordan, because he had a straight and he went off the track at understeer, but was it because he couldn't put the nose in there? So it's going to come down to consideration with the judges. They're going to deliberate on that a bit, I'd say, depending on what happens in the next run, because there might be a clear winner after that.
Right, we'll get away with this next battle. James Abbott on the right-hand side of the screen. Patrick Barley in the lead. Will cut over in front and enter into turn 1. We know that the Corvette's got quite a bit of grip, but has he over-rotated? That is a massive entry coming into turn 1, well offline and far too deep. That's such a hard line to follow. You just can't follow that in a drifting battle. If you're in James Abbott's seat right now, you'll be thinking he is gone, he's spun. But in the second half of this lap, Abbott's right there with him and caught right back up.
Look at the proximity as they go through the final fill zone there. James Abbott really backed off at the start. We'll have a look at on the Tri-Ace replay now. And Patrick Barley not scared to throw it in there. Look at him. Throws caution to the wind, doesn't care, manages to pull the car up. James Abbott, I think, is just going, mate, don't make contact. Whatever you do, don't make contact. Patrick Barley gets back into it, though. James Abbott nice and smooth through that middle section here as they come back. Shallow there from Patrick Barley. Of course, he's already offline at that point.
Yeah, look, this really will go against Patrick Barley. He's gone so deep into turn 1. You've got to put down a qualifying style lead run in a drift battle situation. But James Abbott just stayed cool, calm and collected. He just put his car on lock. He knew what he was doing, and he just managed the chase position so well. That's going to play into James's hands for sure.
Jordan Sanderson, opportunity to lead over Brad Toohey, and it understeers and a big straight in there. Brad Toohey now has to get out of the drift 2, not to make contact with Jordan Sanderson. So, wow.
It's gone
big
both ways.
Difference. It's gone both ways this time at the moment. You think Brad Toohey's been super consistent, though, even in his lead run. It's just he came in a little bit shallow on Jordan Sanderson, his lead run, and Jordan had a straight. Now, how did the judges see that? Whereas Jordan's now had a massive straight on his own. When we check out the Tri-Ace replay, Tony, though, he comes in hot.
He's coming in quick. He knows he's up against a pretty serious competitor in Brad Toohey, but then he's had an enormous error on turn 1. I mean, that's, like we've always said, you've got to get turn 1 right, and it's a big error at turn 1. He's regathered himself. He's got through turn 2 pretty well, all things considered, filling the zone at the end of turn 3 and then up the hill. That all looks really good. But that turn 1 error is such, you can't chase that.
And you're going to have a look at Brad Toohey. He's obviously had to take evasive action there, not make contact. He's gone over the ripple strip on turn 1, but he's got back into the drift. He hasn't straightened up after that, hasn't had understeer issues. He's managed to keep the car going. So it's got to be a bit of an advantage in the chase versus chase as well.
Yeah, that's it. They'll look at the lead versus lead, chase versus chase, mark down all of the criteria and deductions across all of the lap. But I think Brad Toohey might have just kept that together.
So here we go. We are now going to go to the battle between Roger Ianson and Mark Materna. Now, this is actually a top 16 run for this one. I'm waiting for Materna and Adam Birch to get through the runs. Obviously, Materna got the win. And look at Roger Ianson. Hasn't had an opportunity to do a wet lap out there and throws it in. And Mark Materna is locked up and off track by the looks of it. He has gone into the grass.
Wow. That's a huge error, but I am so impressed with Roger's driving. First wet lap out, and that was such an impressive entry. I think Mark is just, mate, I've got to go for it, and he's gone and thrown it in. He's lost steering input, and it's sent him off the side of the track.
Let's have a look at the tri-ace replay, and Roger Ianson, super impressive there. He's quick, and it's gripped up. The car doesn't look like it's going to over-rotate at all. The wheel speed looks very consistent. Mark Materna trying to keep up is gone. He's somewhere out of the grass. There he goes. He rejoins the track in the background there. And Roger Ianson looking super smooth. No surprise he was our number 3 qualifier. He, like I say, he doesn't always have that huge pizzazz, I suppose, that flair that just gives you those extra couple of points. But putting the car in the points where you need to be, impressing the judges, and super
dialed. Yeah, just absolutely dialed. So for a first lap out, that was very impressive, and full credit to Roger. What a run.
Can't wait to see them turn around and back that up. We're waiting on the start line between James Abbott and Patrick Barley. Obviously they are talking to the starter. I do believe we may have a result there. I might wait to go through that until we see these cars drive off track at the moment. Great to see our drones still getting around. Obviously waiting for the moment where the droplet stop.
Yeah.
I don't want to knock that out of the sky. We're doing a fantastic job, and look at the views here at Winton Motor Raceway. It's round number 1 of the Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series for 2023, and we've got 4 more rounds to go. It's already exciting. We've had the changing in weather conditions. We've had some names that haven't made it through to the top 16, some names that didn't make it through qualifying after mechanical issues. That's going to throw a big spanner in the works for the championship, for people who want to come back and try and do it again. Brody Marr, big weekend for him and the crew, and they're going to have to go home with a tail between their legs to Tasmania and do a fair bit more work on that car. They've had a big 3 months leading up to this one. It's not over for them.
No, that's absolutely spot on, mate. It's just, regathering your thoughts and getting back into it and not letting one round dampen your spirits.
Here we go, Roger Ianson now in the chase. Mark Materna in the lead. Now, last time Mark understeered into this first corner. He looks like he set himself up nicely. A little bit slower, see. He just didn't like the speed of Ianson, but Ianson's done a nice job there just to tuck him behind. And look at him with the proximity in the rain.
Wow.
He wants to put the nose right in there, doesn't he?
Yeah, wow. That's... I'll say it again, mate. He's doing his first chase lap in the wet weather conditions, and that was phenomenal. He must have just such a confidence in the car that he can just throw it around. And obviously a little bit of slow motion going on, but he just switched beautifully between turn 2 and 3 and then just put it right back on the door and could gather himself going up the hill.
They've been in the Barley book of wet weather driving, I think.
Yeah.
Wet weather setups.
Yeah.
What's going on, Alan?
Yeah, how do we make this work?
They've had the time, I think, sitting in the pits to make that happen, to be able to make those adjustments.
Look, very impressive from Mark as well. He's come out and he's gathered himself up as well. It looks like he's obviously a lot more confident in the lead position, however the drive and traction from his car. He's obviously got quite a good amount of drive when he's in the lead position. He can gather himself up, but just obviously the deductions from his chase is really going to let him down.
having a look at the result there, it does look like Roger Ianson has gone through in that top 16, so he'll move into the top 8. We do only have one battle left in that top 8 in the pro category, so let's look through a couple of the results. Brad Toohey obviously got through Jordan Sanderson. Brad Toohey has got the win in that one. We can confirm that. It was Benny Meir and Ben Hodges as well. Benny Meir had some issues there, spun out. Ben Hodges has got the win in that one. James Abbott and Patrick Barley, and no surprise there, Barley very aggressive on there, nearly spun out, and James Abbott in Nigella will go through into the top 4. So there's 3 in your top 4. The next thing we need to know, Roger Ianson is going to take on Jordan Putkins.
Yeah, wow, that's...
Now Putkins has been doing Pro-Am as well, so he's had plenty of wet weather laps, but Roger Ianson, I can't see...
That was
how
faultless.
It was faultless.
Yeah.
It was very nice to see it out there. It was like going and watching some ice skating, wasn't it, out there? Just very smooth and elegant is what I want to put it. It was elegant out there for Roger Ianson. He just really smooth with the driving, getting the car, all the points the judge want to see. If he can maintain that, and the speed was still reasonably good considering how slippery the track is at the moment.
Yeah, coming into turn 1 for his first lap, I thought, I got nervous. I'm watching it. He's coming in with speed, threw it to angle, was really calm, held it there on lock, on line, and then back on the gas, flicking through turn 2. I'm like, right, he's got the second transition right. Because it's those swings of pendulum, change of directions, that's going to be the thing that's going to get you come unstuck.
Well, jumping in a car now to talk to someone is Damien Cook.
Yeah, Jordan, mate, this thing's had more tyres on it today than nearly any car. You're not even getting out of it anymore. We just keep swapping from 265s to 235s. How'd you go with Brad?
It was very hard, very slippery. I think having the grippy tyres on the back and then the Super Sports on the front, I had a little bit of push. And I got a little bit crossed up. I lost where my steering wheel was at one in the second corner. And I gave it my best. So
You've certainly been doing that all day. Like, for someone that's been driving for a year, you really stepped up. I'll have a crack at pro. Mate, you're having a crack. Like, you're doing a really good job. Hopefully enjoying yourself too.
Yeah, and I'm learning a lot. First time driving in the wet, so it was good.
Good on you, mate. Keep it going. Enjoy the day.
He is absolutely taken like a duck to water when it comes to drifting, hasn't he? Step out of go-karting. He's only been doing it a year. Started off with a Commodore Ute is a clunky sort of machine. It's not really ideal for drifting. They've made some decent modifications to that car. They've made it work, and lots more on the way. And he's got to take some confidence out of round 1 when it comes to the pro category. I mean, he's still in the Pro-Am, but he's got to take a whole heap of confidence in that pro category.
Well, when I was chatting to him earlier today, he's like, yeah, I'll take a step up into pro for this round, because he already sort of had his head and mind and heart in pro for the rest of this year. So he's like, if I'm going to go into pro in maybe one of the later rounds of the year, I'd like to get some time in with the drivers and with the grip and the setup. And why not? Why not do it at one of the local rounds? So yeah, he's already keen.
He's in his backyard. It's not too far from home, obviously, Victorian. So it's only 2.5 hours out of Melbourne to get up to Winton Motor Raceway as well, and it's a fantastic place to be around. You can have a bit of time to yourself, and we'll be going and checking out the local pub tonight.
Look, just quietly, yes, we will. I think so.
For dinner.
Yeah, just for a meal.
Dinner, that's all we're doing. Let's have a look, though, at our battle tree. Top 16 now on your screen as we run through them, all thanks to Hi-tec Oils, the Drift Allstars Series. There it is, Brad Toohey, Jordan Sanderson, your top 8. James Abbott and Patrick Barley it was. Roger Ianson and Jordan Putkins is out on track now. We'll wait to see who exactly is going to be there. Ben Meir and Ben Hodges, though, they've battled out. Hodges has gone through. Brad Toohey's gone through. James Abbott's gone through. And we're just waiting to get a result out of this next battle out on track. But Roger Ianson, for me, he's got to be my favourite out of all those people. Even between Brad Toohey and Ben Hodges, they've been doing really well. Roger Ianson, for me, is just so smooth when it comes to those style points.
I think we could have a Roger and Jordan Sanderson type battle it out, maybe, or we could have a Jordan Putkins. Let's be honest, he's on track right now. Both of these guys, they have both been very dialed. So Jordan in the Black S13, he was really confident in flicking to angle. He's done a lot of laps. This might actually be the battle of the day to try and get through these two guys to find out who's going to make those top 4.
So looking at the points from last season, it's almost like we've inverted it.
Yeah.
We've turned around and the names that should be at the top are at the bottom, and some of the names that we've never really had or have only done one round before that normally sitting down the bottom of the points are going to be at the top. So, interesting results to kick off the 2023 season. It's not over yet, though. We are waiting to battle it out now. The final battle of our top 8 in the Hi-tec Oils Pro category. And we'll find out who's going to be in our top 4 a little bit later on. Our Pro-Am competitors, all thanks to Zoo Performance, waiting there eager to get back out on track. Of course, they don't want to change too much now that it's starting to dry out there. In the meantime, let's quickly head down to Cookie.
Yeah, we're getting the point out. Look who's still here. Benny from the block. You've been on your lid here. You've had computers full of water.
Yeah.
You're up here at the point end.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I'm absolutely stoked. I'm blown away. I can't believe the car's held up. But obviously with Zoo on board and Russ helping out in the pits, it's just been a dream drive. We've managed to get through the top 4 and I don't know what to say about it. It's crazy.
Going.
Yeah. We'll see how we go. I'm just happy, just stoked to be here now. Yeah.
Wow, we saw the lead there from Roger Jansen over Jordan Putkins, and mate, the speed he's carrying, but look at that. We're seeing the pooling water, but we're seeing the drying track also. It's not 100% dry, but we're going to start seeing those patches coming through the more we run them. Will those ominous dark clouds in the background lubricate the track again?
Oh, look, anything could happen this afternoon. It does still look quite dark outside, but both of these guys, I mean, Roger came in with such speed again into turn 1, really steady, but the drive and traction in his car through that second part of the lap, he's just so confident coming out of turn 3, putting it up towards the wall on that outer zone, filling it completely. His car does have a lot of drive and a lot of get-go. Not taking anything away from Jordan, both of them did very, very well, but yeah, certainly a dominating lead run from Roger.
We just caught up with Benny Hodges down there with Cookie, and look, he would be watching on, I reckon, watching Roger Jansen going, where's this guy come from? This one's going to be one. Look, so happy just to make it into the top 4 at the moment, Benny Hodges, and he's going to be taking on Brad Toohey in the next round. So that is going to be a huge scalp if he can get that one. Brad Toohey looks like he never left the series. He looks like he's coming with all the confidence. He's coming with all the car set up and really going to take it to him. He's already got 2 championships under his belt. Could this be another year for Brad Toohey? We'll have to wait and find out because, you know, the Zestino tyres A+ Towing GT86 is really smooth on track all weekend, dry conditions, wet conditions. Yep. He's doing it all.
Yeah, it's been faultless. I think he's probably made one error all weekend, and it was just because he was exploring the limits of the car and really throwing it around to just get a good feel for the thing. But yeah, it's like he's never left. It's been fantastic.
All right, this time though, it's going to be Putkins to lead us out over Roger Jansen. Can he do what he did last time and tuck the car in and put the pressure on the lead car? Because Roger Jansen running a nice clinical line at the moment. He has to do a bit of a bowl, a bit of a straighten there with Putkins in front, but he's not letting him get too far away. Nice transition there. Puts the nose in.
Just trimming, having to trim to be able to go up and over the ripple strip to try and catch up. I think Jordan was pretty wide coming through turn 2. It really gave an opportunity for Roger to catch right up. But it looked like Putkins was coming in with quite a bit more angle and more confident in the initial setup or the initial flick into turn 1. We'll check it out in the tries replay. But yeah, the initial setup here, they both rotated a similar sort of velocity or a similar speed, but Jordan just goes to just that little bit more angle. He's a little shallow coming through turn 1, but turn 2 he makes up for it and sits really wide, so he's probably too far wide coming through turn 2, which then puts him in a spot where it sort of closes the door a little bit and then doesn't quite get all the way out to that outside zone. But all in all, look, it's challenging conditions. Not a bad run overall, but yeah, Roger had a chance to really show what he can do in the chase position and catch right up.
The overhead shot starts to show it, doesn't it? The track, you can see where it's wetter, a little bit more glossy. Now we're starting to see a bit more matte finish, and it's going to start drying out as they go through. And I think with the Pro-Am battles, it's not going to really assist them with those changing track conditions. I'm just getting confirmation Roger Jansen has got that and will go in the top 4 against James Abbott. That's going to be a fantastic top 4. All right, let's head into the Z Performance top 4 now for the Pro-Am category. Jordan Sanderson taking on Kieran Ratcliffe.
Here we go into turn 1, the flick and initiation. Kieran Ratcliffe in the chase position, flicks really early, but it's come unstuck. He's gone just a bit too early in turn 1 and he's had to recorrect. Jordan Sanderson looking really dominant in the lead position, pushing out really wide to fill that last zone. Tags that ripple strip, but luckily keeps the car together and over the finish line for his lead run.
Well, he's done so many battles here this afternoon, game between 2 categories. He's only got the Pro-Am left. That's all the battling he needs to do from now on. So he can have a bit of a rest. There's a lot of muscle memory, I suppose, getting around there, but also in the wet conditions, it's got to be tiring out as a lead driver. Look how early, though, on the replay there, all thanks to Trias, Kieran Ratcliffe throws it in. I think he's anticipating Jordan to do that as well.
Yeah, and look, you're going to have to do something. He's probably sitting there in the chase position going, you know what, I'm going to try and really get up. I'm expecting the surface to be greasy and maybe it will carry me further coming into turn one, and maybe the drying conditions has slowed him down just that little bit. It was impressive angle coming into turn one. But just too much. He's had to recorrect and obviously took a big chunk out of the ripple strip.
Always hard when you're in the chase position, isn't it? Because you've got to hope that you've got to have the confidence in the car in front that they're going to do something very similar to you. They're going to maintain the line. They're going to keep their angle. They're not going to over-rotate it as well. So maybe, like Jordan Sanderson's done a few more laps out there now. Now we can start to see some tyre smoke coming off too, which we haven't seen probably in the last half an hour to 45 minutes. So the track is drying out, and it could be that entry there that Jordan has that little bit up his sleeve where he's just come out of the Pro and gone, you know what, there's a couple of dry patches there. On the lead-in, I'll initiate a little bit later.
But as you can see, you'll see, depending on the angle we get, you'll see coming into turn one, if they're running the really wide back tyre line, you can see a splash. So there's a really wet patch on the back tyre initiation point at turn one that then, that's going to be a really greasy point. But then if they come off that onto a drying track, then you're going to have a rocket forward of momentum. It's just going to be all over the place as the track starts to dry.
All right, this time Kieran Ratcliffe will lead us out in that 33. Here he goes, initiation in, sets the car nicely, no bobble this time, he gets it right. He's a little bit tight coming into the ripple strip, not quite a metre off this time as they transition back. Nice through turn number 2, and Jordan Sanderson will just put the nose in there, doesn't want to get too close to the car in front. Feels the outer zone there, can pull it all the way. Kieran Ratcliffe does a nice job there, transition back, just needs to get the wheels on the black stuff, and he does that as well. That's a great lead run there from Kieran Ratcliffe, but is it enough after that mistake in the chase run?
Yeah, what a really impressive lead run. Again, really controlled. You went in for that first one going, wow, he's got his reference point back now because he's gone in too hard on the chase, but now, hey, I know what I need to do. So sets the car up, goes wide, puts it on angle, not crazy amounts of angle, but it's nice and controlled. And then a controlled switch back through the middle part, nice and balanced. The car looks like it's squatting in the rear. He's got a bit of drive and a bit of momentum, tagging a bit of the water patches. You can see a few of them out there. Over the ripple strip will be a bit greasy, but he was already mostly completed the lap in a really controlled, really impressive situation. He's quite happy with himself with a fist bump out the window.
Look, you can't be upset about a lead run like that, especially when we've come into the top 4 now of the Zoo Performance Pro-Am. We'll wait and see who will get the win out of those two. You think Jordan Sanderson with a bit of advantage from his lead run, and I am seeing here the win will go to Jordan Sanderson, so he'll get the opportunity to be on one of the top 2 steps of the podium now, our top 4. It's not over for him, they're coming back. It means Kieran Ratcliffe will get the opportunity to fight it out for 3rd position, so he can still find a podium now. He's done all the hard work to get to the glory end of the day. And, of course, it's always glorious if you're holding that champagne, you're standing on a podium.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It looks like...
Nothing like an oversized check to take home.
Oh, it's great wall art for the garage. Let's check this out one more time. Kieran Ratcliffe in the lead. Jordan Sanderson just going to tuck right up there under the rear bumper. The switch coming through the mid part of the corner. Yeah, look, Kieran can't fault that lead run. He's sitting in perfect spot. Jordan again getting right up in the middle on the gas. And here we go. Kieran probably ran just a little wide there. If we had to be really critical of it, probably ran just a little bit wide over the ripple strip instead of being right at it. He was on it and sort of over it. But aside from that, that's probably one of the only little things we can pick on.
Yeah, I think it's probably more the mistake when he was in the chase position there, which is unfortunately not giving him the win there. But like I say, done the hard work to make it into the top 4. Still has an opportunity at making 3rd place there. Jordan Sanderson, though, might go through. He's going to be 1st or 2nd here as we see some of the cars already loading up in these wet conditions there. Pretty keen to get them loaded up and watch these finals out on track. And Warwick Hill, what a weekend that car's had, doing double duties now after Matty Walters' car very early on in the weekend. Hurt something in the engine of his R33, so Warwick said, you know what, you help me out with the car, you get me here, I'm going to let you borrow my car as well. So a few of the teams have Brody Maher in the background. Yeah. Wow, what a weekend.
What a shame.
Is there any energy left for those guys?
Look, they have been doing all-nighters in the lead up to it. You've got to have a love, you've got to have a passion for it, right? Like, this is really testing people's mental ability and mental commitment.
Mental stamina.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
All right, and it's going to be Jordan Putkins now. He's going to be back out into his Pro-Am, and he's going to be taking on Jory Bretkoff. In the meantime, let's head down to Cookie.
Yeah, geez, we got George here from Hi-tec, mate. Another stellar about Winton, just a beautiful track, and obviously a great relationship going on for you guys at the moment here, and also with the Super Series. How you found the day? I mean, the weather didn't turn it on that good, but let's let the boys turn it on for you.
It was a bit disappointing with the weather, the way it extended up this afternoon, but obviously great battles, and the boys are really. First round's always difficult. Everybody's getting their cars together and all that stuff, but we're basically here for the next couple of weeks with the Super Series, the Hi-tec Super Series we're doing next week with Winton Motorsport. So I'm looking forward to that next weekend. It'll be great too.
Yeah, exciting, and thanks again, Hi-tec, for getting behind all these sports for us.
That's all right. They want to keep racing. We'll keep doing it.
Sounds good, mate. Cheers.
All right, let's lead them out in this battle. Putkins there, very wide. Jory Bretkoff. Wow, he shot that in there, and it didn't pay off. It just slid out from under him. Loses the proximity over Jordan Putkins.
Wow. Yeah, look, he was going for an aggressive move to try and catch up. The starting there, he's like, yeah, I've got to catch right up, and he threw it in and just kept on the gas. And then he got a little bit tangled in his arms by the looks.
We'll check out the Tri-Ace replay here. Putkins, we know, has had that traction there, and there's tyre smoke now. It's starting to dry out on track, but he's very shallow there. That's going to throw Jory Bretkoff off a little bit. That might be some of the issues there.
Yep.
He's lost that. He's had a straight and then had to re-initiate. He's just grabbed the ripple strip there as the car's turned as well. Maybe that's unsettled the car a fraction. So a lot for the judges to think about here. Is it the lead car that's caused the chase car to come off their line, alter what they've had to do, and not be able to get back into the drift?
Yeah, spot on. It'll be coming into that turn one, closing the door. Made it really hard for Jory to be able to do anything, and then he's going to re-initiate. So there probably was a bit of a clutch kick there, and then into a bit of a wet patch as well. So then he had to gather himself up coming through the mid part of the circuit. This is going to be really challenging. As we get a drying circuit, where do you keep your wheels? Like, is your front wheels going to be in the wet part of the track and your back tyres are on the dry? You're going to get forward momentum, and then it's going to push you onto another part of the wet track. It's just, these are probably going to be the most challenging conditions, getting the balance between wet and dry. If it's all wet or all dry, you're all good. It's just this balance between the two.
Great shots there from the drone that's getting around as well. You can see the drying track conditions, although the top of the track might still have a bit of moisture on it. It's not as slick. There's not this nice shiny top to it like we can see off of the line, the racing line, where the drivers have been everywhere down the back corner. You can see it there. This time though, Corey with a J is going to take off, and here we go. The SR20 powered S13 can get the win over Jordan Putkins. Putkins will tuck the nose in. Oh, Jory just gets a nice, he's very shallow there, puts it through that big puddle inside near the ripple strip. It's not so bad there, but then he shuts it down again.
Yeah, turn one and turn two. Unfortunately, Jory's just come too shallow. You really do need to be that metre off the barrier, a metre off the ripple strip. We've been going through it all day, and it just seems like whether he's just a little bit, not as confident in the car in this last point, maybe a bit of pressure's getting to him, top four, right up into the pointy end of it. He's just got to get back to what he was doing,
He's just surprised the SR's still got rocker arms on it. That's
take it easy, mate. Take it easy.
Well, we've got to fire up the SR boys out there, get them fired up for these finals.
Yes.
I think Jory Bretkoff there too, he missed the outer clipping, the outer fill zone here, didn't make it all the way out. Then he goes back across, doesn't really have a lot of angle going through that one as well. So really the second half of the run, the lead line's off, didn't hit those clipping points in the first two, like he was just too shallow.
Yeah.
Huge disadvantage there. If I was a betting man, I'm going to go on Putkins, I think, at the moment. I'm going to say Jordan Putkins might be the one that's going to fight it out for that first and second position there with Jordan Sanderson. So that'll be a great showdown between those two as well. So can't wait to see when we get the results from all these drivers coming through at the moment here from the Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series. It's round number 1 from Winton Motor Raceway. And, of course, we're about to battle it out now. Our top 8 when it comes to our Hi-tec Pro category. It's Brad Toohey going to be taking on Ben Hodges. Our top 4. Brad Toohey and Ben Hodges will battle that out now. Brad Toohey, super consistent. Ben Hodges just happy. He's so excited, but the car has been gripped up in the wet. Changing conditions could change it. And then James Abbott taking on Roger Ianson. That is going to be one intense battle.
Yeah, awesome. I think the way Jabbett's been conducting himself this weekend, he's been pretty cool about things. We know he can get into it if the track does dry up enough for him. Mate, I'm keen. This is going to be a really cool top 4 for the Pro class.
Well, Ben Hodges will just make his way to the start line. I'm not quite sure if he's going to lead us out on this one. We'll have to wait and see who's going to be the lead to take it on, because the conditions are changing, and in the background there we can see in the scrubbing area tyre smoke. So it is drying out, and this is the question, is, are the guys pushing up there? Because when they're initiating in, like you say, their back tyres are starting to get in a dry section of the track, and it's pushing the car forward. So the initiation point, where they want to initiate coming into the first corner, is going to start changing. Brad Toohey's going to lead us out, though, in the Zestino tyres, A-Plus Towing GT86 over the Zoo Performance Link. ECU, Ben Hodges, S15, here we go, Toohey in, nice, Toohey gets the angle on there, it's a little bit shallow, but he's not right up on the ripple strip, gave him a little bit of room for Hodges, does nice through there too, comes in a little bit shallow at the end, oh, he's over the ripple strip, he's not going to make that out of field zone. Wow, that's going to be a big point deduction. The track is definitely changing, because we have not seen Brad Toohey do that all weekend.
What a change. It seems like the track literally changed just between the last couple of laps. You know, we're seeing so much more speed on entry, as we see here coming into turn one. We're seeing tyre smoke on the lap as well. It was a big flick coming through the second part of it. It's all looking pretty good for Brad, but then he just chomps a bit of that inside ripple strip. He's just too shallow. That then sends him shallow on the turn three inside ripple strip. So no outer zone at all coming into the last part of the circuit. That's going to be a big deduction for a lead lap.
It's definitely the track drying out. You can see that it's caught Brad unaware. Remembering, we've just had cars out on a radial tyre, the Pro-Am, they run a 235, it's a radial tyre, like a street tyre you get on your car. Yes, they run good quality tyres, soft compounds. Then we go to a semi-slick, much like you see on a circuit car. It's got some tread on it, but they're a 265, they're wider, they're soft, they've got more grip. So you get any sort of dry track, it's just going to push the car forward. Now, the cars are set up and designed for that, but when you've got a bit of wet track, a bit of dry track, very hard. And it could be the same thing for Ben Hodges when he's in the lead. He just gets that moment wrong.
Yeah.
Could come unstuck.
Yeah. It's just so challenging. And you know, you get the pressure of top four as well. You know, you're pulling up on the line next to Brad Toohey, you're Ben Hodges. You know, how am I going to tackle this? How am I going to get the confidence in my driving, confidence in the car to put it in the right spot? I still need to get the judging criteria, all these things. And then Brad Toohey's sitting there going, well, Benny Hodges has been driving really well all day as well. What am I going to do to make sure I get it? And he went out aggressive. And
I think Brad Toohey, we know what he's like, his competitive nature, and it's a good thing for Brad Toohey. He is all business, right? He's not one of those guys that's flashy. He comes here to win, but he's a nice guy in the pits. Now, he is going to push Ben Hodges all the way. He knows he's got a disadvantage coming into this one. So how much is he going to try and get on the door of Hodges there? He puts the nose in there. Can he get the 86 right up? Hodges shuts the door down, doesn't let him in, same as what Brad Toohey did. So we're 1 for 1 when it comes to these corners, and again, Hodges not giving him a lot of room, but Brad Toohey's proximity is much better. Hodges, though, pushes his car out wide. We're not seeing Toohey do that either. He's not getting those out of field zones, and this is the moment where I am glad I'm not a judge.
The guys upstairs have got plenty of work to do in making these calls. We're at the pointy end of the day. But yeah, we'll see on the Trias replay right now, the setup of turn one was quite good. You're seeing obviously a grab of handbrake. That's going to be the most conservative way to get through turn one. But Ben Hodges just comes in too tight. He runs a wheel up on the ripple strip, and that does upset the rest of the lap, because then he's in a different position coming through turn two, which pushes him into a different position for turn three, and then you're just constantly, you know you're offline, and you're constantly trying to do something to rectify it. Brad's done a reasonable job chasing him down, even though you can see that he's offline.
There was that straight between turn one and turn two for Brad Toohey, but was it because Ben Hodges shut down the line and didn't let him get the nose in there because he's right on the ripple strip? Well, we'll wait and find out. They're going to turn that around, and we'll try and get a decision from the judges. In the meantime, let's head on to our next top four battle. It's going to be the Hi-tec Oils S15 Nigella. James Abbott taking on Roger Hansen in the S15. Also 2J against 2J. Here we go, first corner, and look at Abbott, throw it in there. Oh, winds a bit of angle on late. I think he's found a bit of the greasy stuff out wide. He's pushed that car back bar now as Hansen didn't give him any room at all. You couldn't put a piece of paper between them. Oh, the bar's still swinging around, and James Abbott, I think he's finding those dry parts of the track and really unsettling that car.
Wow. Coming into turn one, they got off the start line. I'm like, right, they're moving. They're going quick. It's a big throw into it. James has gone a little bit too deep into turn one. Great to be able to keep it off the tyre wall like we saw earlier. Warwick Hill's car going into the tyre wall earlier. Because once you get past this forming dry line that we've got going on, just off the other side of the track there, right where James Abbott is right now, that will be very, very greasy. And that, he's got back on the power to come back on the circuit. All wheel spin. He's going nowhere. Rogers just tagged his rear bumper coming through the mid part of the circuit. They've got to push pretty hard. This is the pointy end of the game. They've got to push pretty hard, but just throwing it in too hard to turn one, it's just sent him well off the side of the track, and he's had to recover.
He's probably watched the cars before him too. It's that risk you want to take where you say, well, it's starting to dry out. I've seen people pushed in. Yep. Guys that have been running a metre off that clipping zone all weekend, all of a sudden now running right up against the ripple zone. So he knows there's traction coming into play, and each lap these guys do in front of him dries the track out and dries the line out a little bit more. So I think James Abbott had to take a bit of a risk there. Didn't quite pay off for him, maybe a little bit too fast. And the problem is, because off that line the water hasn't dried as much, you're right, you just project off. Yep,
the marbles, the water, the whole lot. It's going to be such a gamble, because you're literally watching everyone else go, well, they're going a bit harder, how hard can I go? And now he's got a chance to chase, so it's a different position to be in. Roger's got to do the same thing. He's got to be able to go, well, how hard am I going to go? I've got to beat this guy. He's a worthy competitor. We're both going to throw into turn one. What are we going to do to make this come off?
They're the two cars are lined up waiting for our starter to release them here. Roger Hansen will lead out James Abbott to finish off this battle. Will we get a decision out of this one? Could it be a one more time? We don't know. We'll wait and find out. It's all going to come down to this. We are in the top 4 of our Hi-tec Oils Pro category here at the Hi-tec Drift Allstars. Round number 1, Winton Motor Raceway in Victoria. It's a big year coming up. Massive. We've got some huge layouts, some big announcements coming your way as well when it comes to that. Can't wait.
Very much looking forward to it. But let's go. Get into the second part of this battle. James Abbott's going to be in the lead. A big entry into turn 1. Roger Hansen's... they've gone around the other way. James Abbott's in the chase this time around. Roger Hansen's in the lead. That was a big entry. Cut the inside line. Roger's doing a better job of pushing out wider. And he's just found traction. Look at the speed difference, the overall lap speed difference, but Roger's speed difference in the lead. He's been able to find the traction and get the drive out of the corner.
Check out the tri-ace replay here, and you're right. He was no slouch first corner, dab of the handbrake just to get the car initiated. There's a bobble there, though, on entry, a little bobble there. It doesn't look like it unsettles James Abbott in the background. He's tight on that corner as well, so he's not following the line. Not so bad there. Doesn't get all the way out in that outer field zone either. The car's super fast, but it's just not meeting those points. So have they let the tyre pressures down too much to get traction in the wet? Haven't had a chance to pump them back up. Maybe the cars are actually too gripped up now, changing from the wet to the dry conditions.
Oh, what a battle for the teams, what a battle for the drivers to be able to get this right. It was only a small correction on entry for Roger versus James. Obviously, James he went well deep into turn 1. Rogers was just a small correction coming in. The rest of the lap was pretty reasonable coming through the mid part. Yes, he didn't get quite into that outer zone. You've really got to fill all that outer zone near that ripple strip. He was pretty shallow through there. But yes, he did have the drive, and it's kind of like, you've got to get the line right in lead position.
If you're shallow, you're going to be faster, right? If you're not carrying angle and you're not following that line, trying to get those fill zones, you're going to be quicker. So, look, it's a judge's call really at this point. And are they going to be able to split these two? Because, there's mistakes on both sides. Mistakes in the lead and mistakes in the chase from both cars. So we'll wait and see if the judges can quantify that and actually get a result out of this one. Of course, in your previous battle, Benny Hodges and Brad Toohey, well, this one's a huge one. Benny Hodges has actually got the win over Brad Toohey there. We saw that mistake from Brad Toohey, which he hasn't done all weekend. Brad Toohey, though, not a bad start to the season. He's still got the opportunity for 3rd position, so he's not going anywhere. We're going to see Brad Toohey come back out one more time, and he'll keep that. I suppose he's had a good run of recent. Australasian Drift title last year, and he's had a few more results in some other series as well. It's about consistency as well. You don't have to win every round, but you need to be up there in this top 4 consistently, round after round, and hopefully he can do that. And we are here, and we're getting one more time from these two, so we are going to send them again. It looks like James Abbott's going to lead us out in the Hi-tec Oils S15 over Roger Hansen in the chase, and look at him, gets the initiation in, and James Abbott looks like it is full commitment on this run. He's a metre off the apex. Check this out as they transition back. Leaves room for Hansen. He does a bit of a straighten up there. He loses angle, but he keeps that proximity. And Abbott's way out wide. No, this could be... Oh, wow.
How did he keep it off that water barrier.
That could be devastating there. He was super wide.
Wow. So straight away, coming into this lap, it's like, right, well, we've got it one more time, let's go for it. James Abbott gets wide, drops the back wheel into the water on the initial start of the course. Comes through the middle part, slight straighten, just like a little bit of correction in the middle there, but both drivers very aggressive in this battle. But this was the mistake. Unfortunately, James has just pushed it just too wide. He's found the wet patch just before that box, and then you're in the wet patch, you're on the tyre, you've gone over the ripple strip, and then, mate, you're just staring at those water barriers coming at you real quick. What a shame for that error.
Yeah. But the commitment level, though, I think, from James Abbott, much respect for that, the speed. After that first run, I think he thought, I got out of this lucky with it one more time. I am just going to lay it all on the line and hope for the best. He did go quite wide. We'll wait and see. They're going to turn around. In the meantime, let's head down to Damien Cook.
Yeah, Benny, a bit of a scalp there. You got Brad Toohey. We caught a bit of the battles down here. What's your take on it?
I was just happy to battle him, to be honest. I was just over the moon to keep the car on the track. A lot of mistakes on both parts, I think, so it'll probably come down to just who made the more mistakes at the end of it.
Yeah, and there seems to be definitely a dry and a wet line there. Is that hard to handle?
It's absolutely horrible. The first run we went out was on low boost and it was gripping up, and then I went straight to high boost just to be able to make it through. But then you hit the wet patch and you're sailing.
Yeah. All right, good luck, mate, and go in the top two.
You can really hear it in his voice, can't you? The excitement, he's been here, he's got the battle, people like Brad Toohey, who he's watched for many years, he's been in the Pro-Am, and now, he's going to be on one of the steps of the podium, one or two, and we go back to this battle, though. This time Roger Hansen leads down, contact made there from James Abbott in the back. He wasn't going to let him go. Full commitment coming into that corner.
Both of these guys are knowing that it's make or break at this point of the day. They're going and pushing really, really hard in these challenging conditions. But, yeah, a bit of a tag. James Abbott just collecting the back of Roger's car. Well, it was a bit of a slowdown. Let's get a look at the Tri-Ace replay to just get an understanding of what happened.
Check that. Roger Hansen initiates nicely there. He's off the hand. There's a lot of angle. He slows down. James Abbott's coming in hot too. I mean, he's got something to prove, doesn't he? He's applying the pressure, and that's what you got to do. You've really got to take it to your opponent. Roger Hansen, though, finishes off the lap there. It's hard because we just got confirmation there that the track is drying out. So
you want to push, but you've got to be able to push it into the right spot.
And from the judge's point of view, did they throw it in there and they've hit a wet patch or a dry patch, which has rocketed the car forward? It's something uncharacteristic. If we had, at least wet conditions or dry conditions, it's probably a bit more distinctive to see what's going on. At this point, though, we just don't know.
I guess looking at that, Roger, if he'd maybe initiated just a few more metres deeper, he would have carried that speed and momentum around the corner, and that could have avoided the incident altogether because James has got the space to play in. But right now on track, Kieran Ratcliffe in the lead, Joey Brickoff in the chase. This is our Pro-Am drivers coming through the mid part of the corner.
This is the battle for third position now in the Super Performance Pro-Am. Look at Kieran Ratcliffe trying to drive away from Joey Brickoff. The conditions are going to be different again for these guys because they've had 10-15 minutes now. Track's definitely drying out.
Yes, now these guys are going to need to push harder again. It looks like Jory's, he hasn't initiated until the ripple strip. So he was a long way off initiating. Kieran's very under control. He feels you can see straight away, he's very, very confident with the car. But Jory's initiation, just at turn one there, just didn't seem to set the car up well. Hard to know what happened. It didn't look like anything major. It didn't look like a major error. It just didn't start drifting.
Yeah, Joey Brickoff, major error there. Look, Kieran Ratcliffe in front, not a perfect lead run. Not a perfect lead run. He was probably a bit shallow on a couple of the corners there. However, he got through. It didn't affect Jory Brickoff because he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's it. Kieran went out with gusto and he got it gone, but Jory just didn't enter.
So at the moment, you can see on our screen, it was the battle for third position. Kieran Ratcliffe and Jory Brickoff are battling it out at the moment. We've already seen Kieran lead us out, but the final, who's going to be on the top step of the podium, is going to be between Jordan Sanderson and Jordan Putkins. So it's the Jordans. Jordan's going to win today.
So Jordan's going to win, but they were qualifying first and second position. Now they're battling it out for the win as well. Like, what an amazing turn of events for the day. in this Pro-Am situation.
It just shows the consistency of those two drivers, and they've been doing Pro as well, so they've had lots and lots of laps out there to get their eye in. The conditions have been challenging. They're still challenging at the moment there, and it just got a little bit darker out there, so you just never know whether we could go back to wet conditions as well instead of this mix of wet and dry. All right, this time Corey with a J. Jory Breckoff is going to lead us out. And let's see what Kieran Ratcliffe can do. Can Jory initiates nice this time, gets the car set up. He's looking, no, it's a straighten. Something's going on. It's almost like he's got a loss of power there.
There's something going on with Jory's car. We've seen him driving really consistently all day. That's his second pretty major error coming into the start of the lap. It just seems like it wants to drop out of the drift. Lack of power, lack of drive, and it's just not staying sideways.
Maybe he's changed the wing angle too much. Is that it? Like he's got the big Daytona wing on the back. I mean, should paint that car blue, I think, and we can see it out there in the car's livery. Look, that's a huge straighten.
Yeah.
Look, for me, I mean, we're not going to tell you. We're going to do a podium party after this. We're going to the podium and do all the announcements there, but it's going to be a hard one for me to give Jory that win. I think it's going to be a Kieran Ratcliffe third position. That's going to be my prediction.
Yeah, look, just that last couple of laps, he's just driving with so much more confidence. Like you said, no one's perfect at this stage with the changing conditions, but those couple of pretty major errors by Jory, it will be kicking himself a little bit. He's been very, very consistent all day, repping the SR20 engine. Good on him. Good on him for coming to battle. Absolutely love that about him. And here we go, the Pro-Am, the final battle, the battle of the Jordans. Jordan Sanderson in the lead, coming into turn one with a massive entry, big initiation. He has run very, very wide. Jordan Putkins in the chase has kept up, has used him as a moving clipping point and did exactly that. And hung it out there, let Jordan Sanderson run wide, but he didn't make the mistake. Jordan Putkins did a great job in being able to manage that distance and not run off the track with him.
Check out the Trials replay. I think it's a lot of respect there from Jordan Sanderson to know that Putkins is going to be pushing him super hard. But he's dropped a wheel in the water. There's still a puddle of water out there at that point.
Yeah,
and he's gone through it. The tyres are going to slide. That's going to really unsettle the car there for Jordan Sanderson out there in the Zec Nova Australia VE Commodore U. Hard one for him. Maybe you just need to stay. I know that's what the judges wanted to be, right out near the edge of the track. Maybe it's actually better to be half a metre in, miss the puddle, and get the car set up. You lose it. Maybe the judge will be kind to you knowing that the puddle's there. Either way, going that wide is going to be a bigger loss of points.
It was just far, far too deep into turn one, and it just really unsettles the line. So, Jordan Sanderson, he'll be kicking himself a little bit because he's been driving so well all day. But we know he's got it. We know he's a great chase driver as well. Jordan Putkins was also setting the car up so well. He seems very, very confident positioning the car into turn one. I'm really, really keen to see what the turnaround of this is. Jordan Putkins in the lead with Jordan Sanderson chasing him down for the return lap.
Well, we're down to the pointy end of the competition here for round number one of the Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series at Winton Motor Raceway. Up on screen, Yazoo Performance Pro-Am category final. This is the battle for position number one, and we've just seen Jordan Sanderson go a little bit wide on the first corner after dropping the back wheels in the puddle. And the story of today really is the changing weather conditions and how that's affected the drivers. And now that it's drying out, it's really unsettling a few of the really big names, the really consistent drivers, I should say. It's unsettling them a little bit, and we'll see that in our pro category as well coming up after this one. But here we go. The lead now. Putkins is going to take on Sanderson. Sanderson's going to have to do something here, and hopefully Putkins will make a mistake in his eyes from his point of view. But look at Putkins there. Sets the car up nicely. A little bit shallow there. That's going to maybe a few deduction in points there. Again, doesn't leave a lot of room there, but he hasn't gone wide in that first corner. Look at the errors now. Fills those zones all right. Doesn't really go out wide and do a full fill of the zone that the judges were looking for.
So we got Jordan Sanderson running wide on turn one. We got Jordan Putkins running too shallow coming into turn one. Both of those guys make a turn one error, and it makes the rest of the lap really, really hard to pick. What are you going to do? I mean, you can't pick one or the other to say they're successful. Surely we're going to have a look at it again. But look, let's go catch up with Damien down in the pits.
Yeah, Brad, looked like a real sketchy run, hard between you and Ben. Like the track conditions, just as we're just talking about the rain starting to come down again now. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it definitely was that in between, do I pluck another gear? It's almost dry enough. And for the first section, it was probably slippery enough to stay in the lower gear. But when I went to transition back up onto the straight, I gripped up a little bit. I tried to make up for it in my chase by being super aggressive, but it just wasn't enough. So I'm up against my mate Jabs now, which is James Abbott for everyone at home. So for the third and fourth, let's see how we go.
Yeah, a couple of old legends having a crack.
Why not, mate?
Cheers.
Well, we don't call them old.
No, we're just senior, experienced.
A couple of our more senior drivers in the series who've done it for a number of years.
Yes.
Going to be if it stays dry, that is going to be one epic battle to watch. It's going to be a ripper. Yeah, I can't wait for that one, and we'll wait and see if we get a result out of this one. And what are we getting? Are they going to send them back to the pits? Because they send them back to the pits, it means that we do have a result. That is what I'm waiting to see. Are we going to get a result?
Well, we've got Jordan Sanderson in the VE with his hazard lights on, and we've got Jordan Putkins. Both of the cars are returning into the pits.
That means we do have a result, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, you're not going to find out till we go over to the podium a little bit later. But which Jordan will it be taking the #1 position in the Zoo Performance Pro-Am? We do need a big shout out to Zoo Performance as well, because great supporting last season as well as the 2023 season. And check out all their products online. Of course, they've got fuel rails, harnesses, turbos, fuel fittings, lines, everything you need to start building the car. You see getting out of the car there. He loves it, doesn't he? He just enjoys a big weekend, and he doesn't know if he's fourth or third. He's definitely a massive personality when it comes to our Super Performance Pro. I can't wait to see him out there. Let's have a look at the battle tree now, though, for our Hi-tec Allstars Pro category here. It's going to be Brad Toohey and James Abbott, a couple of names that are well known amongst the Hi-tec Drift Series, battling it out for third position. And then in the final, someone who's come back, stepped up into pro, hasn't had happy huntings here at Winton before, but Benny Hodges is going to be taking on Roger Ianson.
Awesome. What a lineup for the final. Just the Brad Toohey and James Abbott battle for third. Amazing. That's going to be great to watch. But Benny Hodges, Roger Ianson, both of those drivers all day. That's I love the fact that we've got to this point of the day. Great drivers at the pointy end, and looking out our window, mate, and it's just started to rain again. What is going to happen?
Yeah, I'm looking at the screen there, and you can see the droplets now coming on the roof of the cars. Brad Toohey, when Cookie was down there with him before, saying we're just getting a little bit of rain, and that's the problem. It's not a solid rain, is it? It's not like, hey, it's going to rain, we're going to back the cars down, and we're going to try and get around here. No, we're going to have those conditions again where if there's just a little bit of warmth in the track and it gets a couple of drops, they'll dry up. Those puddles are going to refill. They'll get a little bit wider, though. So do you go all the way out on the track? Do you come in half a metre? So much for our drivers to think about when they're out there. The question is it going to be the driver that thinks about it and actually gets it done, puts the car in the right position? Or is it going to be the driver that just goes, you know what? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and just goes in there, puts it all on the line, pushes the limits of the car, the track, the grip, and makes it happen here. And look, Brad Toohey and James Abbott, they won't be worried about rubbing panels. That'll be a bit, a bit of fun between them two, because they've got a lot of respect for each other.
Yes, yeah. Look, you're going to have to take a certain amount of risks at this point. The rain is just getting heavier now. You're going to have to take a certain amount of risk. How much effort, how much speed do I put into turn one? I need turn one to be solid. I need to get through it and just be calm and cool as more rain is coming down. Well, let's see. Let's see how these guys get away from the line. Here we go. Brad Toohey in the lead. James Abbott in the chase. Let's see what the commitment levels are like. Coming into turn one this time around, the wipers are on flat out. There we go. Brad Toohey reasonably steady. He's probably gone a little bit too deep. James Abbott has. He's seen that. He's gone with him. Switch back through the middle part of the track. It's a little bit offline, and now he's run really wide. Brad Toohey giving it everything he's got. Giving it everything he's got.
What I find about James Abbott is because it's obviously coming down a little bit heavier than what we can see through the window here, because that had no traction whatsoever coming over the top of the hill there, coming onto the main straight. Let's check out the Trias replay. Now, Brad Toohey said, you know what, I should have clicked another gear. I think he tried to then. And, the conditions again, slippery. He's gone through the puddle there. The windscreen wipers on flat out. Turn 2, he's all right. Turn 3, sets himself up. It's a late transition, but very late. Massive through the puddle there. Then there's no drive whatsoever on those tyres. And James Abbott's gone, though. And somehow he's gone. If he's followed the lead car, though, it will suck him out as well, because he's using that as a, moving clipping point, I suppose, to a degree. If you see the lead car come out and you're trying to keep that proximity, it will drag you out as well. So
Yeah, probably shouldn't have gone that wide though for James Abbott with his experience. He should have known. You would have seen that happening, especially when you see, Brad Toohey goes there and the big splash of water. You go, I don't want to be here.
Well, look, he was nearly there in the last couple of runs. Like he nearly put the car in the whole side of that water barrier. It's just such a sketchy part of the track when it's wet. Look, they've both made errors. Let's just see if they can get it together as more rain is falling down. Oh, guys.
We thought we were going to get a dry final, didn't we? It was starting to look up for us, but the conditions keep changing and the windscreen wipers are on for both cars, which is not the sign we wanted to see. And you can see it now on the screen, the droplets falling there as we change focus. The hoodie's gone back on our starter to keep his hair in one beautiful piece. Here we go. Committed to the cause, standing out there in the rain, waving all our drivers on. He's done an absolute ripper job. Here we go. James Abbott going to lead us out in the Hi-tec Allstars S15, and it's going to be Brad Toohey in the Zestino tyres, A+ towing, GT86. Can he apply the pressure to James Abbott and make it? Abbott's wide as well. He goes super wide there. No contact, mate, as he comes back. You really... hard to avoid that, isn't it, when Brad Toohey hasn't done anything wrong and James Abbott's in, obviously found a little bit more of a drier section of the track. The car shoots back. Look how wet it is out there now. It's just like it was probably about half an hour ago.
Yeah, look, he's run really wide and he's, this is competition, right? You want to get back on the track and you want to keep going, but look, he's dropped over the side of the track. It's launched him back over. Brad's trying to stay there with him because he wants to be as close as he can. That's the whole point of the sport. But yeah, drop him way over there and then just the contact. That's so unfortunate.
Well, the car's shot back, hasn't it, for James Abbott? Like Brad, he would have seen Brad there. He wouldn't have intentionally turned into him. He's tried to steer the car back, and I think something's gripped up for James Abbott. He's found a bit of grip and shot the car forward. Brad Toohey's back right off at that point because he's on the line. He's been able to tuck right up, and even though he's got off the accelerator, he's still going to come up in position on the track. So we'll wait and see if we get a result out of that one, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't seen it come up on our screens yet, so we don't know if there'll be a one more time. We'll wait and find out. In the meantime, your pro final. We haven't seen these two drivers before in the opportunity to be on top of the podium in the pro class. Benny Hodges is going to be chasing down Roger Ianson.
Here we go. Coming into turn one, ladies and gentlemen, the setup is the most important part of this lap. Here we go. Roger Ianson looks very, very tidy. Benny Hodges still sitting there right beside him. The switchback through the middle part of the lap, all looking pretty tidy so far. Wiper blades are on. Obviously, there's a bit of moisture down. Both drivers pushing way into that outer zone, flick back up the hill and drive over the finish line.
I think it's going to be hard now with the moist conditions out there. I mean, it is completely wet again. Plus, you can see all the pebbling there from the tyres there. It's so slippery. How close do you want to get to the car in front? Let's have a look at the tri-race replay here. Roger Ianson does a nice job there. Slides the car out. Doesn't get too wide. We've seen so many cars overshoot that. Not too bad through section. Late transition there. There's almost a straight from Hodges there because he's gone a bit wide. I think he's doesn't want to drop it off into the dirt and the mud and pull himself off the track. Roger Ianson, though, he's clinical.
Yeah, like third lap in the wet, I think it was. He's basically into the final now in the wet conditions.
Now we're seeing there's got to be a few Malays out there, I think, when it comes to us here at the Hi-tec Drifting All-Stars. You've got to have a great Malay just flowing in the breeze there, and it has been breezy earlier today. It's calmed down a little bit now. The rain's come down, but look how slippery it is out there for Roger Ianson. Wasn't the way we wanted to finish off this pro-class battle. But we're still here. It hasn't finished yet. We're still waiting to see if we get results. We don't know if there's going to be a one more time between Brad Toohey and James Abbott. That hasn't come through for us yet, but we'll wait and find out. Our podium not too far away. It's set up down there, and I'm hoping it's going to be in the undercover.
In the dry?
In the dry.
All right.
Let's get these cars lined up. Maybe our final run here for round number one for the Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series at Winton Motor Raceway to kick off 2023. Who will take home a big swag of points? Benny Hodges, last time he was here, that car was on its lid. It was 18 months ago. Can he come home with the win? We'll wait and find out. Roger Ianson wants to stop that. He's chasing him down, and Benny Hodges will throw the Link ECU Zoo Performance S15 into the first corner.
Reasonable setup from both the drivers. They're looking on lock and on a great line. This is a really impressive battle coming through the mid part of the section. Benny Hodges left a lot of room for Roger to get up in the door pocket, which he's done a great job of. Pushing wide out into that outer zone, just touches the ripple strip in the back tyres. Benny Hodges, great lead run. Roger Anderson, great chase run.
Well, Benny Hodges, for me, between turns 2 and 3 has a straighten up. We'll have a look at it on the Tri-Ace replay. It's only very minor, but I think he had the same thing when he was in the chase position. Let's check this out. Tri-Ace replay time. Hodges sets it up nicely, doesn't he? Gets the car in there, slides it through. But Ianson, look at the proximity here as he gets the nose in there, and then it's just there's a straighten.
Yep.
Ianson doesn't have it.
Yep. Just that correction. That's one tiny little correction, but it's big enough at the pointy end of the race, at the pointy end of the event, to just put a straighten in right at that position. Obviously, he's going to be exploring grip levels with the front wheels, just seeing where we're at. It's more rains coming down. Oh, it must be so stressful.
Well, look, we're going to go out there and get the podium set up because you want to find out who your winners are. I'm going to leave you in here. We've got some great highlights coming your way.
We have a result. As the drivers file their way around the back half of the circuit, just finishing the day off, having a bit of fun. Benny Hodges on track right now. Do they know? Do they know where? Do you know what's happened? And here we go, some more highlights. Benny Hodges and Brad Toohey earlier in the day. You can see the dry line starting to emerge. We're starting to get some tyre smoke at this point, but this is where Benny Hodges just comes through and was able to take the win out of this battle. Brad Toohey just had a bit of an error on his lead run. But it was really nice to get some tyre smoke back in the day. James Abbott, Roger Ianson, earlier in the day, contact, rear bar comes off. James Abbott just dropped that front, on turn 1, just dropped off the front side of the track. Roger Anderson, being able to catch up and over the rise with a rear bumper flailing off. And then here we go again. James Abbott, Roger Anderson in the lead. Roger, awesome setup into turn 1. James right there with him. That was quite tight coming into turn 1. Switch back through the guts. Turn 2, he's closed the door just a little bit. Again, bit of tyre smoke, drying conditions. The tracks were changing. The guys are constantly trying to do something different. And how are we going to win this drift battle? Same again, James Abbott, Roger Anderson, switch back through. He's got the boot lid flapping away, bit of active aero. This was earlier in the day. It nearly board-sided the side of those plastic water barriers. Maybe just touched it with the tail light. Jory Breekoff, Kieran Ratcliffe in the Pro-Am. Both drivers driving very, very well, but I think Kieran just had a little bit of an edge on him in this afternoon's wet conditions. Jordan Putkins in the lead for Jordan Sanderson. S13 Turbo LS versus big horsepower LS. These guys battled all day so consistently. Great driving by the two Jordans. Number 1 qualifier and number 2 qualifier, and at the pointy end of the Pro-Am category. And then here, James Abbott just running really wide and having contact with Brad Toohey coming into their last couple of battles. So unfortunate that we've just had this wet weather plaguing us all afternoon. The changing conditions has been so challenging for the guys to get right. But this is what it was all about. Benny Hodges in the S15. Link, ECU, S15 out in the lead. Nice, cool, calm and collected. But one slight straighten through the middle there, and Roger I. Anderson is all over him, just capturing him. Wow, what a final that was. And we've got Cookie joining us up in the tower, mate. How you going?
Yeah, good, Tony. Been a bit sketchy out there with the rain coming in, but the guys did an amazing job.
You look dry.
Yeah, well, sort of. Last little bit, me and the cameraman were hiding a little bit.
Yeah, good one. But what's the vibe been like down in the pits? How is everyone, the camaraderie and everything else down there?
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. I think the way that the guys have adapted is pretty incredible. We've seen a lot of different stuff today. We've got some OG battles, we saw with Brad and Jabs, and then but we've seen also some amazing talent that we knew is out there coming through. The
Pro-Am,
it's insane.
Yeah, like a bunch of Pro-Am drivers stepping up into that pro category. They've got to think of it and sending it, absolutely sending it. Yeah, so I think we're going to be heading down to the podium now. We're going to find out. Okay, not yet. We'll come back to the podium. We're going to get Matty Cav down there, so he's ready to go. All right, confirm we can go down to Matty Cav, and all the winners for today will head down to the podium down in the pits.
Well, a fantastic day of competition here this afternoon. Unfortunately, the weather did creep in and change the conditions up a little bit, but what we're going to do is start off with our Zoo Performance Pro-Am, and to give our trophy presentations, our big checks away today. We've got Lana from Zoo Performance to hand them out, so that's going to be absolutely fantastic for our competitors. But let's get started. 4th place in our Zoo Performance Pro-Am here this afternoon. He battled hard. He's got the big wing on now. Jory Bretkoff. It's Corey with a J. Come forward, mate. It's tough conditions out there with them changing constantly.
The SR20 power just didn't quite have it this afternoon. The patchy conditions weren't it. I just quickly want to say a special mention to all my crew, sponsors, Finage Customs, Kumo Tyres Australia. I couldn't do it without them. And we are missing a very special person this weekend, Mr. Matt Harvey. So he had an accident earlier in the week, couldn't be here, so we're rooting for you, buddy. Rest up.
Oh, good. Congratulations, mate, and a few points in the championship to kick things off.
Yeah, can't wait for the rest of the year. What a way to kick off our championship, and we're hunting for the front.
Oh, good. Can it be an SR20 at the front again? We saw it in Pro last year. Let's move on to 3rd position, though. To get on the first step of the podium, Kieran Ratcliffe. Come here, Lana's going to have a big check and a trophy for you. Get that there. Zoo Performance doing a fantastic job. I'll come over here. Mate, congratulations. You drove away from the SR20 in the end, though.
Yeah, it was a tough battle. It was a good battle with Jory. It's all, the little SR was just an olden song. Yeah.
How do you enjoy this section here at Winton Motor Raceway?
This layout is, it's just 3rd gear, 4th gear pin, the whole layout, and you just don't back off. It's a wicked track.
Who's helped you get here in 2023?
All my family, my mates, all the Skittles DC crew. They wouldn't do it without them.
No worries. We'll let you get on the first step of the podium there. All right, it was a battle of the Jordans, though, when it came to Zoo Performance Pro-Am. They were in both categories as well, in Pro as well, so plenty of time out there. I think that probably helped with the ever-changing conditions. But in 2nd place, in the VE Commodore Ute, Jordan Sanderson. Come and see Lana. Grab your trophy and your oversized check. Mate, tough day today, but plenty of laps out there.
Yeah, no, it was testing conditions, that's for sure. But, no, I had plenty of fun.
Look, how does that start off your Pro-Am season, doing Pro as well? What do you think you're going to lean towards? Are you going to try and do both most of the year?
No idea, but definitely probably Pro. Yeah, it's good fun on the grippy boys, so, yeah.
Mate, the car looked good out there, and look, congratulations, 2nd place in Pro-Am today.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank Zoo Performance and Lana and Nikki, BSC Performance, for the awesome engine. Everyone probably heard it today. I've got Jay and Bill, and then just the boys over here, the 3 amigos. And then also Hi-tec, putting on a good event.
No worries, thanks, Jordan. We'll let you get up here. The number 2, and your winner then, Jordan Putkins, come forward. Where are you? Oh, look, there he is. I'm gonna stand. I might have to stand on my tippy toes here, mate. You got the number 1. You got to stand on top as well. You're gonna be super tall.
Might hit the roof.
Maybe under here. Rainy out there. You had to take up it against the other Jordan. What was it like in those last couple of battles?
Yeah, the last battle definitely patchy out there, and with this rain, it made it a bit tough. But everyone I drove with today and yesterday, just putting on a show, and everyone was driving real good. So
we like seeing you out there. What was it like changing up to Pro as well? Was it fun driving with the boys?
Yeah, I just love driving, and I'll drive with anyone. So, it was good to have a go at that, and, did not too bad. So, yeah.
Who helped you get here for the first round?
I'd like to thank Aubrey Engineering and Matt Sims Performance, and then Ross Quigley for helping out all week to get the car ready, and just everyone else behind the scenes, and especially the Hi-tec crew putting on a good event. So.
All right, we'll let you get on the top step of the podium, ladies and gentlemen. Your top 3 in the Zoo Performance Pro-Am. Jordan Putkins, the number 1. Number 2, Jordan Sanderson and Kieran Ratcliffe. 3rd position. Come on, boys. Spray the champagne. Come on, get the crowd. They're already wet out here in the rain. Pop the corks. Great to see round number 1 of our Zoo Performance Pro-Am. And some fantastic winners, awesome battling out there in ever-changing conditions. You can see there the respect for each other as they clink the champagne glasses together. Big round of applause once more for our Pro-Am categories, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to restack the champagne glasses down here. I don't think Lana from Zoot Performance, are you going anywhere? We want to see you out here. You're going to give away our pro categories as well. Well, this was another tough one here, and obviously with the changing conditions with those semi-slicks on, we could see the dry patches starting to come and cars cutting corners as they gripped up and they went through. And great to see some names joining us back in the 2023 season and battling it out in the end. And it was a big battle for third position, but in fourth position between these two, some very familiar names have been here since the start. In fourth, it's going to be James Abbott in the S15. Come here, James, come on. Tough day. You're looking pretty relaxed. We know you haven't been really well coming into this round.
Yeah, no, I had a pretty rough week. I was in bed for most of it, having a bit of a sweat. But I mean, we got the car here, and it's performed so well all weekend. It's been flawless and qualified well. It was so dialed in for the dry, but as soon as that rain came down, I had absolutely nothing. I was just getting in everyone's way.
You had a big commitment though, didn't you, in those last couple of battles there with Brad?
Mate, I was hoping he'd hit me a bit harder, and then in the passenger seat he might have finished the lap a bit nicer for me. But yeah, I was pretty much a passenger in my own car there, so I kept it off the wall. Had a few bumps with the boys, but they deserve it. They handled it better than I did.
Well, congratulations, fourth place today, and some points to kick things off for Hi-tec Oils.
Yeah, thanks for that.
All right, let's move on then. In third place in the Zestino Tyres, A-Plus Towing, GT86, Brad Toohey. Come on, you get your check. I'll come over this side. We'll swap sides here, mate. Good to see you back in the series. You're looking very comfortable, like that year off really made you, sit back and enjoy your drifting.
Yeah, like I've always enjoyed the drifting, but yeah, definitely last year just wanted to have a bit of a change of pace. Obviously, as you know, got a young one at home, and yeah, just wanted to change it up, and yeah, had a good time with my little dude, and we've been building BMX tracks and stuff. And to be honest, my car sat on blocks for 5 months before this event, but I had told my sponsors I was definitely coming back to Hi-tec. George runs the Premier Series here in Australia, so I was always committed to coming back. But I just wanted to try a few other things and did Time Attack and a few other series. So, but yeah, look, it was super hard conditions. I don't know how I got the win over Jabs, to be honest. I must have been such a border call because we both were messy as. Obviously stoked to get third place. But yeah, it was good fun.
Look, it's a good start to a campaign, isn't it, in 2023?
Yeah, it was good to put the tyre 286 up on the box here, and we'll just keep pushing on and see where we go from here.
Well, it's good to see Lana's giving you your big check there. You got the Zoot Performance on your apparel as well. So good luck, and we'll let you get up on the podium.
Thank you, mate.
All right, let's look. Who was it going to be between Roger Hansen and Ben Odgers were our next pairing out there, and this one was another tough battle. The rain came down and we didn't know who it was going to be. Both drivers have been here before in the Hi-tec Oils, haven't done a lot of rounds, but in second place today, it is Ben Odgers. I don't think we're going to be able to wipe that smile off your face for the next couple of weeks, are we?
It's going to be there for the rest of the season, I reckon.
Look, mate, big stick up into pro. Obviously, not happy hunting grounds here before, but you're on the podium. You're in pro, you're on the podium.
Yeah, I know. It's such a turn of events. We come here and had an accident a couple of years ago, and we turned it all around, and here we are. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's wild.
Who do you need to thank for being here this weekend?
Obviously, without Zoot Performance and Link ECU, we wouldn't be here at all. So big ups to them to getting us here and getting us all sweet. And obviously, Russ getting the car dialed so that we can actually put it on a show and put it on the podium.
Oh, mate, we'll let you get up there. In second position there. Give it up, Benny Odgers. And of course, your round one winner for the 2023 Hi-tec Oils Drift Allstars Series, Roger Hansen, come forward. We'll let you grab the decent check there, mate. Look, big congratulations, and it was tough out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was real challenging. You know, that weather came in at a tricky time, and running on the semi-slicks, there's not much grip. So, like Jab said, you're a bit of a passenger sometimes.
We've seen you have a bit of success last year over in South Australia. Will you be joining us for the entire series?
Yeah, I'll try to get to all the rounds, just see how things go. Yeah, we got a really good series back in SA, so the Drifting SA crew do a good job, as does the Hi-tec team. There's 2 great championships going on, so it's fantastic to be a part of both.
Who's helped you out in 2023?
Dad. So thanks, Dad. Does a great job. Built me a new engine. Just puts a mountain of work into the car. So like proper son and dad team. So it's fantastic to be up here and get him some recognition for the work he does. And a quick shout out to Brody for lending me some tyres this round. He's a real champ. So thanks, mate. Bad luck about your weekend and your championship defence.
Yeah, he didn't use too many this weekend. All right, well, here you get up on the top step of the podium. Roger Hanson, ladies, your winner for round number 1 of the 2023 Hi-tec Drift Allstars Series at Winton Motor Raceway. We're about to get wet, yeah. Bring the kids back. We're going to pop some champagne here. Not the trophies, ladies and gentlemen. After a big weekend here this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, want to thank you all for watching us out on the live stream here, the Hi-tec Drift All-Stars Series in 2023. We next go for round number 2 at Calder Park Raceway down there in Melbourne on May 6th and 7th. So it's a couple of months away. Get geared up for it. Stay tuned to all the social media and, of course, hashtag Hi-tec Drift Australia if you want to find out what is going on. We thank you for watching. We thank everyone. Of course, thanks to Tony Bishop and, of course, Cookie for being part of the commentary team this weekend. We'll see you in a couple of months.